What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3 Ob. Chapter 51. Newgate. Someone checks lousy, do you have anything? Kong Yunchi air shock slash. God avoids. Newgate and Luo Jia jumped up. At a distance of nearly 5 meters. The strength of the two collided crazily. Crackling. Rumble. The strong power of the two spread out to the surroundings. As if, it's like destroying everything, at the same time. Except for Luo Jia, no one else made a move, while Rayleigh, Jabba and others watched quietly. After all, this is the battle of my own captain, I'd better watch it here, and it's not a good thing to participate in it casually. Everyone watched silently. The battle between the two is becoming more and more intense, and it is also becoming more and more terrifying. It seemed like punches to the flesh, knives colliding. Actually, if another person stands in the position of the two, I am afraid, just one blow is enough to destroy everything. This force is too terrifying. This terrifying force is definitely not a joke. Gu la la la. Newgate laughed boldly and said, Luo Jia, you guy, I haven't seen you for 2 years, your strength seems to have improved a lot. There was a sharp light in his eyes, but Newgate's fighting spirit was still so terrifying. Ha ha ha. Luo Jia also laughed and said, Whitebeard, isn't your strength not weak at all? Quote. They looked at each other. The two headed straight for each other again. Kong Yunchi Haijun slash. From top to bottom, Newgate ruthlessly suppressed Kong Yunchi in his hand as if he were splitting Washan Mountain with force. Strong power. It seems to be devouring everything. Endless power crazily collapsed. Shock fruit. Conqueror's hockey. Armament hockey. The three forces are perfectly combined. But, it's not over, quite the opposite. Next moment. Instead, the sea suddenly churned. Under the power of shock fruit, the sea turned into streams of water, entangled on Kong Yunchi, forming terrifying water blades. He. This very delicate move, it seems that it was not created by Newgate. This was created while Locke was chatting with Vista. Newgate tried it. Well, don't say it. It's really very good. Such a move is indeed not suitable for dealing with a strong man like Luo Jia. After all, a direct and destructive move like the air shock slash is the most suitable. But, for Newgate, the meaning of this trick is, look, how good is Lousy's move? Of course, this trick is not useless, it is mainly used to deal with capable people, and seawater is naturally the weak point of capable people. Oh, seeing this move, Luo Jia also grinned with a ferocious smile. Then, Luo Jia clenched ace, one of the 12 great swords in his hand, with one hand, covered with jet black armament hockey, entangled with Conqueror's hockey, and slashed out from bottom to top. God slash. Newgate and Luo Jia, the battle between the two became more intense. In an instant, as if, it's like devouring everything at this moment. Bump. The roar of ultimate exploded, followed by the two separated instantly. Gu la la la. Newgate landed on the Moby Dick and said with a big smile, Luo Jia, you guy, you can't do it right. Your physical strength is so weak. That's right. You guys, the club you it must be bad, not like Lousy. Lousy's daughter is checking Lousy's body. Quote. Locke stepped on the head of the mechanical Tyrannosaurus and came straight to the battlefield. Looking at the big screen, Newgate was showing off, and when he tilted his head, he was completely confused. F***K. Wasn't it you who ran away in embarrassment for the past 5 hours? What the hell are you guys thinking? Brother, why are you so shameless? Locke was completely stupefied, especially when he looked at the picture in Newgate. Lousy has a look that you don't have, and he has a feeling, these children. They really can't be the characters of a group of children, can they? Is there anything you want to show off? I have, you don't. Then Lousy is very comfortable. F***K. Luo Jia couldn't help cursing and cursing. Newgate, you are really shameless. You are so weak. At this age, you need a doctor to check your body. Are you not good enough? Luo Jia is a look of contempt. Of course, Luo Jia will never say that Lousy doesn't have this thing, Lousy is just being stubborn. Gu la la la. Newgate laughed loudly and said, Oh, isn't it normal for people to have physical problems? Lousy's body is very good, but this is the filial piety of the children. Of course Lousy is very happy. Quote. Looking at his brothers showing off. Seriously. Locke wanted to go up and give him a slap, which was really shameless. Especially this look. That really makes people feel that he is really shameless. Never mind. Locke also shook his head silently, letting the mechanical Greymon speed up. Go straight to the battlefield. Even though, according to the situation of Newgate and Luo Jia, it is basically impossible for a more serious war to occur. But, when it's time to be vigilant, you still have to be vigilant. This is the top pirate group, the Luo Jia pirate group, a group of 3 admiral-level monster-like pirate groups. Therefore, faced with such a pirate group, Locke knows that he can't be careless, otherwise. The ghost knows what the result of the carelessness is, in case there is a huge problem. That is really quite troublesome. As for the two captains who are like children. What? Pirate captains generally have no brains. Isn't this the law? Normal. Normal. Don't make a fuss. Look, this is the truth. Chapter 52. Two people like children. Locke joins the battlefield with mechanical Greymon. Advertise here. We all know. In this world of great pirates. Captain. Such creatures generally have no brains. Eat, drink and be merry. Take charge of the fight. A trash who knows nothing. That's the definition of a chopper, the definition of a captain. It turns out, there is really nothing wrong with this definition, Captain. These are generally such a group of creatures. Cut. Luo Jia curled his lips casually, and said unhappily, I don't need Lousy, Lousy's health is very good. Do you still need Lousy? Luo Jia had a rather disdainful tone. Newgate waved his hand and said, Cut. You trash, envy is envy, what is your dog barking here? F*K, Whitebeard, do you believe that Lousy killed you? Come. Luo Jia and Newgate fought again in a few words. But, no matter how you look at it, Luo Jia has a feeling of being out of breath. It's also very normal. After all, in this regard, Luo Jia can be said to have failed completely. No way. Locke is very clear. According to the physical fitness of people in this world, to be honest, it is really easy to live to be 150 years old, but for a guy with monster strength like Newgate, as long as he takes good care of himself, he can live to be 200 years old. It's all easy. Even say, it is not a big problem to live to 300 years old to be the same age as the giants. But, what about the strong? Seriously, the strong generally die when they are 70 or 80 years old, why? That's because they don't pay attention to their bodies at all, and it doesn't matter when they are young. But, when the age is a little old, then, everything is different. The problems of youth will be found on the body. And, because of this, at that time, it is really not far from death. This is the most fundamental reason. Look at Garp and Sengoku, how good are their bodies? You can see it from here. This is the very fundamental, very important, very core root cause. It can be said, well maintained, it will definitely work. Jabba looked at the two people fighting in full swing in front of him, and couldn't help complaining, are these two guys idiots? How could this kind of person be the captain? Ha ha ha. Rayleigh shook his head with a chuckle, pushed his glasses, and said calmly, isn't this normal? People like them have different personalities, and because of this, they became captains. Exactly. I give you a thumbs up. At this moment, a voice came from above the head. Rayleigh and Jabba and the others looked up. Mechanical Tyrannosaurus descended from the sky. Rayleigh pushed his glasses, and said secretly in his heart, Edward Locke. The vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates, he is Whitebeard's cousin, a person who rarely takes shots and has a very lazy personality. Let's meet once. But, according to inference, his devil fruit is a kind of summoning devil fruit, which can summon creatures that can evolve, and the mechanical Tyrannosaurus in front of him and the wolf-like Geruruman are all summoned. According to the inference of strength, mechanical Greymon belongs to the strength of Vice Admiral, and it is probably in the 4th stage. Geruruman belongs to the Rear Admiral strength, probably in the 3rd stage. I don't know if there is a 5th stage, I'm afraid. The 5th stage is the strength of the Admiral level. The moment Rayleigh saw Locke, he analyzed a lot. Actually, this kind of information, above the sea, needs to be analyzed by many people. Joke. The strength of the Whitebeard pirates lies there, even if Newgate alone is a monster, okay. Are you unprepared for such a guy? What do you mean? Wait to die, court death. So, the strangest thing is not having any preparations, and it must be fully prepared. It can also be seen from the side. Rayleigh has such complete information. So, what about top monsters like world government? Obviously, you don't have to think about it, you know, there must be more complete and perfect information. The mechanical Tyrannosaurus slowly landed on the Moby Dick from the sky, and Locke observed the battlefield in front of him, shaking his head helplessly and said, really? It seems that you are purely touching the battlefield. When we arrived, did we end up fighting? Rayleigh nodded and said, I just met, so the two of them started fighting. Pluton. Silver Rayleigh. Copper Jabba. He. Locke looked at the two of them with a chuckle and said, they are all big men who resound through the sea. Quote. Rayleigh also shook his head with a smile after a brief silence. Edward Locke, you are also not bad. Among the information above the sea, you are a lazy and worthless person, but only when I see you with my own eyes can I understand your aura that makes people instinctively feel the power. Inherited the authority of the Night King. Again. A person who possesses the instinct of terrifying beasts, and a person who possesses powerful strength. All will be vaguely felt. This breath, even if Locke wants to completely restrain himself, it is almost impossible to do so. No way. This comes from instinct. As long as I conceive the Knight's soul, it will appear naturally. This is something that can't be done. So, it can only dissipate slowly over time. But, Locke also jumped from the top of the mechanical Tyrannosaurus, and didn't continue to say anything, just watched the battle between the two cerebral palsy captains. This battle is like this, and it will not continue to explode. Impossible result. After all, it is the strangest thing if you choose to work hard when it is not necessary. Chapter 53. Luogia, the orphan after the destruction of the group, wants revenge. Then stand up. 3 days and nights. The battle between Newgate and Luogia lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, still came to an end. In general, the battle is still tied. The Luogia group just left. And, Locke looked at the upset brother, and smiled lightly. Brother, what are you thinking? Why do you look like this? Cut. Newgate said unhappily. Lousy is just upset with this guy Luogia. This guy is so arrogant. Wait, Lousy will have a chance to kill this guy sooner or later. He. Locke chuckled and said, brother, then you have to work harder. Luogia's health is not good. If the efficiency is too low, you can't beat this guy Luogia. Quote. Newgate froze. Of course he knew what his brother meant. This moment, Newgate knew what was going on. Of course. He didn't mean to remind. That's not what he should be responsible for. Only, Newgate is thinking about something. Become stronger. Become stronger. Where is such an easy thing? Above this sea, Locke has never seen a more terrifying monster. But, Newgate has seen it for real. Is the Admiral class very strong? Undeniable. But, at the Admiral level, there is still a gap in strength. The first level is probably at the level of Guion, Cake, and the 2 alternate admirals. Do you think they are strong at the Admiral level? Yes, but if you say that they are stronger than Wangfu and Quasi-Admiral, that's not enough, it's hard to say. Going further back, there are 3 current admirals like Sakazuki, Pelusolino, and Kuzan, who are real admirals and core combat power. If you continue to improve, these monsters of the older generation, Newgate, Luogia, Shiki, Sengoku, Garp, they all gradually become stronger over time. At last. What Newgate knew was that Captain Locke's was like a terrifying monster. In the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, 8 admiral-level sieges killed 3 people, and almost eliminated 3 people. And then the remaining 2 people are also half dead. This is the way to defeat them. Newgate knew. That is to completely surpass Admiral, a monster that is completely more terrifying from the closed beta, and it is no longer comparable to ordinary powerhouses. Brother, what are you thinking about? Locke looked at Newgate who was thinking, and asked strangely. Newgate shook his head, thinking. I'm just thinking, when will I be able to reach the level of Captain Locke's? Locke's D. Zebek. Locke also participated in Summit War, although he said that he was a bad player from beginning to end. But after thinking about it for a while, Locke shook his head and said, to be honest, I have never seen such a monster as Locke's. It is really difficult to grow to that level. You must first ensure that it is your own and that there will be no problems. Then strengthen the Conqueror's Haki. Locke spoke softly. Be honest, I personally experienced the Valley of Gods War, and I saw the strength that Locke showed. I feel outrageous. In the original work of the future, I have never seen such a terrifying monster. Even Luffy, this monster that has become extremely terrifying in the original work, the protagonist is still the same. As for Luogia, Locke wasn't sure. After all, Luogia didn't really show his full strength, which is uncertain. Okay, since there is no problem, then I am going to leave. It's really troublesome. I was delayed for 3 days for no reason. Worn out, Locke couldn't help complaining. It was like a joke. Baffling. Gu-la-la-la. Newgate laughed and said, Locke, you've just had such a decadent day. Shut up. You. Locke glared at Newgate, and couldn't help cursing. Brother. I'm too lazy to say anything about you. Look. The troubles during this time. There are simply countless, and one after another falls on you. It's almost annoying to death. Never mind. Locke really has nothing to do with his brother, who has max troublemaking ability. No idea. That is really causing trouble every day, and every time I ask the researchers how to deal with all this. No solution. The current Sphinx has not been built well. If it is discovered, it will be a huge problem. Why was the Moby Dick built? Just to attract other people's attention. And, in the current Whitebeard pirate group, one of the little guys in the family has not grown up. This is also a very troublesome thing. We need to let these little guys continue to work hard to grow. The result. The little ones haven't grown up yet, but my old brother has already started causing trouble every day. Locke is too lazy to complain. He really doesn't know. Does he really need to complain every day? He. Newgate scratched his head in embarrassment, and he knew it, just. As a pirate, if you can't do whatever you want, is that still a pirate? Okay. Locke also didn't mean to blame his brother, just. You pay a little attention, you are not ready yet. Only, Locke and Newgate turned their heads at the same time. Not far away, the wreckage of the pirate ship, a small figure, was struggling to get up. Please, I want revenge. And the kid raised his head, knelt down directly on top of the ruins facing Newgate, and roared angrily. Locke was taken aback, and asked strangely, what's going on? Newgate explained. It seems to say. This kid's pirate group was destroyed by the Luogia pirate group. Oh, Locke nodded knowingly, looked at the little guy, and said calmly, little brat, if you want revenge, you can swim over by yourself, and revenge requires your own strength, not relying on others' strength. Chapter 54. Work hard. Infant Skiyad, subdue it. Gone. Locke, gone. Locke had no more words. And Newgate was taken aback, as if he wanted to say something. Only, looking at his brother's serious expression. Newgate knew, it's better not to say anything. The Moby Dick gradually moved away into the distance. And the 10-year-old kid looked at the scene in front of him, but he clenched his teeth tightly. He took a deep breath, and regardless of his injuries, he jumped up and jumped into the sea water. That's it. The Moby Dick was sailing ahead, and this kid was quickly chasing in the sea water. High speed. Only. Even so. 3 hours later. 5 hours later. 7 hours later. After all, he gradually became exhausted. Even though he had clearly touched the bottom of the Moby Dick, he still couldn't climb up further. Hey, squad, the pirate group you used to live in was defeated by the Luogia pirate group. You brat, are you going to rely on the power of others to take revenge? What you need is to work hard on your own. Otherwise, the power of others does not belong to you. Quote. The drowsy Skuyard listened to the voice from above, he raised his head stubbornly, and looked at Locke's indifferent expression. As well as, Newgate looked slightly worried, actually. Newgate is such a character, he is absolutely ruthless when he fights. For this kind of child who has been destroyed, he is very concerned. Maybe. This is because the same is true of Newgate's childhood, so it will be like this in the end, and my character will also become like this. Damn it. He gritted his teeth firmly, raised his head firmly, and rushed to the Moby Dick in front of him step by step, and gradually climbed up. Fail. Do not. No matter what, Skuyad will never allow himself to fail like this. Absolute. Not allowed. He has to live so that he can take revenge. Actually, Locke, of course, has nothing dissatisfied with Skuyard. Just to hone the Skuyad. This brat's filial son sword. Good guy, if it wasn't for this sword. Estimate. Some at war is really hard to say. Only, what Locke is going to tell Skuyard is, want revenge. Of course there is no problem. However, this depends on your own strength, not on the strength of others. That's what Locke is all about. As for the rest, that's something that my elder brother should deal with. I don't have such a personality charm. After all, I can be a bad person, and the position of a good person is not suitable for me. What? Hurry up, little devil. Locke spoke with piercing eyes, even lazily breathing. One picture didn't mean to put squad in his eyes at all. Okay, brother, the rest is up to you. I'm going back to have a good rest. Locke waved his hand casually. This little guy, Skuyard, must be able to climb up after enduring such ridicule from himself. And, what about after climbing up? That must be something that my brother needs to deal with. Second day, Locke didn't wake up until mid-sun. How should I put it? Without the call of the little guy Lilith, Locke slept quite comfortably. Lazily walking out of the room, Locke saw the old brother and Skuyard on the deck. Uncle, Skuyard came over with fear in his eyes. Locke nodded, then sat down on the recliner, and asked, Squad, little brat. Do you know why I was like that yesterday? Skuyard scratched his head, not knowing what to say. Locke continued. Skuyard, what happened to you is normal. Everything that used to be destroyed on this sea is a problem, but it's not a big problem. Remember, everyone has experienced what you have experienced. And it is absolutely impossible to do anything that betrays you. What you have to do is your own efforts. Do you understand? Locke's words made Skuyard very silent. He lowered his head silently, not knowing what to say. La. Newgate laughed and walked over, patted Skuyard on the shoulder and said with a smile, Locke, are you so strict? Skuyard is. Locke directly interrupted. Brother, shut up. Skuyard, you remember, you joined the Whitebeard pirates, then. You are my adopted son, that is, my nephew, they are all brothers and sisters. Do you know? I know. Skuyard is very serious, of course he knows the meaning of this matter. Locke takes this very seriously and will not allow any problems to arise. No kidding. Rather, absolutely no problems can arise. This is no joke. Could it be that? Do you want problems in your own home in the future? This is something that Locke absolutely does not allow. What I want is to be a salted fish, not to watch the whole family fall apart and end up like that. This is Locke absolutely. Absolute. It is absolutely impossible to allow things, you know. Therefore, sometimes, or, as is often the case, Locke has to deal with it all in the first place. Revenge. It's not a question of any kind. But Locke's eyes were full of murderous intent. The premise of revenge is not to ensure that your current relatives disappear, and you. If you want revenge, Lousy can avenge you with everything, but the premise is that you must never betray your family. Quote. I see, uncle. Skuyad clenched his fists, his eyes filled with determination. Watching this scene, Locke breaks into a smile. I know it myself. Childhood Squad. Successfully subdued. Chapter 55. Shut up. My nephew. Of course the minimum match is a phantom beast. Be honest. Locke has a lot to do. Not just Skuyard. Actually, many people need this. After all, they are people from South Blue, although they were only teenagers or even a few years old when they joined the Whitebeard pirates. But, who can guarantee that they will have no problems at all? Do not. This is something that no one can guarantee, no matter who it is absolutely beyond doubt. Locke is also very clear on this point. Therefore, all the time, Locke is very clear about all this, and he manages it very strictly, not only to change their thinking, but also to change their fundamentals. No matter what, you little guys, when your surname, psychology, thought, essence, everything is changed. So, naturally, you are the Whitebeard pirates, or rather, part of the Edward family. In fact, according to Locke's thinking, it should be like letting your brother be like that crazy woman Linlin, you just go out to indulge in flowers every day, and then have a lot of children. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. Result. My brother didn't have this idea, and Locke didn't bother to say anything. Then you can only deal with it in your own way. Uncle. I will definitely be firm. Skuyard clenched his fists. He was 15 years old this year, not much younger than Locke. Only, he looked at Uncle, but he knew deeply how huge the huge gap was. It's not on the same level at all, and there is no comparison at all. And Locke showed a smile, shook his head with a smile, and continued lazily. Skuyard, don't be too nervous, the past is the past, and it is meaningless to continue to entangle, that's it. Remember, it's fine if I tell you. Okay, Uncle. Skuyard was very serious and nodded with a serious expression. He knew that this matter was very important. Correct. Newgate leaned over and asked curiously, Locke, what kind of devil fruit do you think Skuyard is suitable for? Seriously, although Newgate has not read the original. But so many years of old world, Newgate can see it. Skuyard is almost at the same level as Lacchio, so that's probably the case. First, in the current Whitebeard pirate group, these little guys are roughly divided into several levels. Bell and Little Oz, these two little guys are at the same level. In the future, they will grow up well, develop devil fruit, practice conqueror's hockey, add the characteristics of the natural race, as long as there are no problems, and Lilith will help maintain body. Basically, the future will be Admiral level. The second level is Vista. The level of Vista is quite special. If it is well trained, it will be at the level of the Emperor's deputy. If it is not well trained, that's hard to say. As for the third level, it is the level of Lacchio and Skuyard. They are future. Basically, it is at the level of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. But, if there is a high-level devil fruit, it is hard to say. Locke ate the Locke fruit. In the future, if Locke gets a weapon made of high-level devil fruit, his strength may reach the level of a royal cadre. As for Skuyard, Newgate knows. I also want to get a devil fruit. Seriously, under Locke's changes, Newgate has also changed a lot, if it is in the original book. Newgate will only guard all the children alone, without considering so many things. In Newgate's eyes, they are all his own children, so. Isn't it a matter of course to protect yourself? Devil fruit. Skuyard tilted his head, grinned, and said with a grin, Father, it's all right. I'm not picky about these, no matter what it is. Locke nodded and agreed. Indeed. Skuyard is also looking for a suitable devil fruit, and devil fruit can greatly improve his strength. Paramesha, Logia, common species, ancient species. Newgate was thinking about it, while Skuyard tilted his head and said, Father, I like Zone's devil fruit better. I prefer the feeling of fighting with fists to the flesh. After being restored by Skuyard, Newgate nodded in agreement. How to say, this thing is like this, and this is a very important thing. A devil fruit that is suitable for you and is also very suitable for you, the power it can exert is amazing. Even if this devil fruit doesn't look too strong. Ancient species. Shut up. Locke directly stopped Newgate. Newgate shook his head and said, Locke, at least it must be an ancient species, right? Cut. Hearing Newgate's words, Locke knew that his elder brother was thinking wrong, and complained, Lousy's nephew. Is he worthy of eating the ancient species? It's a joke. It must be to find the phantom beast species. Quote. Quote. This. Both Newgate and Skuyard were stunned, and both of them felt very embarrassed. This. Phantom beast species. Seriously. It's so easy to get phantom beasts. Above this sea, those who can eat the Eudemon's devil fruit are all top powerhouses. Result. In your place, how could a random person just want to eat phantom beasts? Stop it. Locke waved his hand, but said very calmly, although this matter is quite difficult. But it is not a troublesome thing to operate. New World has many prison ships of the world government. These treasures are it's rare in other places. But on the prison ship, it's hard to say. Chapter 56. World Government. I am the co-author of the treasure chest. Prison ship. Scuyard tilted his head. He didn't know what the thing was. Locke casually explained. Prison ships. The world government detains special prisoners, detains prisoners of special races for research, or stores special devil fruit ships, and these ships are generally located in New World. Found. Basically it's all blood to make a fortune. Locke is very open-minded. Joke. Could it be that if he doesn't do anything to the prison ship, the world government will let him and others go? Stop it. It can be seen from the original book. The Whitebeard pirates are almost the most peaceful pirates. Pity. It just doesn't make any sense at all. You can see it from here. World government, naval headquarters, what they most want to get out is the Whitebeard pirates. And such an opportunity to reap huge profits is right in front of him. Doesn't this make a lot of money? That is simply too embarrassing. Prison ship. This thing must not be placed in Grand Line and Universal, after all. It would be the most embarrassing thing if Marine found out about the problem and got rid of it. So it is generally placed in New World. That being the case, you put it in the place where you don't care, so it's reasonable for me to make a move. No one can stop it, right? So say it. Did Locke make the wrong choice? No fault of any kind. Anyway, Lousy must have earned blood. World government. Co-author Lousy is a big injustice. Did you use Lousy as a treasure chest? Thoughts on world government? Locke didn't know. Even if you know. Joke. Labor and management control you so much. Anyway, I'm already a pirate now, you know. I am a pirate. Now that I'm already a pirate, then doing some things that pirates should do is a matter of course, right? So, Locke is very open-minded about these things, since he is sitting in this position. So, this is a matter of course. If I don't think about my own family, do I think about you? Roll. Are you kidding Lousy? Or, do you think Lousy is an idiot? So, sometimes, this is the way things are, and there is nothing wrong with Lousy's choice itself, if this is the case. Of course Lousy will not have any slack. Locke is on the researcher side. The other side. Newgate also thought about it. Locke, what you said is not wrong, but if we do this thing every day, will it be targeted by the world government? Fear. Do not. Newgate has no fear at all. According to this man's character, if you say he is afraid. That was the strangest thing. No matter at any time, it is like this in itself. This man. But there will be no fear. But, Newgate, however, takes his beauty very seriously, and he doesn't care about these things, but what about the children in my own family? This is a very important thing. What? Locke waved his hand, and said calmly, you can relax a little bit about this matter. Relax. Even if there is no prison ship, brother, you can be more confident, people will still target you, this is a matter of course. F***K. Newgate couldn't help but burst into swearing. Emotion. Is he the one being targeted? Locke was pretty cool about it. Joke. You are the Whitebeard pirates. Every era has its own legends, and you, an old fellow, have lived for 3 eras, and you should have come to an end a long time ago. So say it. For this sea, the remnants of the old era should be disposed of. This is how the Marine and world government handle it. Exactly. This is the way the world government handles it. For the world government, above this sea, it is the best. Most important. The most important fundamental core is to maintain balance. No idea. Is the world government strong? No doubt. If a behemoth that has existed for 800 years is not strong enough, that would be the strangest thing. But the problem is here. Strong, powerful, but horror. But not necessarily. The world government does not have the power to fully control the world, no matter what time it is. If not, there is no need to form any franchise countries, but to conquer the whole world directly and that's it. This is the fundamental reason. Because this force has not yet reached such an invincible level, they can only retreat and choose other methods. Just like the scene in front of you. Anyway, Locke felt very calm, it's just a small problem. Small issue. Definitely a fairly minor niggle. Joke. Now in the whole world, you maintain balance, and if you have the ability, you will directly come to New World to target me. This is what Locke looks like now, are you coming to hit me? So, sometimes, Locke can be really annoying. Newgate nodded and said, I will continue to look for the prison ship, Locke. Are you taking Scuyard back first? Locke said calmly. Of course we have to go back first. Otherwise, never mind. There are still 7 months at most, and the Sphinx is just about to be built. Brother, you should come back quickly when the time comes. Correct. Don't make any problems. Remember. The more it gets to this time, the more prone to problems, we must be vigilant. Listening to Locke's words, Newgate also nodded carelessly and said, Locke. Don't worry, Lousy knows about these situations, and there won't be any problems. Okay. Locke shook his head helplessly, how should I say, although my brother said so, but if I believed it myself, that would be the strangest thing. Chapter 57. Locke, it's still comfortable to lie down. No trouble. He. If you don't make trouble, then you won't be your brother. Just kidding yourself. Seriously. The captain's troubles are basically a kind of inheritance. Count up. Whether it's Luo Jia, Shiki, Newgate. Count to the middle whether it is Kaido, Linlin or Qingzhou and others. Count down. Whether it is the protagonist Luffy or Blackbeard Teach in the future, or other extremely evil times. Anyway, creatures like the captain just like to make troubles, and they have always liked to make troubles. Of course, Locke didn't mean that he hoped that his brother would become a good baby. That's not realistic. And Locke never had such an idea. For Locke, what he wanted to do was very simple. Minimum. Can you honestly pass this most troublesome stage first? As long as this stage is over, the follow-up matters will be very easy to deal with, okay. If you continue to make trouble here, then subsequent things will only become more and more troublesome. So, Locke just wanted his brother to be honest for a while. Of course, these are Locke's thoughts, and what if it's dishonest? He. To be dishonest is to be dishonest. How can it be? Lousy looks like this today. Since Lousy is a pirate, isn't it okay to be arrogant? Depend on. Come with Lousy. Start a war. It's still comfortable to lie down. Back to the Sphinx. Locke lay comfortably on the small sofa by the pool of the villa. His whole face was full of comfort, wearing sunglasses to block the sun, feeling the warm sunshine on his body. It was too comfortable. Locke squinted his eyes directly. Squad. Yes I am. Vista, Lakoyo, Bell and Ozzy all came to meet their new friends. Skiyard looked at the four little guys who were all about his own age. Although little Ozzy said he was not young, but in terms of giants, he really wasn't that old. Skuyad, what's your situation? I used to belong to a pirate group, and was later destroyed by the Luo Jia pirate group. I see. What about you? What? We used to be like this. The five little guys started chatting here, and their relationship will get better and better as time goes by. Future them. When they chat and chat. It seems that. Suddenly thought of something. Bell asked. Skuyad, you haven't had a medical examination yet, have you? Medical examination. What is this? There was a big question mark above Skuyad's head. What the hell? What is a physical examination? Bell nodded silently, patted Skuyard on the shoulder, and said with a smile, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Bista, Lakeo, everyone patted Skuyard on the shoulder. This moment, Skuyard is really full of question marks. What are these and what? What's going on here? What are you talking about? Snapped. And at this moment, the sound of gentle footsteps came from behind them. That was the sound of high heels stepping on the ground. Bell, little Oz. Bell, although your body is said to have adapted to the pain, but your body's hidden wounds haven't completely recovered. Next, you need to rest well. Little Ozzy, you need to supplement nutrition, otherwise, you will not even develop well. Quote. Yes, Bell and little Ozzy were trembling, while Bista and Lakio had sneaked away at some point. Maybe. The moment they heard the voice, the two of them had already chosen to escape. It is better to run away honestly. Otherwise. It's not a good thing if you get caught. Shivering. Very horrible. It's really scary. The two left silently. Lilith walked over step by step, looked at Skuyard, and said calmly, Skuyard. Hello. Come with me. Skuyard wanted to say no. Only. Looking at Lilith who was very calm, but filled with endless calm, her eyes were filled with calm indifference. Moment. Skuyard was honest. At the same time, when Skuyard turned his head, there was no one around him. This moment, Skuyard finally understood what it was. In this way, Skuyard was also taken away silently. It can only be said that sometimes, this is not a strange thing. On the contrary, it is a very normal thing. But this is really very scary. Locke watched Skuyard being taken away with a smile on his face, and with a smile on his face, the corners of his mouth were teased, and he said with a smile, it's really good. Skuyard, let's feel it. Lilith is very scary. Seriously, is Lilith really a bad guy? Of course not. What Lilith did was actually a good thing, and it was really for everyone's health. Just, how to say, this is true for everyone, people don't always like to go to the doctor. And Lilith's discipline is also very strict, and because of this, Lilith is also very serious about these things, even very serious, and under such circumstances, it is a very interesting thing. Many people are afraid of Lilith. It's not a strange thing. After all, it's not surprising that you will feel fear every time you look like this. The other side, Locke also soon fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 58. Garuru Beast Evolution. Orc Garu Rumen. Quote. After Skuyad has been taught by Lilith. Also walking on the ground in a daze. Actually, how to say. And that's something Locke does on purpose. For these little guys. They may become arrogant in the future. That being the case. So, let them have a feeling of fear in another way. All in all, Locke has done a lot of research. But these are not important, the current self is just living a bad life, honestly fishing, honestly being a salted fish is really great. Comfortable. Locke squinted his eyes comfortably, feeling really refreshed. Said the girl said to vomit. Counting money until my hands cramp. Sleep until you wake up naturally. Is this the ideal of life in the new era? Anyway, now Locke is not interested in women or money, but is really interested in sleeping. Only. Locke opened his eyes and saw Lilith, and said helplessly, Lilith, don't you always appear in my room all of a sudden? Be honest. While Locke was at the Sphinx, there were no definite sentiences. Whether it's your own perception ability, or your own observation hockey. It's all put away. After all, this is my own home, wouldn't it be a bit strange if they were made like that in my own home? So, that's what Locke came up with. But the problem is here. That's what happens sometimes, when you open your eyes all of a sudden. Result. My eldest niece is standing at the head of my bed. This thing, don't all good people get scared easily? Uncle. Lilith was very calm, and said, there is something you need to deal with. Mr. Chuan Ling asked me to come to you. What about the ship spirit? Locke immediately sat up, rubbed his eyebrows and said, let's go. Okay, uncle. Locke tidied up and left the villa with Lilith. Although I am lazy. But when I should be serious about the business, I will still be very serious. After all, this is not a joke, especially the issue of the Sphinx, which is extremely important. After all, this is my future home. Is Locke an otaku? Yes, of course. Locke does not belong to that kind of Japanese-style dead house, but belongs to that kind of Chinese-style otaku. Apart from his daily work, he is not interested in anything outside the world. He just wants to stay at home and squat at home. It's completely different from the Japanese-style dead house that purely just eats and waits to die. So, for a Chinese-style dead house like Locke, then, the most important thing is one's own home, everything is a look that can be ignored. But, only home is absolutely not allowed. Soon. Locke brought Lilith to the boat spirit. Locke stopped in his tracks and asked, ship spirit, what happened? Mr. Locke. The ship spirit turned his head, and the appearance with the strange mask was immediately revealed. The corners of Locke's mouth twitched slightly. Even though it's been such a long time, but I'm still not used to it, and I always feel that this look is very weird. But, this is someone else's hobby, and I don't have the qualifications to say something, it's not what I should say. Locke continued to ask, ship spirit, what's wrong? The ship spirit pointed to a location not far away, and said, here. A small port that originally belonged to the Sphinx, but at this location, the old man's idea is to transform it into an underwater docking base for ships. Locke was stunned for a moment, and said in astonishment, will the game be filled with water? F***K. Lousy is uneducated, but you can't treat lousy as an idiot, right? What's the situation? Are you going to make this an underwater docking base for boats? Then the TM must not be irrigated. Don't think lousy is an idiot. That is underwater, how come you can develop a machine that can isolate water? That counts as NB. Lousy has absolutely no intention of refuting what you say. No, but the ship spirit shook his head and continued to explain, Mr. Locke, you have misunderstood. What I mean is to build this place as a base for ships to dock. Store and preserve. Listening to Chuan Ling's chaotic, incoherent explanation. Locke nodded gradually. If so, it would be much easier. Actually, Chuan Ling explained so much. Locke summed it up by transforming this place into a port where ships can be docked. If the ship does not sail for a long time, it can also be completely docked, that is, the kind of storage dock. Does this explain it better? Port plus shipyard. This description seems to be more clear. By calling it like this. This is the idea of the ship spirit. Where is the fundamental core? Amount. Need to add money. To be honest, the size of this project is a bit large, and it has already exceeded the standard in Chuan Ling's budget, so you have to pay more, and Chuan Ling, an old fellow, feels quite embarrassed. So, in return, the ship spirit will build 10 ships specially for Locke, as long as they are the ships that Locke needs, then. There is no problem. Locke is very happy with that too, that's the deal. Otherwise, where do you take me to pluck the wool? Do you think that lousy's money comes for nothing? Locke and Chuan Ling are still continuing the follow-up discussions, such as how to deal with some internal designs. Suddenly, I feel the evolution of Geruruman. Chapter 59. July time is fleeting. Tick, tick. On the small battlefield, drops of blood dripped down, the faces of the pirates were pale, and they stared at the sharp wolf in front of them. Who? Geruruman. You bastard, when did we offend the Whitebeard pirates? Roar. Fox flame. The only response to the captain was Geruruman's instantly burning flames. Buzz. And as a large number of pirates were swallowed up in this instant. Seam. The Geruruman has also reached its limit, a dazzling light emerges from its body, the bright light seems to swallow everything up, it is the light of evolution. Geruruman has accumulated the experience points of this small year, and finally reached the level of evolution. It is finally possible to evolve. Geruruman evolution. Orc Geruruman. Roar. The light dissipated, and the orc Geruruman with upright legs had emerged, and its sharp eyes scanned the surroundings one by one. Followed by, the orc Geruruman heads straight for its opponent at great speed. What? So fast? Damn it. Crescent moon scimitar. Unfortunately, their reaction speed is meaningless. Under the extremely fast speed of the Orc-Geruruman, it is only an instant. The terrifying energy blade cut them instantly. Followed by, the Orc-Geruruman rushed into the battlefield at an extremely fast speed. The sharp claws opened. Caesar's claw. The blood-red sharp claws harvested all the pirates in an instant, and the Orc-Geruruman stood proudly on the mountain of corpses and sea of blood. It looked around, finally turned around, and left very calmly. ... Locke also looked at the panel, muttering in his heart. Geruruman has finally evolved, reaching the level of the Orc-Geruruman. Next. The evolution of Mecha Greymon is a certainty. Estimate the time. After 7 months, the construction of the Sphinx is complete. So, the mechanical Tyrannosaurus can supplement the remaining 10% of its experience to complete its evolution. Next, the main thing to train is Geruruman. As for the sword beast, not urgent. Locke thought of the kendo beast who was honing his sword skills assiduously every day, and felt the incredible improvement of his sword skills, but he didn't say anything in his heart. The improvement of sword beast can be improved in this way. And, if you count the time, it's almost time to continue with the 4th Digimon summoning, right? Although I'm not in a hurry. Let's raise it first when it is summoned. Nursing the poor and raising the rich is all about raising. Regarding the Digimon's call, Locke remained calm. It's all about training anyway. Take your time. The most important thing I lack is time. Anyway, if I take care of it slowly, I will definitely be able to take care of it in the future. That's what Locke had in mind. Soon, Locke finished his discussion with Chuanling and then returned to the villa. Just got back to the villa. Locke just saw the Orc-Geruruman already in the villa. Locke looked at the Orc-Geruruman, which was about 2.5 meters tall, and patted it on the chest with a smile, and said very seriously, "The Orc-Geruruman did a good job, your evolution rate is very fast." Lord Locke, the Orc-Geruruman is very respectful. Locke smiled and nodded and said, "Okay, the Sphinx will be guarded by you for the next period of time, mechanical Tyrannosaurus, go hunting as soon as possible. Before the Sphinx is built, you have to complete own evolution." Yes. The mechanical Tyrannosaurus lowered its head respectfully, then flapped its wings and flew away quickly. No matter what time it is, both mechanical Greymon and Orc-Geruruman must be left behind. But Locke thought in his heart, the evolution of the Orc-Geruruman will depend on watermilling. By the end of next year, basically the first Night Soul will be conceived. At most, it will be the beginning of the next year. At that time, Omega beasts can be bred. And many more. Locke squinted his eyes, thinking secretly, Omegamon, there must be some restrictions on experience points, right? Seriously. Battle Tyrannosaurus. Steel Geruruman. This is a very popular Digimon, but the problem is, it is extremely rare for an Omega beast to evolve into a Royal Knight through fusion. Of course, this is not because there is only one Omega, except for the Royal Knight's Omega, which is the most special, and there are wild Omega, but the quantity is too rare. It's very possible. Let's see it later. If Omegamon wasn't so easy to evolve. It seems that the problem is not too big. Locke had all sorts of possibilities running through his mind. How to calculate? Seemingly, there are War Greymon and Steel Geruruman, so a family of 3 admirals is basically fine. Never mind. It's not a big problem. Locke kept calm about this, and he was almost thinking about it, so the rest, naturally, there was nothing to think about. I can only say, everything is improving steadily. Locke, a rotten salted fish, is one step closer to becoming a real salted fish. I hope so. I can only say, on the road to becoming a real salted fish, Locke is always full of various obstacles, which is really a headache. Along with a silent sigh, Locke also shook his head helplessly. No idea. I don't even know what to say. Take your time. No matter what kind of bear it is, life is always going on, isn't it? So be it. And, in 7 months, gradually everything returned to calm. It's just a fleeting moment. Chapter 60. Ultimate Dragon Warrior. Battle Tyrannosaurus. Advertise here. See Circle Calendar 1486. June. 7 months. But it is fleeting. For this chaotic sea, sometimes, this is the case, time. It seems to be the least valuable and the least important thing. As time goes by, time flies by at a speed visible to the naked eye. And this is the chaotic world of pirates. With the end of the war in the Valley of the Gods, this chaos has lasted for a long time. Gu la la la. With this familiar and heroic laughter, the iconic white crescent moon seemed to prove his identity. Whitebeard. Edward Newgate. The famous monster on the sea, one of the powerful pirates that once split from the Locke pirates, with great strength, is also one of the best monsters on this sea, but the man standing in front of him is showing with a terrified look, he wailed in pain. Don't want. Forgive me. What? Following the shrill roar, what responded to him was Newgate's raised arm, clenched a fist with one hand, and slammed it into the air fiercely, saying in a ferocious voice, Hey, forgive me. Since you dare to attack Lousy, you must pay the price for what you did. This is the fundamental core of this world. Wave. Empty shock. Following this crisp and pleasant sound, it seemed that at this moment, the entire sea became silent, followed by an instant burst of air, and everything around seemed to collapse in an instant, destroying everything in an instant and destruction. Crackling. The air exploded in an instant, and all the pirates had no chance of surviving under this terrifying blow, so they lost their lives like this. Everyone's body was torn apart, blood mixed and fell on the ground. It gives people a feeling of nausea but also fear. Gu la la la. Newgate was not worth mentioning about this scene. Instead, he laughed boldly and said proudly, "You rubbish. Since you have come to New World and want to challenge Lousy, then I will do it for you. Pay for it." Supernova. Humph. Newgate showed a proud look, the corners of his mouth curled up, full of disdain. Is this the so-called supernova? It's nothing worth mentioning at all. Obviously. In Newgate's eyes, this so-called supernova is not worth mentioning at all. Supernova. As the Locke's pirates came to an end, Marine started a new term. The most powerful pirates entering the New World every year are supernovas, and these supernovas are often watched by major forces. Actually, according to Locke, this is the so-called killing. Seriously. Look at Luffy and others, you can see that it sounds nice to call it 11 supernovas, but in fact, it's just 11 weak chickens. It's all about each rubbish. Because of this group of garbage gathered together, even if they enter the New World, they will basically die. Marine has given these supernovas the reputation, and these supernovas are naturally floating. When they enter the New World, they will challenge these old people. A generation of strong men, that time has come. He. So, everything is completely different, basically dead, and for Marine, he has no definite loss at all. Anyway, Lousy himself is just killing him, and now he is also killing him. If this is the case, you are dead, then everything is naturally over. This is Marine's method. It is undeniable that this is definitely a good method, and the word supernova naturally brings a group of crazy guys. For example, this kid who became a supernova this year has just entered New World. It's time to challenge Newgate. Seriously, isn't this just looking for death? But anyone with a little brain knows that you came to challenge like this. Brother, is there something wrong with your brain? So, under such circumstances, as long as you are not an idiot, then basically they all understood what was going on, and Newgate would not show mercy to this kind of brat who dared himself. MMP. You don't think Lousy is a talkative person, do you? Lousy will kill you directly. Cut. Newgate curled his lips in disdain, while at the side, the young man with a long knife quietly dealt with his opponent, then shook the long knife in his hand, walked over step by step, and said seriously, "Father, we should go back. The time is almost up. Uncle told us that in 7 or 8 days, the Sphinx will be completely completed. If you are not there when it is completed, it is really not good. Cut. Newgate was quite upset. He waved his hands indifferently, and said with his nose in displeasure, "Really? Lousy nose. Remind me, Locke, this guy is like a reminder, this kind of thing. Is Lousy here? It's nothing to worry about. Just let Locke handle it himself, really." Ah, the corners of Lacchio's mouth also twitched, seeing his father's appearance of letting go of himself more and more. He said helplessly, "Dad, you still have to go back. Although Uncle said that he could handle all this, but if you don't go back, is it still not very good? Besides, what if something bad happens? You'd better go back." Yes. Standing beside Lacchio, Beasta is also quite helpless. "My father is really good at everything, but I really don't know how to deal with this problem. There is no way. My father, it has always been like this. What can I do about this situation?" "No idea, Daddy. Yes, you still have to go back." Yes. On the side, Belle and Squid also hurried over to persuade their father. In the past 7 months, Belle, Lacchio, Vista, and Squid, one of these 4 little guys won, with almost 150 little guys over the age of 12. They all went out to sea. Anyway, the Moby Dick is enough. Locke's original idea for these little guys, keeping them at home, it is to let them lay a good foundation, and their foundation is basically already in place. That's natural. There is no need for Locke to keep them at home, and let Lousy go out to hone them one by one. Before leaving, Locke reminded his elder brother, "Don't be a babysitter. It is the most important thing to honestly let these stinky boys hone. If they fail to hone, and finally become dad bounden, then it is not for their benefit, but for their harm. So say it. Sometimes, that's the case. You really need to let them hone these things, and even more so, let them grow, otherwise. Isn't each child useless? This is an extremely important thing. Locke is definitely not joking about this." Quote ? Newgate looked at how the little devils in his family were persuading him one by one, curled his lips, and complained. "You little devils, what are you talking to Lousy here? That's our boat. That's Lousy's home. Of course Lousy wants to go back and have a look. Lousy just said that even if Lousy is not there is nothing wrong with just Locke, that's all. Up. Okay, Dad. Oh hoo, it's back. Roar." One by one the little ones roared immediately, they were all very excited. Going home, Going home, for orphans like them, they were adopted by Newgate, and they all had families. They have a father who loves them, an uncle who is always lazy but very serious and scary, and although he is always cold, he is always a big sister who is good for himself and others. That is needless to say, many brothers and sisters. They don't have a home, so what is the purpose of each of them working so hard? Just to have a better home, and now, everyone is smiling very happily, it is really too joyful. It is the future home of myself and others. Clatter, clatter. With the sound of the waves churning, the Moby Dick is gradually heading towards the distance. They are going back, going home. This is the happiest time for everyone. Everyone is full of expectations. These orphans, these abandoned dregs, these people who have lost everything, now finally have everything again. Family, family, and finally home. This is the happiest and most joyful time for everyone. Gu la la la. Feeling the joy of these little guys, Newgate also let out a heroic laugh. Such a group of cute little guys. No matter what time it is, they are so joyful. Because these children are like this. This is what I have always been looking for. That is the most important family. For me, no matter when, no matter what the reason, the most important thing is only the family. Everything else is of no importance to me. Boys, oh sons of lousy, go home, oh who. Everyone roared with joy and excitement. Everyone raised their arms and shouted crazily. Everyone roared crazily. They are finally going home, excited little devils, tears in the corners of their eyes. It even dripped down. The Moby Dick is gradually returning home. The other side. Hurry up. There. Check carefully. No questions allowed. Yes, the entire Sphinx Island is very busy. This time, the Edward brothers have recruited a total of nearly 180,000 people. From the beginning, there were only 100,000 people, but in the end, not enough. Locke also waved his hand and recruited 80,000 people again. Not only the speed but also the quality is very fast. Therefore, as long as the money is enough, the quality that these people can display is absolutely terrifying. Same. The movements of the Sphinx are getting bigger and bigger, and the same. There are more and more things happening. Naturally, whether it is other pirate groups or naval headquarters, many people have discovered the problem here. In a month's time, naturally, some people have already started to come to the door. Caesar's claw. The blood-red sharp claws slashed across the figure in front of him in an instant, and he was torn apart in an instant, while the orc Geruruman drew a perfect arc in midair and landed directly on the ground. In an instant, that wolf leg swept across directly. The powerful energy blade went straight to the opponent. Crescent scimitar. As soon as the attack fell, the orc Geruruman had already stepped on the ground, and at an even more terrifying speed, it went straight to the opponent in the distance. Launched a fierce continuous offensive towards the enemy. With the armament hockey attached, the explosive attack will only make people feel endlessly terrified, and it is impossible to resist. Baldy blow. The orc Geruruman is like an assassin running on the battlefield and a war harvesting machine. In a short period of time, a large number of enemies have fallen under his hands. He wasn't an opponent at all, and it didn't make any sense at all except for the howls of pain and the screams of death. Snapped. Harvested one opponent after another, while the orc Geruruman stood on the deck of a pirate ship, looking around with sharp eyes, full of terrifying killing intent. This pirate ship is like a giant tree. It looks like a giant tree. It feels weird, as if a tree grew out of a pirate ship, really. It feels extremely strange. World tree. This is the pirate ship specially built for Locke, just like the Moby Dick suitable for my brother, and this world tree is specially built for Locke by Chuanling and others. An exclusive ship built exclusively for Locke. Orc Geruruman. Damn it. Is it that strong? It's like a monster. Damn it. However, these slaughtered pirates roared angrily. They never imagined that the strength of these people would be so terrifying. Completely. Not at all. Have any thoughts? Pity. The fact is that before their eyes, their overall strength is very good. After entering the New World for several years, they have also developed into a big pirate. They have witnessed it with their own eyes. After that, the entire New World ushered in the era of the coexistence of heroes, and they also grew rapidly and gradually matured in this era of coexistence of heroes. For a mighty pirate. And they also seized the opportunity this time. In their view, Newgate is not in Sphinx at all, and Sphinx is simply a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. They came here, but pity, no money is good. The final result is that they are almost powerless to fight back against the attack of the orc Geruruman, as if they have become a group of pure garbage. In the same way, the one who was directly beheaded was not an opponent of the same level at all. Result. This is not. It's right in front of you. Humph. The orc Geruruman just let out a cold snort, stood on the deck of the world tree, and stared sharply at everyone in front of him. He didn't pay attention to these opponents at all. But absolutely can't be too careless, otherwise, there will be many accidents. Main idea. It is always the most deadly thing, and it must not be too careless. And, as predicted, just at this moment, search. 7 or 8 figures suddenly rushed out from under the surface of the sea, and these people's strength is extremely strong. Although the strength of each of them is not as strong as the orc Geruruman, but Together, they are not weak, especially. These guys, without the slightest spirit of a strong man, directly launched a beating. For this scene, Locke gave a like, very good. This is right, just kidding. We are not in a one-on-one match. Come on, we are opponents. It's war. If you want to go to war, the best way is to defeat, kill, and destroy your opponent by any means. This is the most important thing. It's really a good method. It's a pity, Fox. It's useless. Locke crossed his legs and remained calm throughout. Next moment, search. A figure suddenly turned into a stream of air and soared into the sky, while the orc Geruruman took a step back and followed closely behind. The power, however, swept across the entire battlefield in an instant. Battle Tornado. Chapter 61. The world's #1 ship of legendary quality, the Sphinx. Battle Greymon. Ultimate Body. Dragonoid. The strongest dragon warrior wearing the super metal, chrome Digizoid, armor is different from the tall figure of the perfect body, but has shrunk to a height of only 3 meters, but whether it is speed, strength, attack, or defense, there has been a real super evolutionary improvement in all aspects. It can be said, the strength of the battle Tyrannosaurus has been raised to an extremely terrifying level, of course. It makes Locke feel that it is a pity that this is only a battle Tyrannosaurus, not a war god Tyrannosaurus, but think about it for a while. That can be Locke doesn't think it's surprising that the god of war Tyrannosaurus, which is holding up the energy and strength of Millennium Beast, is a lot of power, isn't it? At least a little bit beyond the power of the World Tree. To this, Locke sighed that the power that human children can exert is really full of unbelievable. It seems to be endless, and at this moment, the battle Tyrannosaurus still has a real admiral super strength, even compared to the strength of his elder brother Whitebeard. At most, it is a 4-6. It can be seen from here, how terrifying the strength of Omegamon will be in the future. However, to be honest, is Omegamon itself very strong? It is purely like nonsense. Omegamon is very strong, but not invincible. The really powerful ones are Omegamon X, Omegamon Mercy Form, and so on. The special forms of these Omegamons are extremely terrifying, and the X-form Omegamons are truly powerful. The power to destroy the world, as for the compassionate form of Omega Beast. According to Locke's research and inference, the owner is probably almost equal to the power of the World Tree. To put it bluntly, it is equivalent to the power of the Creator God. It is also quite outrageous. And many more. And many more. Locke withdrew his divergent thinking, and set his sights on the battlefield. It was purely a unilateral retreat, that's right. It's not an opponent at the same level at all, completely, can only say. There is no comparison at all. Boom. The super high-speed rotating orange tornado represents the power of the battle Tyrannosaurus. In a very short time, a large number of pirates have been killed instantly, including the pirate ship. They were all destroyed in an instant. Brush. Everything returned to calm, and the battle Tyrannosaurus was floating in midair. Its eyes were full of arrogance, that Haki's full eyes seemed to tell everyone that this is a qualified fighter, and when Agumon evolved into a battle Tyrannosaurus, at this time it has become an extremely qualified fighter. Battle Greymon. Everything is handled cleanly. Let's go back. It is good. The battle Tyrannosaurus went straight to the Sphinx and flew back, while the orc Geruruman stepped on the World Tree and walked towards the Sphinx quietly. It can be said that the two dealt with such a battle. It is very familiar, even said. Very skilled. After all, with the gradual expansion of the Sphinx and the imminent completion of the project, a lot of things that have not been hidden are gradually exposed, and 5 months ago, the mechanical Tyrannosaurus only had 10% of the experience bar left. After supplementing, it completely evolved into a battle Tyrannosaurus. At that moment, it has been proved that the incomparable strength of a battle Tyrannosaurus is just so human. It can be said, during the past 5 months, my brother was able to wander outside every day, but the Sphinx was unscathed. This is the credit of the fighting Tyrannosaurus, otherwise, how could it be so easy? Brush. Front feet and rear feet. Battle Greymon descended from the sky, and Orc Geruruman also jumped up from a distance and landed on the ground. Lord Locke. Hearing the voice of the two beasts, Locke nodded with a smile and said, "You guys handled it well, take a good rest, by the way. Battle Tyrannosaurus. Next, what you need to do is to feel the power of courage, but what exactly is this? I am not particularly clear, you need to study it yourself." Yes, Lord Locke. The battle Tyrannosaurus lowered its head respectfully. When it evolved from the mechanical Tyrannosaurus to the battle Tyrannosaurus, it already felt that it can continue to become stronger through fighting alone, but it's too slow, even saying. This is almost impossible, and because of this, the fighting Tyrannosaurus is also understanding what it needs to do to go further. Sentiment. Just like the sword beast can become stronger through practice, but the efficiency of battle Tyrannosaurus simply replenishing experience points in battle is too low, but it needs to be realized gradually, and the power of courage is realized. Same. Locke also understands. No wonder the number of wild Omega beasts is pitifully small, and most of them are wandering Vizettes, after all. The power of darkness is easier to obtain, as long as you give up everything you have. Abandoning one's own reason can be done, and this is the fundamental core reason. And if you want to evolve into a real Omega, what do you need? Courage. Friendship. That's right. When Tai and Ahe are constantly summoned, their badges are these two powers, and only the Battle Greymon and Steel Geruruman possessing these two powers can truly integrate and evolve into Omegamon, otherwise words. No matter how powerful you are, even if you can further improve yourself, you still cannot fit into an Omega Beast. This is the most fundamental core reason. Really. Locke's complaint about this is, it's basically exactly the same as what Lousy guessed. Sure enough, Royal Knights are not so easy to evolve, especially Digimon like Uncle Ao and Sister Fa. It would be strange if it was really so easy. A bit. Locke just complained about this, but he didn't get too entangled, it doesn't matter. Take your time, after all, I just complain about all this, the problem is really not big. Just kidding, the Battle Tyrannosaurus, although it may not be possible to fit into an Omega Beast in a short time, so what? This is also a real Admiral level combat power, plus the Orc Geruruman, the Steel Geruruman that will evolve in the future, isn't that two Admiral level combat powers? Okay. Even if they have been unable to comprehend power and friendship, can't Lousy use the Knight's soul to evolve Sword Beast? Knight Lord Beast, isn't that one of the Royal Knights too? According to Locke's estimation, the ordinary ultimate body is basically equivalent to the serious Admiral class such as Sakazuki, Pelusilino, Kuzan, Yishao, and Huangmu, and the equivalent of the Royal Knight is basically Luo at his peak. Monster-like guys like Jia, Newgate, and Shiki, that is, in the original book, Newgate and Luo Jia were fighting against each other for 3 days and 3 nights according to their strength. As for higher levels, such as Omega Beasts, Alpha Beasts, these top Royal Knights are almost equal to the power of Locke's. For sure, as for the division of strength, more or less, anyway, the difference is not bad, Locke thinks it is probably like that. Correct. Locke seemed to have thought of something, and asked, Lilith, is brother back? Standing next to Locke is Lilith. After 7 months, she has developed again. As the big sister of the entire Whitebeard pirates, Lilith is even more perfect and taller. She nodded and said, Uncle, Dad has already returned, counting the time, he should be returning soon. Gu la 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 tilde operator tilde operator tilde operator. Result. Before Locke could continue to ask, he heard the familiar loud laughter from a distance. Locke stood up from the deck chair and watched the huge whale-headed pirate ship galloping towards him in the distance. It was the Moby Dick, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and whispered softly, it's finally back. It's really not easy. He. With a slight smile, Locke's figure jumped up and disappeared without a trace in an instant, and the follower Locke left was the figure of the Orc Geruruman, as for the Battle Greymon. Ever since it evolved into Battle Greymon, in fact, Battle Greymon has learned the power of courage 80% of the time, unless there are Orcs Geruruman is not an opponent, just like this time, otherwise, it would never make a move, but gave all the experience points to the Orc Geruruman. This is a very important thing, at least. For the Orc Geruruman, the accumulation of experience points in the past 5 months is very amazing. In just 5 months, a full 60% of the experience points have been accumulated. Value, the remaining 40% can be completely evolved soon if nothing happens. Distance. Clatter. Clatter. With the sound of churning waves, the huge whale pirate ship, the Moby Dick, has gradually approached, and standing on the ship, a group of little guys are full of shock, afraid of being beside the ship, looking in disbelief at the Sphinx in front of me who has only been away for a few months, the world has turned upside down. What was the Sphinx like in the past? The center of the Sphinx is a hill, and the 2 sides are just plains. It is a very strange shape, but now the Sphinx is completely different, No, it should not be said to be completely it is different, but it should be said that earth-shaking transformation has taken place, this TM is no longer a thing. A huge transformation has taken place completely, this is no longer a change, but a complete transformation. It is not an exaggeration to transform the bottom into 10 other things. The Sphinx in front of you. Of course. Before that, it needs to be mentioned, what exactly is a Sphinx? Sphinx. This is the name of the Sphinx, and the Sphinx Island in front of me has been completely transformed into a huge Sphinx. With the original Sphinx Island as the center, it has been transformed into a real Sphinx. It can be said that just looking at it is a completely unparalleled feeling of shock. 0. Seeking flowers. A Sphinx sitting on the ground made everyone feel shocked, and the huge head, of course. It is not the head of a human woman, but the head of a roaring lion, just. The lion's the head has 2 beard-like upward arcs, not only that. There is also a world tree pattern on the forehead. There are 2 huge wings on both sides. Judging from the appearance, it is even impossible to see how this huge Sphinx is going to enter, how can I put it? It's not that it's grown a circle, but it's not an exaggeration to say that it has grown 2 circles. If the former Sphinx could only accommodate hundreds of thousands of people, then the current Sphinx can at least accommodate millions of people. Of course, this is only from the outside, the inside. There must be many procedures, many positions after transformation, all of these are beyond doubt, this. 1 point. Definitely the root cause. Brother. You're finally back. At this time, Locke suddenly appeared on the Moby Dick, looking at Newgate as very helpless. This guy. It really makes people wonder what to say. Good guy. You really have been wandering outside for 7 full months. The whole Sphinx, you never came back. Gu la 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 tilde operator tilde operator tilde operator. Although Newgate was smiling boldly, he also felt quite embarrassed, and said carelessly, Locke. Aren't you responsible for these matters? You handle these matters. Things. Lousy is also very relieved. There will never be any problems. Quote. Okay. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. The ship spirit is waiting for us to come back, hurry up. Gu la la la. Newgate laughed, and it was the driver of the Moby Dick, who went straight to the Sphinx in front of him. On the way, he was quite curious, what is going on with this Sphinx? Click, click, see. The left front foot of the Sphinx is gradually opened, this is a channel. In fact, the left foot and the right foot of the Sphinx are 2 channels, and after entering the channel, the interior of Newgate was displayed in an instant. It was completely brightly lit. It should be completely dark inside, but no darkness could be seen. Locke explained. The material is transparent wood, from the outside you can't see the inside, but from the inside you can see the outside. Materials, and several other projects, the defense of the entire Sphinx looks very amazing, generally speaking. The bombardment of artillery fire is basically useless, of course. Exclamation mark. This is just the first process. Over the past year, I have called a lot of scientists. Quote. And, after research, these scientists have also developed a defensive barrier system. The defensive power of the defensive barrier is also amazing. All in all, under the blessing of 2 or 2. The defensive power that can be exerted is absolutely amazing enough. Quote. Listening to Locke's explanation, Newgate and everyone else nodded very seriously with a clear look. It doesn't matter whether you understand it or not, anyway, just nod and it's over, Locke continued to explain. Besides that, the whole Sphinx has a lot of new functions. Yes, these functions are very complicated, here is the manual. As Locke said, he took out a manual with a thickness of 5 centimeters, and looking at this manual, everyone present was stunned. What is this? Damn it. This T. What is M? At this time, the Moby Dick is also gradually docking, and what is in front of me is the interior of the remodeled Sphinx, filled with various buildings. This is not so much a pirate group, but it would be more appropriate to say that it is a complete city. To roughly describe it, it is probably to surround the Sphinx in the center, build a huge shell of the Sphinx, and there is still seawater around these. The seawater area is where pirate ships can dock one by one, and this is probably the most appropriate description. As for the many functions inside, to this, Locke can only say that this really requires professionals to explain, otherwise. Just want to explain it yourself. That is absolutely impossible. No matter from any aspect, this proves one thing. The Sphinx is definitely an extremely terrifying legendary pirate ship. Putting it here is to tell everyone what its status and the meaning of existence are. Chapter 62. Ship Spirit, Sphinx. Juvenile fossa and Whitey Bay, subdue them. Advertise here. What? Correct. Locke seemed to have thought of something, and suddenly said, in general, the Sphinx, there is really no need to doubt it, it is good anywhere. This is absolutely beyond doubt, but there is one of the biggest, if not the worst, problems. What is the problem? Newgate and the other little devils are all very curious. They really can't figure out what is wrong with such a perfect Sphinx. No matter what they think, it seems that there is no problem at all. Locke explained calmly. Although the Sphinx has no problems, the biggest problem is that it can't move. The entire Sphinx has no power, and all the internal devices and there is no power to support the Sphinx to walk, so. It is not a problem as a base camp, but if it is used as a pirate ship, it seems not to be good, because it cannot move. What? Listening to Locke's words, everyone's eyes widened in bewilderment. What the hell? Nima, Lousy built a pirate ship, it must be because this pirate ship is useful. If this pirate ship can't even move, then, Lousy wants this pirate ship to be useful. But, Belle, a clever kid, thought for a while, and then asked, Uncle, is there something wrong with this? It can't be like this. It's pointless to build a pirate ship if it can't move. Thing. Locke nodded, and said with a smile, that's true. What I said basically applies to any pirate ship. Our Sphinx, as long as it can move, has amazing defense. Destroy the power is amazing. On the sea, whether it is climbing up the waterfall, or going down into the deep, 697, sea is a submarine, these. There is no problem at all. Everyone nodded seriously, and Locke continued to explain. So, in terms of power, if it is an ordinary power, it is unrealistic. According to our technology, it is impossible to achieve this at all, and even if it is realized, it is impossible to have such a huge power source, the only way is the ship spirit. 17. Uncle, did you mean the ship spirit? And Belle remembered something, and said the same words almost at the same time as Locke. Snapped. Locke snapped his fingers and said with a smile, not bad. Not bad. Ah, Bell. What you said is not wrong, but the fundamental core lies in the ship spirit. The power of the ship spirit is that it can perfectly control the ship and gradually repair the damaged ship. As long as the Sphinx can give birth to the ship spirit, then everything will not be any problem. It is even said that the Sphinx is the most powerful ship in the world, even if Pluton, one of the ancient weapons in 800, may not be rival of the Sphinx. Locke said very seriously, what the entire Sphinx lacks now is a ship elf. As long as it has a ship elf, then the entire Sphinx, as if injected with life, will instantly. It was extremely perfect. Newgate asked curiously, the ship elf. Ghost knows. Locke shrugged and said, this is not something I can handle. You need to ask the ship spirit and see what the ship spirit has to say. Worth to talk about. The entire Sphinx used to have a total of 180,000 people who worked, but now, basically, almost all of them have been dismissed. Where did they come from and where did they go? For more than a year, each of them was no less money, as for those shipwrights in the ship's grave. He. People don't want money, even for these cultists, Locke said. With the gradual completion of the Sphinx, they have become more and more crazy. Just don't die. They just want to see it now. They want to watch the Sphinx sailing on the sea, even if they let them die. This is the most perfect, most luxurious, and top-notch ship they have built in their entire life. For many people, it may simply be incomprehensible. For shipbuilders, craftsmen, swordsmiths, etc., as long as they can complete such a job in their whole life, for them, this life is worth it, even if they die immediately, even speaking. For crazy guys like Ship Spirit, Locke is extremely suspicious. As long as these crazy guys can complete a pirate ship like the Sphinx, even if they kill their father, kill my mother, even kill my whole family, these guys will not hesitate. Ah, cultists. Sure enough, it's scary enough. Locke secretly muttered about this matter in his heart. It is undeniable that these guys are really a group of crazy guys, of course. What must be admitted is that these crazy guys are the ones who can really make the best something to come. Soon, a group of people came to the very center of the Sphinx. This is a place similar to a huge conference room. The whole building is here for the future. If there is any discussion in the future, in a word, it is a face project, so it is more suitable. Chuan Ling and the others gathered here, and when they saw the arrival of the Edward brothers Locke and Newgate, they all roared excitedly. Snapped. Chuan Ling, a half-dead old guy, walked like flying, and ran over with 3 steps and 2 steps. Those who didn't know his appearance thought this guy was only in his teens or 20s. The ship spirit ran over directly, and said excitedly, Great. You are finally back, Mr. Newgate. Mr. Locke. There is no need to talk about the matter, the entire Sphinx, now it is only the last step. That is the ship elf. As long as the ship elf can be activated, then the Sphinx will be the most perfect and powerful ship in this world, and it will never appear again. Quote. But, as long as it fails. Ah Bell went on to say something, and the boat spirit didn't feel any annoyance. Instead, he took off the weird mask and said very seriously, even very calmly, if you fail, then go to die. Old man don't care about everything else, for such a failure, this is a failure that this old man absolutely cannot accept. Talking. The boat spirit has already led everyone to the depths of the conference hall. In the depths of the conference hall, they entered it. This is a wall as white as jade. On this wall, there is a beautiful light, that is the pirate pattern carved out of the Whitebeard pirates, constructed with jet black lines on the clean white wall, or in other words, this is itself a wall made of jade. The ship spirit carefully took out a small box from the cloak, opened the box carefully, and there were some jet black inside the box, as if it was burnt out plant ash, but just take it out, is to give people a very strange feeling full of life. The ship spirit carefully smeared the icon of the Whitebeard pirates on the wall, and explained softly, these plant ashes the old man who spent so many years in the ship's grave, and collected a ship with a ship spirit. After burning, the little essence left behind is the last possibility left by the ship elf, and for these essences, it is absolutely possible to activate the ship elf of a new ship normally, just. What this needs is your approval of this ship. If you, as the master, do not approve of this ship, then everything is meaningless. Without waiting for the ship spirit to finish speaking, he just carefully smeared the ship spirit plant ash on the sign in his hand, and the next moment, a dazzling light burst out, and immediately after, a small figure emerged from it out. It is very cute, about the size of a 3 or 5-year-old child, holding a small wooden hammer, wearing an umbrella, and can't see what is under the umbrella, but its cuteness, and this feeling of home tells everyone its identity. Ship elf. It worked. Great. Yes, everyone, headed by Chuan Ling, started screaming crazily in an instant. It succeeded. It was such a simple success, even to say. There is no suspense at all. But, this is not important anymore, yes. At the very least, for them, this is not an important thing at all, they just don't care at all. Success is the best. They have exhausted their entire life's efforts and finally succeeded up. Roar. Ah, each of them is roaring from the heart and from the soul, while Locke watched this scene, and walked towards the ship elf step by step, smiling and asked, I call you a Sphinx, is that okay? Locke. Sphinx smiled and said. I like this name very much. In other words, this is the name that should belong to me. I finally met you. Thank you. Whether it is Locke or Newgate, you are all good boy. I watched you solve everything on this island step by step with my own eyes, and saw that you returned to this island and brought back many very good children. I thought, I can only live forever looking at you quietly like this, just. One day, we actually met in this way. He. The ship elf floated in midair, looking around back and forth. That gentle smile gave people the feeling of being a mother. It gradually landed on Locke's shoulders, and Locke supported the ship elves seemed to understand what's going on. I see. Locke understood something clearly, and listening to the conversation, the ship spirit became even more crazy and said excitedly, so it is. So it is. So it is. You are the spirit of the island. You are the spirit of this island. The elves of the Sphinx Island. So, as the Sphinx Island was transformed into a pirate ship, this was born directly, the ash of the ship elf. No, it doesn't work at all. This kind of thing is for you, it is of no use at all. The boat spirit was so excited that it was about to jump up. This three-eyed man in his 70s and 80s really made people wonder if he didn't come up in one breath because of being too excited, and then passed directly. I'm just worried. But, facts have proved that the old man Chuanling is really very strong. For him, he can't die. It's not the time yet. If he died here, it would really be a lifetime, and he would never forgive himself. And Sphinx nodded when he heard the words of the boat spirit. Yes. I have watched these children for a long time, until now. I thought it would just disappear like this, just disappear forever, and finally, but in this way, he came to life again. It feels really amazing. The Sphinx tilts his head cutely, obviously he looks like a child, but it feels like an elderly mother. Personally, he feels as gentle as water, which is like a mother a feeling of. Or, Sphinx called it the mother of everyone present. No. The elders are definitely very suitable. After all, the existence of Sphinx itself is already completely different from other ship elves. So, there is no need to think about everything else. All in all, with the birth of the Sphinx, the entire Sphinx has been completely perfected. This is the real #1 ship in the world, even to say. Call it absolute perfection, it is not for nothing, just pass it. But Chuanling and the others became more and more excited, and now they are starting to rest. After all, the ship has been built, and it is time to leave. For these lunatic shipbuilders, this life is enough. Sagia is worth a lifetime. This is what they think. For them, this life. Everything else is not important, all they care about is this one, and that is such a ship. Now, their dreams and everything is over. If you look carefully, you will even find that many of them suddenly seem to have become countless times older. That feeling, it really gives people a very wonderful feeling, even to say. It makes people feel a different feeling from the heart. Locke, what's wrong? Locke turned his head, looked at his elder brother, and said strangely, the Sphinx has no problems. Next, we should also prepare to set sail, after all. This world is so big, don't you plan to go out and have a look? Gu la la la. Listening to Locke's words, Newgate laughed boldly and said excitedly, Locke. You are a family of 2.5, I thought you wouldn't like to go out. Locke nodded calmly and said, I don't like to go out, and I didn't go out either. Only the Sphinx was sailing, and I didn't go out either. The most is to see which island looks good at that time, so go out and have a look. Listening to what Locke said, the corners of Newgate's mouth twitched. Okay. What you said is really not wrong, isn't this just moving your home to the sea, and then you can travel to sea anytime and anywhere? Newgate then said, Locke. In the past 7 months, Lousy has adopted a lot of adoptive sons, which step should we start? What? Mentioning this matter, Locke rubbed his chin, thinking, this step should start. After all, we are already preparing to set sail, if we don't start, as these children continue to grow, it is not easy to continue. Newgate also nodded very seriously. It is undeniable that this matter. It really needs to be dealt with properly, but Locke stopped and said, that's right. These 7 months, brother. You a total of 130 children were sent back, and now we have almost 500 children in our family. Gu la la la. Is it all that much? Newgate didn't understand at all, and with a grinning grin, Locke continued, and among them. The 2 children with the best qualifications are the 2 children, Whitebeard and Fossa. They will be well trained in the future, and the vice admiral level will not be a problem. Infancy, Whitey Bay. Childhood, Fossa, Conquer. Chapter 63. Fossa, Hot Fruit. Lilith's sister, Locke's peak at the Tree of Omniscience. 3 months ago, my elder brother sent Whitey Bay here, a girl with ice blue long hair and a cold and arrogant personality. She was proud and arrogant, but after being educated by Lilith, she understood, she sensible, she obediently obedient. A month ago, my elder brother sent Fossa over here. Compared with Whitebeard, he looks like a child, but Fossa is different. He is only 11 or 12 years old, but what happened? It looks real old enough. Very old, and even a Mediterranean hairstyle at such a young age. But compared with the proud little girl like Whitebeard, Fossa is much more honest. Besides, Locke also discovered a strange thing recently. When Lilith returned to the Drum Kingdom to bring back some medical books, something seemed to happen. As a result, this time, the child Lilith seemed to be always sullen. Locke didn't know what happened, so he asked a little bit, but Lilith didn't seem to want to say anything. Simply, Locke didn't ask too much. It's not that he doesn't care about Lilith, but the reason is very simple. Every child has every child's heart. If they are willing to speak, then naturally speak out. If not, if you ask more questions, it will bring problems instead. Daddy, uncle, said Sao will be here. Whitebeard, Fosa, the two little guys walked over quickly. Whitey looked at Newgate, ran over happily, and said with a smile, Father, are you back? Gu la la la. Newgate rubbed Whitey Bay's little head, and said with a big smile, Lousy is back. Whitey Bay, how do you feel these past few months? Whitey said very well behaved. Father, I am very well behaved. Every day is to study hard and exercise hard to make myself stronger, so that I can protect my father and uncle in the future. Humph. At the end, Whitey Bay snorted arrogantly. Locke is very used to this scene. Well, I'm used to small problems, and I don't know if I have a problem, or say. There is a problem with my situation, I always feel obedient, what the hell? These little girls in my family are always very afraid of me, and a proud look. Locke is very calm about this, just kidding. Small problems, if Lousy cares about these, then it is not Lousy. Not that Locke wasn't interested in women. Mainly what? Locke is really not interested in the little girls of his niece generation, what do you mean? He messed with his niece generation. And then he became his brother's son-in-law. Damn, that would be really embarrassing. Locke can't do such a shameful thing, anyway. Locke is really not interested in these things, go away. Go away. Besides, Locke is a person. Locke is not the kind of bastard who can't walk when he sees a woman. It is undeniable, having a harem is something that every man likes very much. But what Locke likes is to have a harem and a crystal palace, not when stallion. Then TM is not alone. Anyway, no matter what other time travelers and reborn people think, Locke absolutely can't do such a thing. I'm a human being, not a beast. In Locke's view, many trash protagonists, after time traveling, they can no longer be called human beings, they have lost all their emotions, and the feeling they give people cannot be called yin at all. What? It's almost enough to complain here. Locke is too lazy to complain, there is nothing more to say, this is not a big problem anyway, small meaning. Small meaning. What kind of problem is this? It is not a big problem at all. He. Regarding the different treatment of Whitey Bay, Locke just smiled and touched the dog's head, and said with a smile, Whitey Bay. Little girl, you remember, brother, this person is crazy, and most of the time he doesn't have time to deal with it. There are many things, so I say it. Little guy, you are basically under my control, so I say it. You'd better pay attention, otherwise. Tisk tisk tisk. I heard that Lilith is not in a good mood recently, if you mess with me. Uncle, it's my fault. You are the best. Whitey is so flexible. He just hugged Locke, and his whole body looks extremely cute, and that cute look is the same as if he was not alone just now, it's completely different. Ha ha ha. Gu la la la. Seeing Whitey Bay's cute appearance, both Locke and Newgate couldn't help laughing, and Whitey Bay's heart was MMP, but his mouth was smiling, there's no way. People are under the eaves, I have to bow my head, I can only bow my head to the evil forces silently, otherwise. If there is a quarrel or a fight, the one who suffers must be myself. So, silently put down his noble head, and wait until the future has a chance to fight back. Okay. Locke continued to smile and pat the dog's head and rubbed Whitebeard's little head, while looking at Fosa, he thought about it and said, Fosa, your uncle, I prepared a devil fruit for you, it's just right. Just wait a moment, call Lilith over, let me ask, Lilith, how is your physical condition? If there is no problem, then this devil fruit is for you. Okay, uncle, compared to Whitby, Fosa is very honest. He looks like a bad boy with a Mediterranean hairstyle and started smoking cigars at a young age, but Fosa is unexpectedly very honest, most of the time it looks like a good baby. Beasta, Lakyo, Bell, Skuyad, including Wadib. These little guys are skinnier than each other, and each of them is like a group of monkeys, always like to make all kinds of messes, especially for Lilith's body plan. That's called dissatisfaction, even that. That's quite dissatisfaction. Because of this, the child Fosa has always looked like a bad boy, but instead very good boy too. He. Locke looked at Fosa, chuckled and praised. He is really a good boy. Whitey Bay, look at Fosa. Whitey just snorted arrogantly, and looked indifferent to all of this. Locke didn't care either, but Whitey asked curiously, Uncle, is there no devil fruit for me? Locke rubbed his chin and said, I don't have a devil fruit that suits you right now. According to my opinion, the devil fruit that is most suitable for you little girl, Whitey, must be Logia, frozen fruit. At least it has to be Logia, snow fruit, just. These two devil fruits are not in our hands for the time being, and I don't know where these two devil fruits are, So let's say, empty your devil fruits a little bit, and wait until you leave the voyage, I am looking for you specifically. Joke. Lousy's niece, is the devil fruit he ate some rubbish? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Locke will never allow such a thing to happen. Just like Squad, Lousy will find the best for his nephew and niece proper devil fruit, as for those rubbish devil fruit. That is absolutely impossible. Look at the devil fruit eaten by these nephews and nieces in my family. Lacchio. Paramesha Locke fruit. Little Aussie. Paramesha mini fruit. Ah Bell. Zone cat fruit phantom beast species griffin type. These devil fruits are either the most suitable, or the top devil fruits, anyway. The devil fruits that Locke prepared for these little guys in his family, no joke. Not one of them is a weak devil fruit, let alone. Among the devil fruits obtained by Jagu, there are no low-level devil fruits. All in all, even if Locke can't get the frozen fruit, at least snow fruit is prepared for Whitey Bay. Although it is said to be the lower fruit of the frozen fruit, but that is also Logia. Train hard and eat it a Logia devil fruit, in terms of power. I am afraid there is no need to say more. What? You mean Monet's strength? Then TM is purely because Monet is a trash. You can't just say that Logia devil fruit is trash just because Monet is trash. Look at Caribou's marsh fruit. Good guy, that's trash among trash. Then it's purely a matter of personal development, otherwise. Can you say that Logia devil fruit is rubbish? This is clearly inappropriate. Soon, Whitey Bay followed Newgate and left, while Fosa stayed behind. On the other side, with the sound of high heels stepping on the ground, Lilith walked over step by step. Only, Lilith's expression is always the same. It looks very stiff, different from the usual calm and mature, but full of stiffness, or to say. Lilith has something on her mind, but what is it? Nothing, people know it. Originally, Locke didn't intend to ask too much, just seeing Lilith like this has already affected his daily life. Because of this, Locke still said softly, Lilith, I know your condition is not very good. Well, since returning to the Drum Kingdom once, your condition has been getting worse and worse. Tell me about Fosa's physical condition, and then you can directly talk about what is going on with your situation. Tet. Lilith looked at Locke with her big beautiful eyes, lowered her head silently, and said in a very soft voice, Fosa's body has recovered, and it is maintained very well, there will be no problems, quote. Okay. Locke waved his hand, and said, Fosa, this devil fruit is for you, Paramesha hot fruit, 7 devil fruits are very suitable for you. Locke handed the devil fruit to Fosa, and Fosa took the devil fruit and ate it gulpingly, but his complexion quickly became very ugly, although he still insisted on eating it, but said sadly, Uncle. This devil fruit is really unpalatable. Locke said with a smile. Devil fruit has the same taste, all right. Prepare well, there are still things to do next, and we will set sail soon. Okay, Uncle. Fosa also knew what Sister Lilith was going to say, and then she left. As Fosa left, Locke continued to ask, Lilith, tell me. What's going on? Talking. Locke randomly found a place in the meeting room and sat down, while Lilith walked up to Locke, seemingly hesitating to speak. Locke gentle, said, Lilith, you don't need to do this, you are my family, you are my niece, you don't need to do this. This is not a good thing, let's talk about it, why? If it can be solved, then it must be solved as soon as possible, otherwise, it will be a problem if it continues to be delayed. Quote. Uncle. Quote. Quote. I have a younger sister. Lilith spoke softly. Her voice was very light, as if she was very embarrassed. She was adopted by dad and uncle, and in the end, work hard to repay the elders. On the contrary, it is causing trouble for the elders, which is something Lilith herself cannot accept at all. He. Locke gently smiled and said, so that's it. I know, well, don't take this matter to heart. I came back to deal with this matter. There are still some things to do soon. It needs to be dealt with, Lilith. Keep up your spirits, don't be so nervous. After setting sail, I will personally take you to the Drum Kingdom, don't worry. Nothing will happen. Uncle. Lilith looked at Locke in disbelief. She 143 knew very well what kind of character her uncle was, and her uncle, to put it nicely, was called a salted fish. To put it bluntly, isn't that a pure slacker? Mo. For a person who is usually not sitting, as long as he can lie down, he is willing to take the initiative to accompany him to the Drum Kingdom, and Lilith is. To be very clear, don't see yourself heading to Drum Kingdom as easy as it gets. But the status of my uncle is completely different, he is the vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates. If you want to go to the Drum Kingdom casually, where is the grand line? Accidents can really happen if you are not careful. Because of this matter is really not a joke. Uncle, actually. Before Lilith finished speaking, Locke interrupted. Okay. It's not a particularly important matter, if you are being so polite to me like this. In other words, there is no need at all, between family members. We are supposed to help each other, go back and prepare well. My brother will announce a big event today, and then we will prepare. Prepare to go to the Magnetic Drum Kingdom, just in time. I heard that the Magnetic Drum Kingdom has a lot of medical books. Since I went this time, those medical books belong to Labor and Capital. Joke. Regarding these, Locke is not joking, but is really very serious. Medical books. These things are very important, in the future. This must be to cultivate oneself well. Those of my own family are worth mentioning. Why does Marine always have strong people? The reason is very simple. Because Marine's growth system is very complete, and because of the perfect growth system, it can cultivate all kinds of mature talents, which is absolutely the most important thing, and Luo K is also very serious about collecting these knowledge books. If possible, I want to empty the tree of omniscience. This is really not a joke, but extremely important. Want things. Therefore, Locke is very serious and considerate of all this, but the only problem is that there is a real opportunity to vacate the tree of omniscience in the future, and that is a good opportunity. Yes, let's talk about it again. Since everything has to be lost, why can't it be given to Lousy? Do you have to be taken to Al Buff by the giants? Anyway, it was something that was taken away. Locke felt that he could do it too. This matter, of course, has been settled in this way. It is not a particularly huge matter, as long as it is handled properly. It is just that Lilith always feels uncomfortable. Sorry, I don't want to say it out loud, otherwise. This matter could have been dealt with long ago, of course. For the cute look of his eldest niece, Locke is of course also very satisfied. After all, this represents the relationship between everyone. Chapter 64. Drink this cup of foster son's wine. A new voyage and future are just around the corner. Advertise here. Correct. Locke thought of something, and asked casually, Lilith, what is your sister's name? And, what's going on? I haven't heard of it before, you still have a sister. I know that Lilith is from a medical family, and, according to my understanding, both parents should have forgotten, and she was adopted by her brother by chance, otherwise, she would basically be dead. It is because of this that I feel strange I have never heard of it. Lilith has a younger sister or other relatives. If there is, Lilith can tell it earlier. There is no need to wait until today. Listening to Uncle's inquiry, Lilith explained softly, Uncle, this matter. In fact, I only found out when I returned to the Magnetic Drum Kingdom this time to buy some special medicinal materials. This is my father's daughter. She is a half-sister, she is my younger sister, but when the family was destroyed, an accident happened just like that, and now she is a slave in the Drum Kingdom. She is only about 7 or 8 years old. As for the name, it should be called Thoth. There should be nothing wrong with the name. What? Locke was stunned in astonishment. Not to say anything else, I still have a little impression of this name. If I remember correctly, it is in the original book. Among the pink nurses in the Whitebeard pirates, the head nurse is called Thoth. If it is said that Thoth is Lilith's younger sister, in the original book, it probably happened. Lilith died to protect her sister, and Thoth joined the Whitebeard pirates. This is probably the case. As for why did it change now? Just kidding. As a time traveler, it would be the most strange if I didn't cause a little butterfly effect. Besides, look, the transpiration fruit, the hot fruit, these devil fruits, shouldn't all belong to the Charlotte family is it? Isn't it all in your own hands now? Shouldn't Bell be the first of the 3 major disasters of the Beast's pirates? Isn't he also his nephew now? Shouldn't he be eating the dragon fruit ancient species Pteranodon? It turned out that he ate it now isn't it the cat fruit, phantom beast, and griffin? So say it. A lot of everything is different. These are not the same thing at all. This is a real world, not the world of the big pirate in the story, maybe. Just a little change, then. Everything will become different, and this is the most real, because this is a real world, and in such a real world, isn't it a matter of course for such a thing to happen? For Locke, he sees it very clearly, it's just a matter of course. If this is the case, then there is no need to say more. So, even though a lot of changes have taken place, Locke can understand this. Looking at Lilith who was nervous, he gently comforts him. Lilith, don't be so nervous, I said, this matter will wait until sis after Sphinx goes to sea. I will take care of it, alright. Get ready, there is a banquet tonight. Okay, Uncle. Lilith smiled and nodded. She returned to her usual appearance. She knew that no matter what, Lilith believed it. Since Uncle had already told herself that, then she would never lie to herself, which means, Uncle said it will surely be done. There is a smile on the corner of Locke's mouth. Lilith is the child. Because she is the oldest among all the children, Lilith always works very hard to persevere. As a sister, she to hold on to everything. Only, although she is said to be an older sister, she is still a child. There are still elders in the family, and everything has not yet been achieved, and everything needs a child to support. Locke smiled and shook his head, looked at the back of Lilith who was leaving, turned around, and asked strangely, Ship spirit, what else do you need? Snapped. At this time, a figure came out, and this figure was Chuan Ling. The old 3-eyed tribe, Chuan Ling, walked over with a smile. He didn't wear his weird mask, but it was showing his old face. Looking at this scene, Locke said strangely, Ship spirit, what's the matter? He. The boat spirit came over and said softly, Mr. Locke, this old man's life has reached its limit. If there are no accidents, maybe soon. This old man is going to die like this, just like this, and lose his own life forever. Locke looked at the ship spirit, and perceived the situation of the ship spirit through his observation hockey. The fact is just like what the ship spirit said, the ship spirit has actually reached the limit, his life, his will, his body has reached its limit, or to put it another way. For the ship spirit, he should have been a dead man a long time ago, but he survived, perhaps to build the Sphinx, the top level. The belief of the ship sustains the ship spirit and keeps him alive. And Locke thought for a while, and asked, so, ship spirit, do you have any ideas? Or is there something wrong? You can tell me, no matter what, the Sphinx is free for you. We Whitebeard pirates created it. Of course, if it is too troublesome, it is absolutely impossible. He. Hearing Locke's very realistic words, Chuan-Ling was not annoyed at all, but was full of smiles and said in an old voice, Mr. Locke, old man, I have a granddaughter, I hope you can help take care of it. Or, for that child, to put it bluntly, the old man is really not a qualified grandpa. For his own dream, he abandoned his family and everything he had ever had. The old man is definitely not a qualified grandpa. Because of this, the old man's life has come to an end. I hope that you can take care of my granddaughter. Locke thought for a moment and asked, how old is your granddaughter? This problem. It's not a big problem, at least. Locke thinks this is a very easy thing to deal with, and wants to deal with it. Then of course it's not a problem, of course. The main thing is to ask how old the other party is. 5 years old. The old man's granddaughter is already 5 years old. 4 years ago, the old man's son and daughter-in-law were dead. After that, the old man went to the grave of the ship in order to pursue his ideal, and the old man's granddaughter I just stayed on the island where the three-eyed clan lives in seclusion, just. If no one takes care of it. Okay. Locke interrupted Chuan-Ling's words, and said quietly, I know how to deal with the matter, give me your life card, and I will take care of your daughter. Thank you. He. Cough. After Chuan-Ling thanked him, he took out the life card and handed it to Locke. With a smile, he coughed violently, and hurriedly covered the corner of his mouth. On the Chuan-Ling's cloak was infected by blood, obviously. The life of the ship spirit has really reached its limit. Locke looked at the ship spirit, shook his head silently and said, the Sphinx is about to set sail soon, and it will only take 3 or 2 days at most, you have to hold on. Otherwise, it will be the most. It makes people feel hopeless, obviously. Everything is already in sight, but in the end it is a failure. The old man knows. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Chuan-Ling said seriously, I won't fall down here, but don't underestimate my willpower. Locke took a deep look at the ship spirit, and he respected it very much, but he just didn't want to understand it. Is it really possible to achieve such a love for anything? Is this the so-called craftsman spirit? For myself, a loving craftsman may be willing to abandon his relatives, but that is his little granddaughter. It is even said that his life has clearly reached the limit, but it is because of such love. But I can hold on to this belief. It's a wonderful feeling. Locke doesn't really understand it, but this matter has come to an end for the time being. Locke looked at the ship spirit limping away, squinting his eyes, and said in thought, a member of the three-eyed clan. Although it is the place where the three-eyed people live in seclusion, but if I guess correctly, I guess. Except for his granddaughter, there won't be any three-eyed people here, wide. Locke shook his head with emotion, the three-eyed race. It is also an extremely rare inhuman race. On this sea, races that do not belong to humans are called inhuman races. For the 4 giants of the Murlocs, the Inhumans, no matter if it is the Fur tribe, the Little People, the Three-Eyed tribe, the Snake-Headed tribe, etc. The number of these people is extremely rare. There may be more than 100,000 people, and there may be only 10,000 or 20,000 people, and they are all living in seclusion. There is no way. Inhumans are among human nobles, especially in the eyes of celestial dragons. They are simply precious goods, even more precious collectibles, naturally. Some situations are different. Locke didn't bother to say anything, and didn't think too much. He put away the life card, and then, there were other things to deal with. Even though, I want to be lazy to fish, but how to put it, there are still a lot of things, and there is no time to fish. The next thing is really very cumbersome. It seems that if you want to be lazy, you can only wait until the recent events have passed. And it's Locke's character, although he always likes to fish and be lazy, but, to be honest, is Locke really such a lazy person for the sake of being lazy? Most of the time, Locke just handles things well, lying quietly at home and being lazy, so I say. The concept of all these is fundamentally different words. What? Things are really troublesome. Next, my brother should use the foster son's wine and foster father's wine to change the surnames of everyone in the Whitebeard pirates. There are a total of 590 of these little guys, and besides that, the next step is to set sail, and the setting sail of the Sphinx is destined to resound throughout the world. Next, trouble is right in front of you, it's really a headache. Lilith's younger sister, Tito. The granddaughter of the ship spirit, a 5-year-old child of the Three-Eyed tribe. There are also medical books from the Drum Kingdom. Really, There are still a lot of things to deal with next. If you want to be lazy, it seems. It won't work in a short time. Thinking a lot in my heart, Locke's figure also left the meeting room and drifted away. Night is gradually falling, and, with the completion of the Sphinx, Newgate also started the banquet, in the Sphinx. The center of the island is a conference hall, which is the place where everyone meets, and the east, south, northwest are divided into 4 different areas. The east is divided into living areas, and the rooms where everyone lives are all here. The south is divided into a professional area, where there is a training ground, and here is a food street, and there are many things here. The north is divided into a super huge banquet square. As for the west, where the situation is more special, the situation in the west is more about having some important buildings, or the core area of the entire Sphinx. This place is quite special. Under the call of Newgate, everyone came to the huge banquet square in the north, and everyone was very happy, chattering. It can be seen that the little guys are really very excited at this moment. Click, click, and following Locke's order, the Sphinx opened the blockade on the top of the Sphinx, and as it gradually fell downward, the huge barrier on the back of the entire Sphinx. It was opened, and under the night, everyone raised their heads, quietly looking at the beautiful starry sky. Locke also raised his head, looked at the extremely bright and beautiful starry sky in the sky, and whispered softly, "It's really a beautiful scenery. I want to see this in the Sphinx. The scenery seems to be a rare sight in 1,000 years, right?" The Sphinx floated beside Locke, and said with a smile, "Yes. Yes. The last time there was such a beautiful scene, if I remember correctly, it should be thousands of years ago. It really makes people feel beautiful and relaxing." Locke whispered softly, "This is the beautiful scenery I heard about when I was young. In the Sphinx Island, basically every household will know a story, that is, under the night, there will be endless bright starry sky, obviously under the night. But it will make people feel emotional from the heart, it is too beautiful. Only, just like what I said, this is just a story, and this story actually happened again, Jiao Nu Jiao, this feeling is perhaps the most exciting. Feel something amazing. Boys, give Lousy some peace." Newgate stood on the only high platform and swept over everyone condescendingly. Hockey's full voice echoed in everyone's ears, making the chattering and bustling little family. The guys all raised their heads involuntarily, looking at their father. Everyone remained calm. Gu la la la. Looking at the little ghosts below, Newgate laughed and said, "Little boys. This is a brand new beginning, the Sphinx is built, and the new voyage and future are under our feet. While. Bring it on. Little brats, drink this cup of foster son's wine. All of this is just the beginning." Newgate made a crazy roar, and the red wine cups that you had prepared long ago were placed in front of everyone, a total of 590 children, they. Looking at the wine cup in front of him, and that Newgate had already raised the huge wine cup in his hand. All of a sudden, the atmosphere seemed to have become silent, but the next moment, there was a terrifying roar, and everyone was screaming excitedly. "Daddy! Daddy!" A group of little guys, "You look at me, I look at you," but they all burst out with deafening and terrifying roars. Of course they know what it means to drink this cup of foster son's wine. It means that they will truly inherit Edward's surname. For example, Bell, his. The name will be changed to Edward A. Bell. Little Ozzy is going to be Edward Little Ozzy, everyone, just. They don't care. For them dregs of the sea, they. I only want to follow my father, I only want to join this family. Chapter 65. The Sphinx. Yong Fan. Set sail. The Whitebeard pirates officially set sail. Drink. Ha ha ha. Excellent. Big sister head. Don't keep a straight face, be happy. Yes, we won't drink casually in the future, this is a banquet. It would be shameful if we don't drink at such a banquet. Yes, yes. Listening to the words of these little guys, Lilith couldn't help but smiled, and shook her head with a chuckle. These little guys. They all speak nicely, but those who let themselves catch a drink are not 2 at a time. Again, but although she is strict, she is not so strict sometimes, after all. As far as she is concerned, she is also very clear. If it is too strict, then I am not my sister, but my enemy. Drink wine. Slapstick. Play. The whole banquet square has become a mess, but in terms of the number of people, it is really nothing, the number of people is 590, besides that. The Whitebeard pirates have no one else at all, you know. The size of the entire Sphinx is very large. Although only a quarter of the interior is a living place, the other locations have their own functions. But in fact, the population that can be accommodated is about 400,000. To put it bluntly, after the transformation, high-rise buildings, villas and mansions, and even courtyards, such as the courtyard of Newgate, are extremely huge, too. There is also a Locke, it's just that Locke is really not interested in such things as courtyards, and Xuan Ling found a designer for Locke's villa. The upper 3 floors and the lower 3 floors of the villa are also very large, and the interior is made as best as possible according to Locke's requirements. Now that I think about it, I probably guessed it. In fact, Xuan Ling was probably I have the idea of entrusting my granddaughter to myself, otherwise, it would be impossible to do such a thing. Locke lay there, squinting his eyes comfortably, and said with a smile, don't say anything else. But one thing that must be admitted is, sure enough. It's really comfortable to drink on such a festive day. It's really amazing, it's fun. Gu la. Locke. Yes. Newgate sat down cross-legged beside Locke, with his upper body naked in a huge overcoat, and said with a grinning smile, Locke. It's really enjoyable. After so many years of hard work, it took nearly after 2 years, we have finally completed the construction of the Sphinx, which is really great. Gudong. Locke looked at the elder brother next to him to put the super huge wine barrel that was nearly 5 meters high and 2 meters wide, the result. Good guy. 923 just drank it clean in one breath. Locke couldn't help shaking his head. How should I put it? Your situation is so true that people have not thought of it at all. It feels a little weird. Even if you're happy, then drinking is just drinking, you wouldn't risk your life, would you? Locke just finds it very strange and embarrassing anyway, and always feels that it is more or less outrageous. But, think about it for a while, well, anyway, it is like this, according to my brother's physical fitness and physique, if I drink some wine for myself, the strangest thing is that there is a problem with drinking. But, Locke rubbed his chin and thought about it. There are some things that need to be vigilant, brother. You still have to pay attention to your body, though. According to your body, that kind of situation will almost never happen, yes, but don't be afraid of 10,000, just in case, according to your strength, normally speaking, it is very normal to live for more than 200 years. Actually, this is why, on this sea, many pirates can basically succeed in transforming into a superpower, a great power, or a powerful country. This is the most fundamental and core reason. Because of the long life. After all, as long as you can live for a long time, then you can get more blessings. After all, as long as a powerful old monster does not die, then among the top powerhouses, Newgate is only in his 70s and ends up with a body hung with needles every day. That is simply a giant panda. Extremely precious. Locke knows that this is the particularity of pirates. After all, he was born with mud legs. It is not strange to have various problems. This is also the fundamental reason why Locke attaches great importance to his brother's body now. Just kidding. If you don't pay attention to it, then there will really be problems. So, it is an extremely important thing to pay attention to. Newgate waved his hand and said, Locke, you can rest assured, Lousy's body, Lousy himself. Locke raised his hand to stop him. Okay. Shut up for Lousy. If Lousy listens to you, he will believe you're evil. Don't tell Lousy this, brother. You talk like fart. You are simply mindless, remember. You must remember to carry out monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual inspections. And, after we set sail this time, I will take Lilith to the Drum Kingdom to deal with some matter. Newgate AHBG asked curiously, what are you dealing with? Locke explained. Lilith's child has a half-sister in Drum Kingdom. I'm going to bring her child's sister back, right? At the same time, I'm going to find some medical books to bring back, preferably bring them all back. Drum Kingdom. As the world's #1 doctor country, especially. There has not been such a death situation. At this point in time, there are not many excellent doctors, but there are definitely a terrifying number of medical books. These medical books take it into your own hands, the future. Whether it's Lilith's study, or training those children, nurses, or becoming a doctor, it's all very important. No problem. Hearing this, Newgate also nodded and said, brother, do you need Lousy to take someone directly with you? Locke glanced at his elder brother, and sighed helplessly, brother, can you use your brain? You really don't want to use your brain anymore. With so many children in the family, you want to go to Civic Drum Kingdom. If we all go, what if there is a little problem? Where is the Grand Line? But as long as there is an accident, it is easy to face the attack of the naval headquarters. Don't forget, we still have to bear the burden. It's about 108 forces. Gu la. Newgate said with a grinning grin. Got it. Lousy knows this matter. I will teach you how to deal with it, and Lousy will not participate in it. Locke smiled and nodded, and said seriously, brother. I know your character. You want family. You want to start a family. You want to have a home. In fact, we already have everything now, but this is not the end, but just the beginning. We have a family, and our most important home, so what we have to do now is to maintain this family, protect our family, let this family of ours pass on. This is the biggest difference between Locke and Newgate. The two brothers have the same idea at first, to find a beautiful woman, start a family, and finally have a home. This is the idea that the two brothers have always had together. Only, after this goal has been achieved, there are some untraceable differences between the two brothers, or this is not a disagreement, but an accident in the situation itself, or my old brother, he is definitely a top-notch strongman, and he is also a heroic strongman, but he has one biggest problem. Although he is bold, although he is said to be powerful, after all, he was born as a pirate. To put it more simply, it is that the eyesight is really not good. Of course, Locke was a 007 guy in his previous life. Naturally, we can't say how good his eyesight is. But what is the root cause? You can say, Locke's eyesight is not good. You can say, Locke is not very good. You can also say that Locke's other things are not very good, or even say that on paper, there is no problem. But one thing, you have to admit that in this era of great pirates in the Middle Ages, as a time traveler, after the information bombing in his previous life, Locke may not be very good at other aspects, but in this perspective, it's really good. In other words, I can see the future long enough, after all. My family has a history of 5,000 years. To put it bluntly, I have never eaten pork, so I have never seen a pig run. #B. But as long as you are not an idiot, you must basically know what is going on. This is definitely an undoubted thing. So, Locke is for the entire Whitebeard pirate group. No, it should be called the Edward family. The future plan is very clear, and it has already been clearly planned how to deal with it in the future, although it is said many times, some things are done that are embarrassing and hateful. Don't forget, the Edward family is the Whitebeard pirates. Just kidding, since Lousy is already a pirate, then he has to do some things that a pirate should do, otherwise. Stand up again. Locke can't do this disgusting thing. Newgate nodded repeatedly, then waved his hand, and said carelessly, Locke. You should handle these matters. This is not suitable for Lousy. Lousy is really not interested in these things. Looking at his elder brother's appearance, Locke shook his head silently, and said emotionally, Forget it. Forget it. Lousy is really not interested in you, and he is not interested at all. Go to the bar quickly. But, I still say the same thing, brother, pay attention to physical problems, this is very important. I see. Newgate nodded. Of course he was smiling at his concern for his younger brother. He stood up and left with his huge wine barrel on his shoulders. Locke was really helpless. He had no choice. Not even I know what to say, the captain of my family is a hands-off shopkeeper, good guy. Those who don't know think Lousy is the captain. Seriously, Locke really feels that he is obviously a deputy captain, but he is doing the job of the captain every day. There is no way, who let his old brother not care about anything? To be honest, now Locke understands, the original work why are there so many questions about the Whitebeard pirates. According to the personality of my brother, if there is no problem, it will be the strangest thing. It is simply an outrageous problem, so to speak. The entire Whitebeard pirates. There are so many problems in itself. It's just that these problems never appeared before, now. Locke wants to deal with these problems, and my brother is. Spread your hands, Xiao Shang, spread your hands, expressing. I don't understand, you can handle it yourself, these things have nothing to do with me, to be honest. If Locke wants to, he can directly. My old brother drove out, and then I became the captain myself. But here is the problem. Isn't that sick? Locke doesn't have that much desire for power either. Never mind. Locke smacked his lips and was too lazy to say anything, and said silently, I still don't think so much. Anyway, it's not a big deal, take it easy, otherwise you can. What should I do? He. Although he said so on his mouth, Locke shook his head with a chuckle, picked up the glass in his hand and drank the beer in one gulp, feeling the comfort of the cold beer, squinting slightly. Opening his eyes, blowing the night wind, he quietly looked into the distance, looking at the endless sea in the distance. Under the night, it was pitch black, like a roaring bird. Like a devoured beast. Instead, Locke raised the wine glass in his hand and said with a smile, then. Come and try it out. I want to experience it, you roar, horror. And, you will devour. Let me see what kind of power the owner of the beast that lost everything has. The smile is so rich, and beside Locke, the small figure of the Sphinx emerges. It speaks softly and softly, just like a mother, although immature, she said softly, Locke, I have really worked hard for you. Everything is entrusted to you. This child Newgate has always been like this. What he pursues is only its family, but he doesn't seem to have any plans for everything. Quote. Sphinx. As the elf of Sphinx Island, in fact. During this long time, it has seen a lot and has many outstanding talents, but from the beginning to the end, except for Locke and except for the brothers Newgate, any genius is incomparable with these brothers. Because of this, it also knows that the characters of the brothers, for Newgate, he pursues all these, but there are no more definite plans, but for Locke. It's different. Locke is not only pursuing all these things, but also has an extremely clear and serious plan. He also attaches great importance to his family, but he is willing to cultivate his family better. These are all under the watch of the Sphinx. He. Sphinx chuckled and said, Locke, for you, what you have done is already very sufficient, all of this is very good. You don't need to be like this. Be vigilant, everything needs to be done step by step. Locke said seriously, Sphinx, I know. It's just, many times, if you are not serious, you will pay the price for it. For this big. As far as the sea is concerned, this is the case no matter at any time. Death, destruction, All of this is a price, even if it is only a slight mistake, then the price to be paid would be fatal. Quote. In the original, the Whitebeard pirates were destroyed by Teach, but is Teach the root cause? It's a ghost. This is why Newgate is too merciful. As long as he stops Ace, then Summit War will never happen. Follow-up. Fight according to the strength of the Whitebeard pirates. Blackbeard, that's nothing more than a piece of cake. No one really thinks that during the Summit War, only Dark Fruits Teach was Newgate's opponent, right? It's almost like a joke. Because of this, it's up to Locke to keep this from happening. During the chat between the two, the banquet gradually came to an end, and as the sun rose, the Sphinx also began to set sail. Boys. Yong Fan. Set sail. Whitebeard pirates, it's time to set sail. Roar. What responded to Newgate was a deafening roar. Chapter 66. Rampage Sphinx. The shock and shock of the whole world. Advertise here. Set sail. Set sail. Clatter. Clatter. It sounds good, actually. The Sphinx doesn't have any sails at all. From the outside, it looks like a huge Sphinx. This is the appearance of the Sphinx, in fact. It's still the same sentence in other words, the Sphinx has a ship elf, otherwise. The Sphinx has no possibility of setting sail, and as the Sphinx really starts to move, it can be said that the eyes of the whole world are focused on come here, no kidding. The whole world has been very clear about the construction of the Sphinx in the past few months. Just because it is very clear, everyone is very curious, what is the situation? The next result. What will it be like? This is the most interesting thing for everyone, what is next? How will it be? Snapped. Snapped. Cough cough cough. The ship spirit was lying on the ground weakly coughing. His life had reached its limit. Looking at Locke who was walking step by step in front of him, a smile appeared on the corner of his old mouth. His life was enough, other people in the ship's grave they have all left, leaving only the ship spirit. He is watching here, he wants to watch here, watch what will happen next. What will happen? Take a look. The sailing of the Sphinx, this is all he wants to see, except besides everything else. He just didn't care. Quote. Ship spirit. Locke walked in front of Chuan Ling, and said quietly, it seems that your life has reached its limit. He. Chuan Ling said weakly. Yes. The old man's life has reached the limit, but this is not important to the old man. The old man doesn't care about all this. The old man's life's wish has been fulfilled. The old I am not a qualified father, and the old man is not a qualified grandfather, but the old man is definitely a qualified shipwright. The same is true for the Pluton, one of the three ancient weapons. What? Ha. While talking, Chuan Ling gasped heavily, and continued weakly, the Sphinx has a secret weapon, that is. The old man once, by chance, saw incomplete Pluton's blueprint, so the most powerful weapon created is just. The power of that weapon is too terrifying. For so many years, the old man has searched for a large number of scientists and transformed it. Hit. One hit. Just one hit is powerful enough to destroy a large island. Hearing this, Locke frowned, squatted down, and said seriously, Ship Spirit, you actually made such a weapon. Yes. The ship spirit was so excited that he almost stood up, and said excitedly, that's why I can talk. The ship I made has already surpassed the Pluton, and this is the greatest masterpiece of my life. That's right. Which weapon requires a huge amount of energy, old man? There's not enough power sources designed in, and that's up to you to deal with in the future. Humph. As the last words fell, Chuan Ling also left the last paragraph, and completely lost consciousness, saying, at the end of the instruction manual, the old man left everything behind, that's enough. Quote. The ship spirit fell to the ground, he completely lost all consciousness, and his life really reached the limit like this, and watching the ship spirit limply on the ground, completely lost his life, Locke remained calm, just quietly said, Battle Tyrannosaurus, cremate his body. Obey. Lord Locke. The figure of the Battle Tyrannosaurus stepped out from behind Locke, with one hand open, a ray of scorching energy instantly incinerated the body of the ship spirit, and followed closely, with extremely strong strength, all the ashes were put away, put the urn in front of Locke's eyes, and then stepped back. Locke looked at the urn in front of him, but calmly dug a hole in the ground, buried the urn in it, looked at the blooming sakura flower in front of him, and said softly, Ship Spirit, you will always be here, sleep well here, the Sphinx is your most outstanding ship, and this most outstanding ship is enough for you. A smile emerges. Here is located at the end of the Sphinx Villa area. Here, Locke has collected the most beautiful sakura flower trees in the world. As for the value, there are a total of 100 sakura flower trees, the total value is about 10 billion pele. After all, this is something that celestial dragons like, and it must be expensive. What? How did you say that Locke got it? Ah, of course it was stolen. Just kidding, you asked Locke to spend 10 billion to buy this thing. Locke just went up to give you a wave of bastards, do you have a bag in your head? Do you believe it or not, Lousy just lifted your head off for you, and had a good chat with you, what's going on? Don't say it. At the beginning, my brother really wanted to buy it. Locke almost wanted to blow his dog's head off. Is there something wrong with your brain? I am convinced, lousy thinking of saving money like this, the result is great. You actually made trouble for lousy. Do you believe that lousy directly killed you? In this way, it is not surprising that these sakura flower trees were directly snatched by the joint action of the old brother and the battle Tyrannosaurus. It would be the strangest thing if the two admiral-level shots could not be snatched. This child died here. Accompanied by this soft sound, the Sphinx suddenly floated out of the sakura flower tree, just like a ghost, in fact. The Sphinx is just like this Sphinx, like the weapon spirit of the number. As long as you think about it, it is completely possible to appear in any place. And for the long lifespan of the Sphinx, maybe. No matter who it is very appropriate to call it a child. The Sphinx is not a simple ship elf, but an island elf and a ship elf. The combination is only displayed in the form of a ship elf. Locke smiled lightly and shook his head, and said, "Yes. Sphinx, the most suitable thing for the ship spirit is to stay here forever, just quietly watching the most outstanding Sphinx in my life, forever sail on." Perhaps that was the best thing for him. Yes. Sphinx also nodded with a gentle chuckle, and then disappeared again. Looking at the leaving Sphinx, Locke turned around and whispered quietly, "Next. Everything will be different. Everything in the future. What will it be like?" Locke didn't take Lilith to leave immediately, but because I know very well that for the various forces and other people, they will never let go of the departure of the Sphinx, and someone will definitely come to make trouble, and before the trouble comes, it is not suitable for me to leave, just deal with it slowly. No need to be too eager. Next. The real challenge and trouble are about to come. Locke looked into the distance quietly, and whispered softly, "Then. Let me take a look, and then, who will trouble the door?" He. It really makes people feel very much looking forward to it. A smile emerged. Locke's smile was really strong, and then. What? Letting out a lazy breath, Locke stretched his muscles and said lazily, "Well. No matter what, I can still rest for a few days, and it's time to get a good sleep. It's really not in my character to be busy with these messy things." He let out a lazily breath again, and Locke lazily walked towards his villa. No matter when the trouble comes, or when the troublemaker comes to visit, but these 3 to 5 days will definitely be fine. Take a good rest 3 to 5 days. Otherwise, if you are busy every day, is it necessary to be 007? That is definitely impossible. After all, labor and management have come to live as a social animal in their previous life. How can they continue to be so busy in this life? Locke is going back to bed. 2. Rumble. In a terrifying way, the Sphinx is like a roaring lion, just like this rampage. It doesn't need any artillery roar, and it doesn't need anyone to take action. Locke, Newgate, Battle Tyrannosaurus, these powerful members of the Whitebeard pirates did not have any idea of attacking at all, but accompanied by the sound of explosions, each pirate ship has been completely destroyed, just rampaging, with terrifying power, huge size, the solid hull directly smashes the opponent to pieces. This is the most terrifying force. 3 days. Locke rested for 3 days, but there was trouble coming to his door. The large pirate fleet consisted of hundreds of pirate ships and nearly 100,000 people. They were all composed of pirate groups, and their origins are very special. As for who are the people behind them, who made them appear here? This is something no one knows, anyway. This is not important. It is not important to both parties, the Whitebeard pirates, as long as they defeat each other with absolute strength, it is enough. As for everything else, that's all. The Sphinx swept the entire battlefield with absolute power, and directly destroyed all the pirate ships without any artillery fire or anyone's actions. Just like this, it directly destroyed them, especially seeing the cannon fire falling on the Sphinx without any effect at all. Everyone fell into silence. Naval Headquarters. Marineford. This moment, in front of the video phone worm, everyone fell into silence. Headed by Sora, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, and Crane are all here. These 5 people are the most top-level people in this era of Naval Headquarters. 1 Field Marshal, 2 Admirals, 1 Hero, 1 Chief of the General Staff. 0. Seeking flowers. The 5 people watched everything in front of them quietly, especially as the Sphinx gradually sailed away. Everyone fell into silence. After a brief silence, Sengoku said in a heavy voice, "It's scary. The Sphinx, let alone everything else about this pirate ship, it's just the peripheral defense, I'm afraid. Even if it's my shock wave, at the very least, under the condition of no one interfering, it takes 5 minutes for a point-to-point breakthrough. It takes at least 5 minutes." Quote? Listening to Sengoku's words, the crowd became even more silent. Good guy. Good guy. Lousy DM's direct good guy. Sengoku's Buddha fruit, which has. The shock wave has extremely terrifying power, especially in the case of the combination of armament hockey and conqueror's hockey, that. The bursting power will be extremely. It's terrifying, but it takes 5 minutes. What is this concept? In other words, the defense of the Sphinx is almost invincible. After all, in the battlefield, people will give you 5 minutes to break through point to point. It's like King joke. So, if such an opportunity can be given, then it's better to die. It's just a joke. If people do this, it's cerebral palsy of cerebral palsy. Alright, you think Newgate has cerebral palsy. Row. Even if Newgate has cerebral palsy, but do you think Locke is cerebral palsy? After researching, the army understood. 0. Edward Locke. Although this man looks very lazy, like a waste of rice bugs, but after research, anyone who knows a little will be very clear that this man. The devil fruit is very special. Not only that, this person is almost the person who planned everything for the entire Whitebeard pirate group. If Newgate is the captain on the bright side, well, this. An obvious captain can be lost. But Locke, the hidden captain, must never be lost, because his status is very special, even extremely special, if he loses Locke's. If so, then it is the biggest problem for the entire Whitebeard pirate group. Zephyr rubbed the center of his brows, and said with sharp eyes, the next question is the most troublesome thing. The strength of the Whitebeard pirates is only one aspect, just. Luogia. Pirates, Flying Sky Pirates, Wufeng Pirates, Ward Pirates, Silver Axe Pirates, John Pirates, 8 Treasure Sailors, Chef Pirates, Big Mom Pirates and exclamation mark. Beloric alone, so to speak. These people are the biggest trouble. Quote. No matter how powerful the Whitebeard pirates are, they are just a pirate group. It is not difficult to deal with the Whitebeard pirates. But, for the chaos. The pattern is the most troublesome thing. 17. Listening to Zephyr's words, everyone nodded with serious expressions. Indeed. Is the Whitebeard pirates troublesome? It's a ghost trouble. Anyway, in Marine's eyes. The Whitebeard pirates are very powerful, but in Marine's eyes, they are nothing at all, even. That's all. But the most troublesome thing is that the chaos of the new world. If you can't handle the chaotic pattern of the entire new world well, then this is the most troublesome thing. No matter what it is, the Whitebeard pirates are not a big problem in essence, let alone. Compared with other pirates, the Whitebeard pirates wasted 2 years of time. In the meantime, I'm afraid that the next trouble will come. It's not just us, but many people will come to our door. Quote. Crane opened his mouth lightly, crossed his legs, and said very calmly, whether the Whitebeard pirates can escape all this, I'm afraid. It's not easy to say. Hearing what Crane said, all 4 of them nodded. Indeed. The structure of the new world is incomparably chaotic. And under such a chaotic structure, these people would willingly watch the rise of the Whitebeard pirates. That is absolutely impossible. Therefore, the next war will be the most chaotic war. At this time, Sora leaned on his chair and said slowly, with the appearance of the Whitebeard pirates, fear. Afraid. Without accidents. Next, a great chaos that is about to sweep the entire new world will soon. It is about to erupt. Quote. Everyone is very clear that a great chaos sweeping the new world is about to begin, but for this world, what will be the result? No one knows. Chapter 67. Robbery. Brother, do you have a bag on your head? Harvest. Snow fruit. Bump. The pirate ships were directly destroyed by the rampage, and Sphinx Island was like an adult in a children's basketball court, and it had to be an adult at the level of Yuhiro Fanma, from beginning to end. The levels of slings are not at the same level at all, and there is no comparison. With the rampage of the Sphinx, the pirate ships are directly destroyed, which is completely fancy slings. Don't want. Asshole. Hateful. Cough. Painful howls resounded, accompanied by coughing and roaring from that distance, and the final result was that under the terrifying and huge size of the Sphinx, one pirate ship after another was destroyed, and all these pirates who came under siege were completely destroyed in this way, and they were completely crushed. This pirate alliance of 100,000 people has hundreds of pirate ships, but in the Sphinx no. Under that invincible power, in essence, it is not at the same level at all, and it is even said that it is impossible to resist even reluctantly. It was completely destroyed in this way. Hey, you guys, are you so weak? Ha, it's really embarrassing. With such strength, it's not worth mentioning at all, okay. Yes. Following the excited shouts, the group of little guys headed by Abel laughed excitedly one by one. It's nothing worth mentioning at all. You guys are a bunch of rubbish same guy. Abel, Vista, Skiyad, Lakoyo, Fosa, Whiteb. The little guys all looked at the war in front of them with smiles. No, it cannot be called a war. This is purely a one-sided massacre. This is not a level of battle. There is nothing comparable to it at all sex. Or 590. In other words, if there is any comparison, it would be like a joke. Abel sat cross-legged on the huge lion head of the Sphinx, thinking, the defense of the Sphinx is really terrifying enough. Ordinary pirate ships can't break through the defense at all, and this is a good thing, but it's not a good thing either. Listening to what Bell said, Vista asked, Bell, what do you mean? Following Bell's words, the eyes of several other people also gathered over, Skuya, Lakyo, Fosa, Whiteb, the 4 little guys, and little Ozzy sitting on Bell's shoulders, and asking questions Vista, the 7 of them. They are the future pillars of the Whitebeard pirates. Each of them is very talented, especially Bell. It's really shown. Brave and wise. Two-tone hockey. Fruit power. Kendo physical art. Basically, in every aspect, Bell is studying hard, and is growing rapidly. It can be said, if Bell were placed in ancient times, he would be an admiral army with both wisdom and courage, capable of writing and martial arts plus a prime minister. This is absolutely invincible general existence, it turns out. Just as Locke guessed, Bell is extremely good, but why did something go wrong and became like that in the original book? The fundamental core of this point is, it is purely because of Kaido. It is no accident that Kaido's training of Bell is completely wrong. Now Bell makes Locke really abnormal. Very. Extreme. Satisfied, looking at the eyes of several people, Bell said seriously, the Sphinx's extremely powerful defense means that we don't have such a big this is not a good thing. We have to work hard to become stronger, and it is very important to maintain the sharp instinct like a beast, otherwise. If you encounter a strong person, or a special demon fruit power, then something really happened. Locke agreed very much. Don't say it. Bell, you little guy is really right. Uncle. Looking at Locke who came step by step from not far away, several little guys stood up and greeted obediently, of course. It also included Whitebeard who raised his little head with a proud face. Locke didn't care at all, just walked over with a smile, to tell the truth. In the original book, Whitebeard separated as an independent member as he grew up in the future. He was originally a member of the Whitebeard Pirates at the senior level. In the end, he went out independently and became the captain of the affiliated pirate group. This, Locke is absolutely not allowed. Don't look at Locke smiling. If someone really dares to have this idea, Locke will let him die quietly, in a kind of way. Others have absolutely no way of suspecting death. Don't say that Locke is ruthless. For any pirate group, you can become the captain of the squadron, you can have your own ship, you can have your own team members, but you can never leave the pirate group, otherwise. As long as one person does it, then there will be a second person doing it, a third person doing it. Or even a fourth person doing it. At that time, what is the whole pirate group? This is the extremely fundamental core problem. Locke absolutely does not allow such a problem to occur, even just once. No, it is not allowed to occur once, because anything can only happen 0 times or countless times, as long as it happens once, then. The final result is that all of this is already doomed, and everything is something that absolutely does not need to be doubted. Locke walked over step by step, and said with a smile, Bell, you are right, this kind of security awareness is still necessary. However, this problem is not too big a problem, in the future. Slow down, it's okay to hone slowly, after all, you are still young, what you have to do is to lay your own foundation, the sea in the future. It is full of great waves, and if we want to participate in this sea, what we have to do is to be more work hard. Uncle, we know. Everyone was full of determination, but Whitebeard leaned over and asked, Uncle, where's my devil fruit? Looking at Whitebeard, the corners of Locke's mouth twitched slightly. Among the people present, Bell, Lakoyo, Little Ozzy, and Fosa all had their own devil fruit, and Vista was good at swordsmanship, so it was not suitable to eat at all. Devil fruit. As for Skuyad. Skuyad also scratched his head, and said awkwardly, Uncle, where's my devil fruit? Vista said calmly, Uncle, I will work harder, so don't forget my 2 demon knives. Locke looked at the 3 little guys who were waiting to be fed, and fell into silence involuntarily. He seemed to have seen the scene in his previous life, when he was visiting relatives during the Chinese New Year. A group of children and little guys surrounded him asking for lucky money. Only. Looking at this scene, Locke couldn't help but chuckled, looked at the 3 little guys in front of him, and said with emotion, No problem. No problem. Isn't it just devil fruit and demon sword? No problem. I will search for you when I come down. Labor and capital will go out next time, and wait for me to come back. I will search for all of this for you. Locke didn't feel annoyed at all, on the contrary. This scene, on the contrary, made Locke feel a warm feeling, which is the feeling between real family members. Ha ha ha, Uncle, it's a deal, it's a deal. It is good. Everyone was smiling happily, and looking at this group of happy smiling little guys, Locke casually took little Ozzy off Bell's shoulders and put it in his hands. He smiled and touched the dog's head, while little Ozzy smiled innocently. He was the only little guy who was not allowed to exercise or work hard. Little Ozzy's body has a very big problem. Compared with Bell, the body of the Lunaria tribe is incomparable. The evolutionary ability to survive in any environment is simply super evolutionary. Because of this, as long as time passes, Bell's body will not have any problems at all, and he has already recovered. If you don't think about it for a month and a half, there will be no problems. Under such circumstances, little Ozzy is different, his body is very special, and his situation is also very special, because of this. The way little Ozzy needs to grow is very difficult, he needs at least 3 to 5 years to cultivate your body steadily. Otherwise, the final result of little Ozzy is that, just like in the original book, he is completely stunted, and for the heartless and simple-minded little Ozzy, he is more often just hee laughing about these. He never did anything bad, because in little Ozzy's opinion, these people in the family would never harm him. But these things are very easy to say, but when you really want to do it, it is extremely difficult, even to say. Can it really be done? This in itself is also a huge problem. And now the Whitebeard pirates, no. No. The Edward family has already done it. Everyone is growing up step by step as relatives, as brothers and sisters, and Locke is very happy watching this scene. After all, this is my future home, and only if these little guys work harder and harder, step by step, then. Only then can I have a truly bad life. Otherwise, when will my bad life start? Obviously. That's a long way off. Brush. Brush. As the wooden sword in his hand is gradually waving, the body of the sword beast emits a stream of pure white light. The beautiful light makes people squint their eyes, and gives people a kind of gentleness and tranquility. The peaceful feeling really made people squint their eyes comfortably. Feeling this wisp of breath, Locke was sitting on the sofa playing the game, but he was stunned, immediately paused the game, rubbed his chin, turned on the big screen, and muttered strangely, "Sword beast evolved." It seems, sword beasts can also evolve through honing sword skills. Let me see. The soul of a knight can be conceived after the Chinese New Year. And the fourth Digimon is about the same. Well. Everything is going in a better direction. Locke smiled and continued to play the game, comfortable. Comfortable. Quite comfortable. All of this is continuing to develop in a better direction, which is obviously a comfortable life. I feel that I am one step closer to a life where I can touch fish up. In the practice field of the villa. The light dissipated, and the figure of Kendoman has disappeared without a trace, replaced by a Digimon with a round body, wearing real armor, and holding two Western swords. Maturity. Gladiator beast. As a Kendo beast, after the grinding of the Kendo. After training, the evolved Digimon has amazing strength. Moreover, it has reached a perfect level in the way of swordsmanship. If it is changed to this world, although it is said, Sword Beast doesn't have top-level strength, but Warrior Beast definitely has the realm of swordsman, and it is definitely good enough in the way of swordsmanship, and this, Locke also suddenly thought. Up. Pausing the game again, Locke put down the handle, thinking about this, and muttered, according to the strength of the swordsmanship of the fighter beast, Beasta and others can then fight. Teach, Beasta, Fosa, Bell, Skuyid, they all hone the way of the sword. All in all, it is definitely beneficial and harmless to let the warrior beast teach. And, continuing to hone in the way of the sword, the more the fighter beast can continue to become stronger. Locke is really more and more satisfied with this situation, it is really very good. Sure enough, it still takes time, as long as a little practice, the time is always the most suitable. Yes, keep playing your own game, Locke is really grinning. The Sphinx. This pirate ship belonging to the Whitebeard pirates is owned by a pirate ship the size of an island, known as the world's #1 pirate ship, and the Sphinx was. Then went straight to Golden Island. As the largest education island in New World, the Whitebeard pirates came this time with a very simple purpose, to buy supplies. No idea. The supplies purchased by the Whitebeard pirates have almost been consumed, whether it is food, fruits, fresh water. These are all things that need to be purchased, after all. These necessary supplies. It is absolutely undoubted, and only after purchase. Although Sphinx is also studying self-sufficiency, but this thing, to put it lightly, has never been. Such an easy thing can only be done step by step. Golden Island. Locke walked down with Lilith, looked at Lilith who had gradually become cheerful, and said gently, "Lilith, let's go. Go shopping and wait until the Golden Island leaves. After opening, we can set off." Uncle. With a smile on Lilith's face, 5.2 said softly, "Uncle. I know, everything that should be prepared has been prepared, and nothing will happen, although Tito. Life is not good, but still keep alive safely, if because of Uncle you leave, and the Whitebeard pirates." Hey. Before Lilith finished speaking, suddenly, an extremely arrogant voice sounded in Locke's ear, and Locke raised his eyebrows, turned his head in a little astonishment. Interestingly, he looked at the person in front of him. This is a pirate. That's right. This one is definitely recognizable at a glance, and there is absolutely no mistake, and this pirate held a captain's knife and said arrogantly, Hey, you two are members of the Whitebeard pirates, right? It's really good. The skin is tender. You two obediently give the money from the Whitebeard pirates to Lousy, and Lousy can consider letting it go. Otherwise, don't blame Lousy for being rude to you. Quote. He. Looking at the pirate in front of him, Locke couldn't help asking, "Brother. What do you think? Is there something wrong with your head? You know that we are the Whitebeard pirates. Do you still dare to come and rob?" The pirate immediately roared. "Who are we to call brothers and sisters? Lousy is a famous big pirate. You two are the trash of the Whitebeard pirates at first glance. Just right, you two. Hurry up and get money from Lousy. Otherwise, don't blame Lousy for being rude." Locke looked at the pirates, and understood what was going on, feelings. Just turn the two of us into soft persimmons, ready to fight, and turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. If this is the case, then you don't have to be polite. Really interesting pirates. I've never seen anything like this before. Chapter 68. Cerebral palsy is really a lot. Haven't waited to go yet. The Pirate Alliance is at your door. Advertise here. Sorry. Sorry. Wow. The pirate knelt on the ground, his nose was bruised and his face was swollen. He was crying and trembling, and the swelling had turned into a pig's head. At this moment, he was really about to cry. What is this all about? Let people live. Why did I just try it and it turned out so good, but I ran into the vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Edward Locke. Although this pirate is a crazy guy, he also knows the vice captain. He also knows that the vice captain is definitely not comparable to him. The result is good, he robbed the other party's head. Have some brains. You have some brains, can't you? If you feel that your head is not itchy, you can scratch it, maybe scratch it, do you just have a brain? So, he is really crying to death now. What the hell is this? It's really too depressing. He. Locke looked at the pirate who was kneeling on the ground in half-dead clothes and slapped his mouth left and right, and said with a light smile. Okay. I didn't intend to kill you, after all, I'm not a big villain. But, put all your treasures and all your Baileys have to come out. By the way, I said all, if you dare to hide it, trust me. You don't think you want to know what the consequences are, right? I'm with you, let's talk about death. In fact, it's really nothing, even saying. In fact, death is really the best result, isn't it? There are many times when life is worse than death is the most terrible thing. Quote. The pirate was so frightened that he trembled. At this moment, he really understood why he was just a little pirate. Look at him. This is the big pirate. He stood up tremblingly, silently he wants to take out all his treasures. As for whether he wants to hide some. Stop making trouble. Are you impatient to live? In front of such a guy, if you dare to hide yourself, you will definitely die very miserable. Anyway, he is 07 and has already seen that as long as he can live, he is very good. As for those so-called treasures, take them away. If it weren't for these treasures. Do you feel the pain you are experiencing now? Woo. Thinking of this, the sneaky pirate couldn't help but wailed, and Locke muttered interestingly, Lilith, do you think these pirates have brain problems? They don't really think so. They can do us harm, right? Locke really finds it very interesting. From my point of view, the thoughts of these pirates, even saying. I can't understand, you guys have a bag in your head, what is this? No kidding. Whitebeard pirates. Hey, but anyone who is not an idiot knows what kind of pirate group this is, right? No matter how you say it, this is also the top pirate group in the world. What happened? You actually came to make trouble with Lousy, and you still want to tie the knot look like. Please, you guys with cerebral palsy, don't say you failed, just say it. Yes, you robbed a child, and the robbery succeeded, but you don't really think that you can leave Golden Island alive, do you? The super huge S-fin the max is there. If anyone really has such an idea, anyway. Regardless of what other people think, Locke really thinks it's outrageous. This is no longer a problem with the head. Question. Soon, the pirate brought his treasure chest respectfully, knelt on the ground obediently, and said respectfully, My lord. My lord. That's really all there is, there really isn't any more. Please spare me. He is really about to cry, his heart is broken at this moment, he really doesn't want to die. If you give him another chance like this, he will never do such a thing again. Locke glanced at the treasure chest, waved his hands and said, Okay. Get lost, today is considered a labor management day to do a good deed, and Lousy will let you live. Thanks. Thank you, my lord. The pirate stood up and ran straight into the distance almost without hesitation, just kidding. What are you doing here? Are you looking for death? Stop making trouble. If you continue to stay here, you probably won't know how to die. Hurry up, run. Looking at the escaped pirate, Locke was very calm. He opened the treasure chest casually and looked at some gold and silver treasures inside. These were worthless, and if they were exhausted, they would cost hundreds of thousands or millions of Baileys, but look at among them was a devil fruit. Locke raised his eyebrows and picked up the devil fruit. Oh, interesting. Locke picked up this devil fruit, and the corners of his mouth curled up in interest, and he said with a smile, it turned out to be this devil fruit. This is really surprising. I was looking for this devil fruit, but it turned out found it here. Lilith came over, looked at the devil fruit in Locke's hand, and asked, Uncle. What devil fruit is this? Logia. Snow fruit. Snow fruit. Lilith was also taken aback, and said in astonishment, Uncle, isn't this one of the two devil fruits that you said are the most suitable for White? Locke threw the devil fruit into the treasure chest, nodded and said, to be precise. This devil fruit is the most suitable devil fruit, that's it. There is no need to have any doubts, after all. Frozen fruit. This top Logia devil fruit, if I guessed correctly, that devil fruit is in the hands of the world government, and it is impossible to wander outside, so. Snow fruit is the most suitable devil fruit for White Bay. Lilith also nodded seriously, if that's the case. Then, this devil fruit is indeed the most suitable devil fruit for Whiteib, and Locke continued, however. This devil fruit will appear here, it's really unexpected. After something like this, Locke and Lilith also had no intention of continuing to go shopping. The two of them went back with the treasure chest, while the others continued to purchase supplies and shop at the same time, knowing that when night fell, everyone gradually came back. What's wrong? This is. Locke watched the little ones, and it was interesting to watch them. Forget it. Lacchio waved his hand and complained. Uncle. We have cerebral palsy, and these guys actually want to rob us. To be honest, I just don't know what they are thinking. Is there something wrong with their brains? What kind of thought is that? Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. Locke was stunned. It's outrageous that this kind of thing will happen for the second time. It's just. Not only Lacchio, but soon, Fosa, Skuyat and others will return one by one. These little guys said that they basically met such guys. Good guy. Good guy. Locke is such a good guy, my god. The entire Whitebeard pirate group has a total of 590 people, and it turns out that almost 100 people have encountered such a thing. My mother. Is there a collective outbreak of cerebral palsy these days? Is there really nothing wrong with the brain? Seriously. Locke is a bit incomprehensible. What is this? You don't really have a problem with your brain, do you? No. Even if you have a problem with your brain, you wouldn't do such an idiotic thing. This is no longer. It is understandable that there is simply a problem with the brain. This is simply a problem with thinking. No. This is simply no brain, and they obviously have no brain. Do not know. Listening to Uncle's question, everyone shook their heads silently, and Vista even complained. These guys are really weird. They don't know what they are thinking, and it turned out. It's really strange to choose to rob. To be frank, the bewilderment and shock of these little guys is really very normal. Locke is also shocked and bewildered, which is unacceptable. No, I just can't understand it at all. Isn't this 100% brain problem? But if there is no brain problem, if it is not possible to do such an idiotic thing, Locke shook his head silently. Forget it. Forget it. It is better not to discuss this matter. If there are too many discussions with idiots, well, people will become idiots. Okay. Locke waved his hand to stop the chattering of these little guys, and said calmly, don't think so much, after all. This is a group of idiots. If we talk too much about these idiots, then we will also have problems. Yes, have all the supplies been purchased? Ah Bell came over and said seriously, Uncle. The materials have been purchased, there is no problem, as for other aspects. Although I have met some such guys, but this time I have obtained a lot less Bailey, after all. The price of purchasing materials is not high, and the robbery of these idiots, on the contrary, increases our 3. Talk and talk. Ah Bell, a serious kid, doesn't know what to say. Good guy, we came to buy things alone, and the result is great. Someone rushes to give money. This is outrageous. I can't understand it. Anyone with a brain can't understand it. What is this all about? It's just so weird. Locke waved his hand and continued. It's not a big problem, after all. In this sea, the most indispensable thing is a guy with a brain problem, and my brother is also a model with a brain problem. F***K. Newgate just swears, good guy. I was eating melon with a smile, but I ate melon on my body. This made Newgate not know what to say. Locke also ignored Newgate's special. Newgate immediately leaned over and said unhappily, Locke, you. What, exactly? Locke looked right and said calmly, brother, what you say is right, so say it. Don't argue with me, I know, what you said must be right. Talking. Locke just walked towards White Bay, and Newgate fell into a kind of silence when he saw Locke. What should I say? I don't know what to say. What does this mean? Are you what about doing things with lousy? Especially Locke's look of comforting the child made Newgate really angry, but there was nothing he could do. Taking a deep breath, Newgate clenched his teeth. He was so angry that his teeth were itchy. In the end, he still. If you didn't say anything, forget it. Forget it. Don't be angry. There is no need to be angry, of course. The main reason is that every time Newgate quarrels with his brother, then the loser is definitely myself, and in the end, I feel like I am an idiot. So, it's good to shut up when it's time to shut up. What's the point of talking so much? It's good to keep your mouth shut. Newgate shut up, and Locke walked over to Whitey Bay. Beside, he said with a smile, Widdub. I got a devil fruit this time, Logia's devil fruit. I just don't know if some people want it or not. Listening to Locke's smiling words, Whitey Bay became interested in an instant, and lowered his head with a smile, as if I was a good boy, and said obediently, Uncle. I am. Good boy, can you give me the devil fruit? Locke looked at Whitey Bay, and said silently, Whitey Bay, your integrity is gone. Whitey waved his hand and said disdainfully, I'm a pirate. What's the use of wanting that kind of thing? Locke remained silent. What you said makes sense. But please don't say 900 like that next time. Locke took out the snow fruit silently, and said, Logia snow fruit. Theoretically speaking, this should be the most suitable for you little girl like Whitey. The most suitable devil fruit is actually the more suitable frozen fruit. Unfortunately, frozen fruit is in the hands of the world government, and it is almost impossible for us to get it. Exclamation mark quote. For frozen fruit. To be honest, Locke really has ideas. Pity. There are too many high-level Mei fruits in the hands of the world government. For example, Sengoku's human fruit, phantom beast, and Buddha form devil fruit. For example, Sakazuki. Pelusilino, Kuzan's lava fruit, sparkling fruit, frozen fruit, each of which is a high-level Logia devil fruit. Heavy fruit, as well as Araki's dense fruit. Seriously. Locke is really not sure whether these devil fruits come from the world government. But what is certain is that the world government is definitely rich, and that is true. Money, all kinds of precious devil fruit are in the hands of others. And the top Logia devil fruit that can be scattered outside is dark fruit besides thunder fruit, these. It is the devil fruit that Locke knows, scattered outside. In fact, there is also the wind fruit. However, this devil fruit, Locke does not know if it is in the hands of the dragon. In short, it is basically these. It's so unpalatable. Whitey Bay ate devil fruit. The whole person's face was distorted. It was too unpalatable, especially for girls. They prefer to eat some sweet food. The result. It just feels more unpalatable. Locke said with a smile. Well, didn't I say that? Devil fruit is super unpalatable. Gudong. Whitey swallowed the devil fruit with great difficulty. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief and let the whole person relax. Locke tapped Whitey's little head lightly. The next moment, Whitey Bay's head shattered instantly, turning into pieces of pure white snowflakes. Locke looked at the snowflakes flying all over the sky, and said with a smile, "It really is snow fruit. It's really good." Whitey snorted arrogantly, but still whispered, "Uncle. Thank you very much." He. Locke chuckled and shook his head, while Newgate and the others all had smiles on their lips. Yeah. This is what it feels like to be home, maybe. A lot happens a lot. Different, but we are all relatives. This is the most important thing. Everyone. The enemy is coming. At this moment, Sphinx appeared, interrupted everyone's thoughts, and then spoke with a smile. Everyone's eyes instantly became extremely sharp. Chapter 69. Whitebeard plus Battle Tyrannosaurus, 2 to 3 is enough. 5 Peaks Pirates. John Pirates. The Silver Axe Pirates. Do not know. Does anyone still remember that these 3 guys formed the Pirate Alliance because they were unhappy with Newgate? But the problem is here, although the 3 of them said they formed the Pirate Alliance, there was a small problem. Locke accidentally discovered the idea of their alliance, so. Through some small means, Sengoku was lured there, and the result is needless to say. Sengoku brought Garp and Marine Elite, which is no less than Buster Call's power, merged with 3 people. That war was really terrifying. Sengoku always felt that someone was watching him behind the scenes, but it turned out that there were some accidents, although I don't know what the result was, but in the end this war ended like this curtain. This is something that no one can do anything about, because everyone is very clear that this cannot be changed at all. This is how the war ended. Result. Here, the Whitebeard pirates just went out to sea and came to Golden Island to replenish their supplies. As a result, the Pirate Alliance has already caught up, obviously. These guys, one by one, are like lunatics. They really want to destroy the Whitebeard Sea. Thieves. Or, for the 3 of them, it is not just the 3 of them who want to get the Sphinx. There are many people in this sea who want to get the Sphinx. The process of building the Sphinx it is too difficult, even to say. This is almost impossible to replicate. The world's #1 shipbuilder, Tom Shipwright, all publicly said that this ship cannot build a second one at all. That is the right time and place all the combination of people in harmony as the successful building of a ship. And such a ship, as long as any pirate is interested, they want to snatch it away, after all. Newgate directly robbed 72 countries and 36 forces, and this offended too many people, but what about them? As long as they have what they have ready-made, let's talk about it. Is there anyone strong in the entire Whitebeard pirates? Except for Newgate, it's just a bunch of brats and a good-for-nothing brother. As for the Battle Tyrannosaurus amount, this can only be said. The Battle Tyrannosaurus was so brutal that it really did not leave anyone alive. Because of this, in the case of no one alive, then naturally, that is, no one has other ideas, since there are no survivors. Then, it must be that many things are different. Are you right? Obviously. There is no need to doubt this point, and many people don't even know about Battle Tyrannosaurus exist. This can be regarded as a big hole card. After all, the hidden improvement of an Admiral-level Ultimate Digimon is also quite huge. This point is absolutely beyond doubt. Besides, Akoku, John, Silver Axe, these 3 guys. Obviously, they have really formed an obsession with the Whitebeard pirates. These 3 people have found them so quickly, so there is no need to say more, especially the mighty it can be seen from the floating fleet, these 3 guys. The preparations during this period can be said to be very sufficient, and all preparations have already been made. Looking at the mighty pirate fleet sweeping in from a distance, Locke smiled and said, "These 3 guys have a good plan. The purpose of the 3 of them seems to be to kill us, and then occupy the Sphinx. Otherwise, the information on the Sphinx would have been exposed 5 months ago, and these 3 guys didn't make any moves, obviously. They planned to let us take the Sphinx. The sea was built, and it was finally taken away in one fell swoop." He. Locke chuckled lightly and teased, "It's really a good idea. If there is only my brother in the family, under no accidental circumstances, these three guys really succeeded. Locke said it very easily, but, after thinking about it, many little guys felt a bit of coldness. Yes, just like what Uncle said, if there is only Daddy in the family, although Daddy powerful, but facing three opponents who are at most weaker than oneself, is there really a chance of winning? The result is actually very simple. There is no chance of winning. 1 against 1, 1 against 2, maybe. It's okay for Newgate, but 1 against 3, Newgate is absolutely certain to lose. The strength has not reached such an incomparable gap, and in such a situation under the circumstances, the old man lost, and they were almost certain to die. At that time, the Sphinx, which was built with countless painstaking efforts, really fell into the hands of others. He. The Sphinx chuckled softly and said, I won't take orders from others. For me, I just want to follow you two children and look at the ink color of the future. Listening to the words of the Sphinx, Locke also nodded and said, of course. I will not let anyone take you away, Sphinx. You are our family, no matter when. No matter what people. They are absolutely not allowed. Family. Hearing this vocabulary, everyone clenched their fists firmly, and Locke saw this scene. A smile emerged, which was very effective, yes. I said this on purpose, for these children say, it is to make them firm in their beliefs, family. That is the most important thing. What? You say Locke is brainwashing. Get out. Get out. Get out. Do you believe that Lousy killed you? You guys know too much. Locke smiled, turned his head and said, brother, it's fine. Don't watch the excitement, the war is about to start, and there is no way to escape this war. If you choose to escape, from now on, we Whitebeard pirates the regiment is not qualified to gain a foothold. That's right. That's right. Without accidents, this war is just the beginning. As the alliance of these three guys comes to an end, there will be more people in the future. Come looking for trouble. A chill appeared in his eyes, and Locke was also very upset about this situation. Just kidding, Lousy is your fault. You come to Lousy every day to trouble Lousy. Okay, then Lousy will scare you. Let you know how powerful is the strength of the Whitebeard pirates, and save you the trouble of opening the door to find Lousy. La. Newgate laughed and said, Locke, don't look down on Lousy. Lousy is Whitebeard. Come on, let Lousy see Lousy's opponents. What kind of strength are these three guys? These 2 years, don't become too weak. Otherwise, Lousy will feel very boring. La. Newgate laughed crazily, jumped up with Kong Yunchi in his hand, and landed directly on the Moby Dick, and Newgate's followers landed on it, one by one, with fairly good strength. Guys, they are going to go to the battlefield after all, even though they are still very young. But, they still have to go to the battlefield, otherwise, they will never be able to grow. If they will never be able to grow, then the result is meaningless things. Clatter, clatter. Watching the old man holding Kong Yunchi leave with a group of brats, and the Moby Dick heading straight for the distance, Locke said to Lilith next to him, Lilith, get everything ready. These little guys will also injured, don't have any casualties and disabilities, Orc Garuruman, Gladiator Beast. You two keep up, you don't need to protect them to fight, but if there is a possibility of dying or a broken limb, just take action in the dark to protect these children. Yes, Lord Locke, Orc Garuruman, Gladiator Beast, and Lilith also took the little nurses on the world tree and started to act at the same time, while Locke stood in place, quietly watching the distant battlefield. What is in his heart? What are you thinking about? No one knows. Clatter, clatter. Akoku, John, and Silver Axe are standing on the bows of their respective ships. They have a total of 20 pirate ships. In terms of the overall number of people, there are almost 10,000 people, which is not too many, after all. These three this guy is also holding back. It goes without saying if they win, what if they lose? So, save a little back, and it will be very easy to make a comeback at that time, otherwise, if you can't even make a comeback, it will be a very embarrassing thing. Because of this, these three guys didn't take all the people under their hands. The people are brought out. Click, click. At this moment, Akoku saw that the left and right legs of the huge Sphinx opened at the same time like a mechanism, followed by 2 pirate ships slowly sailing out of it, and Akoku he squinted his eyes and said, sure enough. As I guessed, this pirate ship is like a sea base. If you can get it. His eyes are full of endless greed. Akoku is a person who likes to play with his brain. What he likes most is to use his mind to help himself get everything. After the Locke's pirates disbanded and dissipated, he took the lead in occupying Hachinosu Island. Now, Hachinosu has provided Akoku with a huge amount of wealth, and he has used various means to monopolize Hachinosu Island, and no one will come to trouble him. As for future teach, that, it has been so many years later. It can be seen from here that Akoku is actually very stable, otherwise. It is impossible to have no problems for so many years. Humph. Search. John licked the corner of his mouth ferociously. He was extremely bloodthirsty, like a ghost, carrying the captain's knife, and said cruelly, it's really exciting. You can get all this. Especially, Lousy, it's too early for the bastard Whitebeard. It's too exciting. It's really great. Laozi's blood is about to boil. Saigao. Ha ha ha. Among the 6 cadres of the Locke's pirates, do you think Linlin is a crazy woman? Do you think Shiki has a problem with his head? No, no, no. The craziest one, then. Definitely John. He is the most terrifying lunatic. What kind of things will this lunatic do? Who knows? For this terrifying lunatic, no matter what he does, it is not surprising. Silver Axe was not interested in Akoku and John's words at all. He just touched his left arm with one hand, and it seemed that there was no change under the armor, but anyone who really understands knows that Silver Axe's the left arm was cut off by Baloric. Now it is just a mechanical arm connected by means of technology. This hatred. Silver Axe did not land on Baloric, even though Silver Axe's arm was cut off by Baloric. But the problem is here. People always look for those who look weaker. Yes, compared to Newgate's sense of oppression, Baloric is actually more terrifying, so Silver Axe puts hatred on Newgate, and even more on the Whitebeard pirates. All in all, this is an alliance formed by 3 guys, some for greed, some for madness, and some for revenge, these 3 guys. Just like this, they gathered together to form this pirate alliance. The purpose is very simple, that is to defeat the Whitebeard pirates, completely devour the Whitebeard pirates. This is what the 3 of them think, so I say. Sometimes, the situation of these guys is really different. Up. Snapped. Standing on the bow of the Moby Dick, while Newgate is holding Kong Yunchi, his eyes are filled with endless hockey. Afraid. Stop making trouble. That is simply impossible, even if the other party is 3 people, even if I have only 1 person, but for myself, I don't need to be afraid at all. Because Newgate believes that no matter at any time, as long as his brother tells him, he can go. Then he can definitely go, and there will never be any problems. This is Newgate's absolute belief in Locke. In Newgate it seems that anyone in this world will harm me, but my younger brother will never harm me, and there are 3 admiral-level powerhouses who are weaker than me. Newgate knows that if there is no backup, if there is no other people to help, then I will definitely die, no matter how powerful I am, but with one enemy 3, then it is definitely a deadly situation, but even if it is so, Newgate didn't care at all. Come on. Laozi's younger brother is behind Laozi, who is afraid of whom? If you don't accept it, you will risk your life and it will be over. Laozi doesn't believe that Laozi's younger brother will be unprepared. The atmosphere on both sides has already begun to gradually become tense. After all, this place was originally the outskirts of Golden Island, and a large number of people, pirates, and even marines, all forces are curiously looking at the situation in front of them, after all. The result of this war. How it is, that makes everyone very curious. I think the Whitebeard pirates are doomed. Besides the white Nuo How beard, is there anyone who can handle it? Apart from the good-for-nothing brothers, they're just a bunch of brats. I think so too. Are you idiots? If the Whitebeard pirates are really no match, they can hide. None of you know how strong the Sphinx is. It's good to hide. As for fighting directly. So, the Whitebeard pirates still have a backup. These pirates, one by one, have not waited for the war to start, they have already started to quarrel, and each of them is asking the researchers whether the Whitebeard pirate group will win or the 3 big pirate group alliance will win. How to say? This situation is more or less different, but inside the Sphinx, behind Locke emerged a 3-meter-tall dragon-type ultimate Digimon exuding a terrifying aura. Shop. Fight Tyrannosaurus. Snapped. The battle Tyrannosaurus came out step by step, looked at the battlefield in the distance, and said with sharp eyes, Master Locke. Do you need to find a hand? Locke smiled and said, of course. Fight the Tyrannosaurus to win this war, if possible. Then kill all 3 of these guys, and they will all come to the door for trouble. Really, what if the Whitebeard pirates are made of mud? It's the best. Just kill you guys one by one. That's the most appropriate. The killing intent in his eyes is so strong. At this moment, Locke doesn't hide his killing intent at all. These 3 guys are really looking for trouble again and again. If this is the case, then the best thing is to kill you. Well done, 3 guys. As for the big brother plus battle Tyrannosaurus, is it enough to beat the 3 of them? Locke said this. There is no problem. Even if you can't kill them, there is no problem for 2 to 3. Chapter 70. Not all shields of courage are called shields of courage. But the defense is still amazing. Advertise here. Whitebeard. Death to Laozi. Whitebeard, you bastard. John and Silver Axe shot at the same time. The former held the captain's knife and exuded a bloodthirsty light all over his body. In this world, besides physical skills, kendo, fruit ability, and hockey, there are 2 other types of hockey that are similar to hockey. It is a relatively special power, which is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to master, that is, murderous aura and ghost aura, and those who can master these 2 kinds of power are generally not weak. What the Red John has mastered is murderous aura, to put it bluntly. Murderous aura is a crazy person in battle, everything they can gradually master, but ghost aura is different. The power of ghost aura is innate. If you are born with this kind of power can be mastered. If one is not born with it, then no matter how hard one tries, one cannot master this kind of power. Bullet, Zoro, This kind of people are born to grasp ghost energy and have the power of ghost energy, but what about John? When the captain's knife fell, the blood-red slash seemed to swallow everything up, but just feeling John's slash, you can feel how terrifying the power is. It is definitely a horrific slash that can destroy everything. At the same time, the silver axe turned into a stream of silver light, holding the silver giant axe and slashed at Newgate from top to bottom. The terrifying power seemed to split Newgate in two, absolutely. The power, the absolute speed, and the light that exudes a terrifying breath. Just looking at it makes people feel endless fear. The Conqueror's hockey is entwined, and the armament hockey is covered. Gu la la la, M. John. Silver axe. You two guys, you were not Lousy's opponents back then, are you Lousy's opponents now? Don't be overwhelmed with Lousy. You two, in Lousy's eyes, are nothing more than two trash. Newgate's majestic size, facing such an offensive, is not worth mentioning at all, as if he didn't pay attention to it at all. He clenched Kong Yunchi in his hand with one hand, directly raised it horizontally, and went down a moment. My body is also slightly arched, and the aura emanating from the whole body is getting more and more terrifying, and it is also getting more and more frightening. Kong Yunchi air shock slash. Newgate's knife was like sweeping away thousands of troops with one move, and he slashed over with one hand, and such a terrifying knife, in an instant. It was as if everything was going to be swallowed up. The sky collapsed and the earth collapsed. Shattered, the sky exploded, and 1 against 2, facing the astonishing blow of the two, the three stopped immediately at a distance of 5 meters, and the powerful Conqueror's hockey was colliding. It is not an exaggeration in the slightest to destroy the world, even the power that 653 calls invincible. Boom. One blow, just one blow. Between Setsuna, the entire battlefield instantly churned, the surrounding sea set off monstrous waves, surrounding the three of them and spreading towards the distance frantically. The overwhelming waves, the waves are really too terrifying, and this is the air wave generated by the collision of 3 people, and this is just the beginning of darkness. Followed by Kong Yunkut, Captain Knife, Silver Gree attacks. The 3 weapons started a terrifying collision. With 1 enemy and 1 Newgate, they will win without any problem. Their strength is weaker than that of Newgate, but now it is not an enemy. 1 is 1 against 2. Facing the joint siege of the 2, moreover, the tacit understanding between the 2 is absolutely unquestionable. Although they are the captains of the 2 pirate groups now. Don't forget, once at the time, these 2 guys, including Akoku, were part of the Locke's pirates. And when they were in the Locke's pirates, the relationship between the 3 of them was very good. It is precisely because the relationship between the 3 of them is very good that the current situation has been formed. The 3 of them formed an alliance so simply, otherwise. On this sea, the alliance between pirates is like a joke. Want to form a complete alliance? It is so easy there. To be precise, the alliance between pirates is the biggest chances or there will be surprises. Bump, bump, rumble, crackling, one after another, deafening roars began to resound crazily, but Newgate fought 1 against 2, but the more he fought, the more ferocious, the more terrifying, because of this. The power that erupted at this moment, Newgate has already, it's getting more and more scary. Gu la la la. Newgate laughed wildly, and even roared heroically. No way. You 2 guys, do you only have such strength? It's not worth mentioning. It's not worth mentioning. You 2 are too weak. It's just not in the eyes of Lousy. It's too weak. If you only have this little ability. Are you going to take away Lousy's Sphinx? Do you want revenge? Stop messing around. Lousy doesn't care about you at all. Following Newgate's howls, John sneered again and said coldly, Whitebeard, you fellow, don't be too arrogant. Today, you will definitely die here, and no one can save you, it's not just you. These little ghosts behind you, one by one, will die here one by one. Lousy will let you see the little ghosts in his own family die here one by one, and make you feel endless pain. Wave. Listening to John's increasingly cruel words, although Newgate didn't say a word, there was still a heroic smile on the corner of his mouth, but those who are familiar with him know that the smile has actually froze. Not only that, the entire body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. He clenched Kong Yunchi's arm, and the muscles on it had begun to swell inch by inch. Obviously, Newgate's anger had already begun to burn. Court death. These 2 words were almost squeezed out between the teeth, even though he was at a disadvantage, but the power that Newgate erupted at this moment was actually defeating the 2 of them, and the 2 felt as if they were overwhelming. General terrifying pressure. Just. The 2 of them have no fear at all. For these 2 people, it doesn't matter at all. Are you strong? It is undeniable. You are indeed very strong. But your strength, to Lousy, is nothing more than that. It's not worth mentioning at all. Lousy doesn't care at all. You are a little bit stronger than Lousy, but we are 2 people. It can easily hunt you down, the so-called anger. The so-called tyranny. Therefore, facing Newgate's indiscriminate bombardment, the 2 of them didn't care at all. In a one-on-one situation, neither of them was Newgate's opponent, but since they are teaming up, then everything has become much simpler, especially now, everything is natural. Then it is extremely easy. The other side, Akoku has already taken the pirate ship, has begun to gradually approach Moby Dick and the World Tree String. He. Although Akoku is a person who plays with brains, but, surprisingly, Akoku is not a short stature, or a shrinking person, on the contrary. Akoku is extremely tall, just like a muscular at this moment. He is brushing his beard, his eyes are full of indifference but proud look, with endless sarcasm, he said lightly, it seems. Everything in this battle is it's under control, it's really not worth mentioning. Such an opponent is very boring. Akoku is full of proud attitude. In Akoku's view, winning this battle is too simple, as if it should be so simple, it is completely worthless, and such a battle, if you want to win, or even say that winning made me feel a little boring. Attack! Quote exclamation mark quote. Destroy the Whitebeard pirates, and all the treasures belong to you. Roar. Listening to Akoku's words, and everyone burst into deafening roars, this is really too exciting. For pirates like them, what do they want most? That is countless the gold and silver treasures. And as long as the Whitebeard pirate group is destroyed, then what a terrifying treasure it will be. These treasures belong to themselves. Because of this, for these crazy pirates, that's enough excitement. Huh. Looking at the galloping pirates, Bell let out a long breath. The breath of the whole person has begun to become completely different. The wings of the eagle behind him emerged, and the whole body seemed to have become how about a lion, a head, walking upright, or a lion orc, but its head has become an eagle. Cat fruit, phantom beast, and griffin form, human and animal form. This is the strength of Bell. His left hand is wrapped with a gust of wind, and his right hand is wrapped with a thunderbolt. Behind his head, there are flames burning wildly like rushing thunder. Wind, fire, thunder. A person can actually mastering the power of 3 natural elements. This is the particularity of Bell. As a member of the Lunaria family, he can simultaneously exert the power of 3 natural elements by combining the power of the griffin fruit. Bros. Ready for battle. Defeat your opponent. Roar. Responding to Bell's deafening roar, Bell jumped up and went straight to the opponent in front of him. The speed was extremely fast, which proved that Bell's strength, even at a young age, already possessed such strength. And following Bell's attack, the Moby Dick and the World Tree went straight to their opponents respectively, and the speed of the 2 pirate ships was extremely fast. Search. Boom. The roar of artillery fire has already begun to resound, and the flames of war pervade the battlefield in an instant. The 2 sides are rapidly turning around and exchanging fire. The siege of the 2, the overall situation, has gradually changed, after all. Under the siege of the 2, no matter whether Newgate's strength is strong, it is still gradually at a disadvantage. After all, Newgate's strength has not yet reached his peak period, so, such a situation is very normal. He. The corner of Akoku's mouth curled up, and he cruelly pulled out the épée in his hand, and said ferociously, then. Whitebeard, let Lousy take you for the last ride, let Lousy take a look. What is the death of you guy, what does it look like? Ha. Akoku held his épée, jumped up, and came straight to Newgate. The speed was really too fast. That speed, like an afterimage, came to Newgate's side in an instant. Immediately afterwards, a sword fell down like this, as if the heaven and earth were about to tear everything apart, between Setsuna. Everything is already. It's starting to get weird. This sword, according to Newgate's strength, there is absolutely no way to turn around and take precautions, and the moment Akoku made a move, John and Silver Axe also erupted at the same time with an even more terrifying attack. The offensive is to make Newgate completely elegant here. It can be said that this battle between the strong will not take long at all. The power emitted is probably enough to destroy everything in an instant. Die. 11. Akoku opened his mouth with a ferocious expression, but the next moment. He was slightly stunned, because his heavy sword was blocked. Thorn. The pair of sharp metal claws blocked the terrifying blow. Just for a moment, they blocked Akoku's face, and the figure of Battle Greymon was floating in front of Akoku. In midair, the other hand opened, and the shield of courage had already helped Newgate block the joint siege of John and Silver Axe. Stopped the offensive of 3 people. The fighting Tyrannosaur's aura became more terrifying, and it said with cold eyes, Master Newgate, are you alright? Gu la. Newgate laughed and fell down, and said boldly, Lousy. Of course he is unscathed, these 3 guys. It seems that they intend to kill Lousy directly. But, Akoku. John, Silver Axe, just like what Lousy said, you 3 guys are impossible to win. No matter what time it is, you are nothing worth mentioning in Lousy's eyes. It's just the weakling, not Lousy's opponent at all, never have any chance to beat Lousy. Listening to Newgate's eyes full of arrogance, the faces of the other 3 people gradually turned cold. The appearance of the battle Tyrannosaurus. No one thought of something that had never been thought of before, but it would have such a result. Or, whether they were really dreaming or not, they never imagined that the final result would be like this. Where did the fighting Tyrannosaur come from? More fundamentally, what is the battle Tyrannosaurus? This is the most strange thing, and it is also the most strange thing for them. Battle Tornado. But the battle Tyrannosaurus did not talk nonsense. Immediately afterwards, the whole person had turned into a golden tornado, and it went straight to the 3 of them. The terrifying impact was even fundamental. There is no need to doubt, just by looking at it, you can feel how amazing power it is, because of this. From the beginning to the end. I dare not have any carelessness at all, the three of them teamed up. The hand directly blocked the blow of the battle Tyrannosaur. Very strong. An opponent of the same level. Good. The three of them keenly sensed instantly what kind of opponent this was, but after the battle Tyrannosaurus stopped, followed closely behind, the sharp claws named Dragon Beast K. Zing's pair of sharp claws directly launched an incomparable forceful offensive, that astonishing power, as if to devour everything. Crackling. Crackling. The swift and violent attack like a monster, combined with the defense of the Shield of Courage, the battle Tyrannosaur can be called a monster with both offense and defense, especially the Shield of Courage, it is undeniable. To put it bluntly, the Shield of Courage is a power that only a very small number of War Greymon can possess, in other words, it is the power that War Greymon can possess after comprehending the power of courage. But this does not mean that War Greymon is weak. The Shield of Courage made of solid chrome Digizoid is still strong enough, and on the other side, Locke. But he walked out of the defense step by step, smiling as he watched the more and more chaos in front of him, and gradually fell to his side of the battlefield completely. It's all under your control. Chapter 71. Locke. No way. No way. No one really thinks I'm weak, right? Advertise here. Snapped. Snapped. Locke walked out of the Sphinx step by step, looked at everything in front of him with a smile on his eyes, jumped up casually, and landed on the bow of the Sphinx, the huge lion head he sat cross-legged on the top of his head, and watched his brother plus battle Tyrannosaurus facing Akoku, John, and Silver Axe. He was not afraid at all, and said with a smile, sure enough. I guessed it almost, even though they are both at the Admiral level and are also known as the world's top combat power, but strength. There is still an obvious gap, it is still beyond doubt. Shaking his head with emotion, Locke sat cross-legged, and even very calmly got a bottle of beer out of nowhere, and some delicate pastries, just quietly watching the battlefield. The battle between 4 people and 1 Digimon is not yet mentioned, on the other side. Orc Garu-Ruman, Warriorman and Bell and other children also directly launched a fierce battle with the Pirate Alliance. How about the day? It's not surprising that they are completely suppressed and beaten. They are not opponents of the same level. They children have not yet grown up, and those old guys are powerful one by one, but gladiator beasts are a good thing. That's insane. Experience points. After all, at their level, it is very difficult for the Orc Garu-Ruman to go hunting further, and the best way, of course, is the one in front of it. As for the placement. Not to mention fighter beasts, mature Digimon are basically equal to the level of Rear Admiral and Commodore, and this level is the most suitable for facing these opponents, one by one. It's clean, it's like a joke, it's casual, it's easy, and the war continues like this. But as the battle Tyrannosaurus joined the battlefield, the overall situation of the battle fell into a stiff state. Or, falling into a stalemate, both sides are unable to break each other in a short period of time. The Pirate Alliance has a large number of elites and cadres, but the problem is that it is really terrifying not to be able to stand up to the battle Tyrannosaurus. Not only with New York Gate teamed up to face the 3 powerhouses, and even turned his hands over to attack them every now and then, and definitely wouldn't kill them. Battle Tyrannosaurus is very clear, if this is the case. If it can take care of this kind of experience and eat all the experience points, good guy. Maybe Orc Garu-Ruman can directly evolve, okay. If it is true evolve directly. The income of this wave is very amazing, that is the best. As for everything else, on the contrary, it is not important. Therefore, this battlefield has fallen into a stalemate. Newgate, Battle Greymon vs. Akoku, John, Silver Axe, and with the help of the Orc Garu-Ruman in secret, and the command of Bell, the overall situation of the battle is it's more and more shocking, even to say. This kind of situation makes people have a feeling that they never expected. It's always very strange, but I still can't explain it. What's wrong with it? Too right. Is this a stalemate? F*K. Whitebeard pirates, where did such a strong man come from? This is it. Mechanical Greymon. Absolutely nothing wrong. Lousy remembers that the Tyrannosaurus can evolve into a mechanical Tyrannosaurus, and it seems to be called a battle Tyrannosaurus. You can hear it from the name. This is definitely a mechanical Tyrannosaurus evolved. What the hell? Isn't this too outrageous? It can evolve into an Admiral-level powerhouse. And the pirates who watched the battle around the Golden Island were full of shock. The origin of the battle Tyrannosaurus is easy to analyze, and they will find out after careful analysis. Good guy. Good guy. This is the evolution of mechanical Greymon. I don't know if I can continue to evolve, That's really too shocking, please. It's reached a level that is completely unimaginable, okay. What kind of terrifying power is this? Obediently. It can actually evolve into an Admiral-level powerhouse. In that case, Edward Locke, the vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates, although he is a rotten salted fish, but his fruit ability is too outrageous. Yes, so far, he has summoned 3 battle Tyrannosaurs, if each one can evolve to the Admiral level. F*K. Gudong. Almost everyone instinctively swallowed a mouthful of saliva. WCTMD. This is unbelievable. What's going on? It's simply incomprehensible. If all three of them evolve into admirals, then, Whitebeard, see, the strength of the thieves is not as simple as it seems on the surface. The most important thing is, are these three the limit? God knows. After a few days, months, or years, will they could Locke just summon something else again? If this is the case, tell me, if it's really the same as what we speculated, the Whitebeard pirates will be the most powerful pirates in the world. The strongest pirate group in the world. Oh my god. If it's what we speculated, then let alone the most powerful pirate group in the world. I'm afraid, it is the most powerful force in the world, no matter what naval headquarters or world government is an opponent. And for the Whitebeard pirates, it's nothing to mention. Everyone could vaguely see something. The Whitebeard pirates in front of them, as if they were the Sphinx, really turned into a roaring monster, roaring in the sky. Tell everyone, Lousy is powerful. Tell everyone, although compared with other pirates, the Whitebeard pirates have 2 years less. But, these 2 years are definitely not blank, but an absolutely unparalleled power has been born. The completed Sphinx is known as the world's #1 pirate ship, and even the world's #1 ship. The battle Tyrannosaurus that has evolved to the ultimate body has become a real admiral-level powerhouse. Coupled with the sharp dragon beast Nemesis and the sturdy shield of courage, the gap in strength is almost equal, but the strength it exerts, the strength is absolutely terrifying. He. Locke naturally heard the discussions of the pirates on the Golden Island, and with a chuckle, he said with emotion, "Wah. Well, these people have discovered it. Indeed. Just like what they discussed, Whitebeard pirates. They are never weak, but a terrifying beast that has already shown its fangs, and how terrifying is the power of this beast." Humph. A smile emerged, and Locke's smile was really strong. The Whitebeard pirates have survived their own difficult time with difficulty, and as the most difficult time has passed, then, what will be the next result? Obviously, it is already self-evident. Whether it is the completed Sphinx, or the powerful strength of my brother, who is gradually improving, and the ultimate battle Tyrannosaurus, as for Bell, Vista, Little Ozzy, Lark, little guys like you, Fosa, Whiteby, and Squad, one counts as one, just kidding. These little guys have great potential in themselves, and under their more perfect teaching, they are more suitable for matching Devil Fruit. They will also grow far beyond the original book. No kidding. If it really came to the Summit War period, that is, 34 years later, Locke spread his hands, and said directly, "I don't know how to lose, let alone naval headquarters. Come. You put all the world government pull over for Lousy. What CPO? What 5 elders? Or what hidden power? And, that mysterious god who has mastered Uranus. Look for Lousy to come here, look at Lousy hammering you to death. If you don't beat you to death, it's over. This is not a joke. You just try it. Come on, let's just try it. Besides, it's not about the original among them, even now. What's wrong? You tell Lousy what's wrong with me. Is Lousy weak? Just kidding. The current Whitebeard pirate group is very weak, with 2 admiral-level fighters and the Sphinx, the #1 ship in the world. Lousy put his hands on his hips, directly expressing that he is invincible. Okay. Joke. Locke is really very disdainful about this. Who do you look down on? No one really thinks that after the Locke's pirates disbanded and the Valley of the Gods War, the Whitebeard pirates are 2 years late, no other people's opponents. Stop messing around. In the original book, Newgate brought a group of little ghosts from his family, and they can be called the 3 legendary pirates together with the Luogia pirates and the Flying Pirates. On the contrary, it is weaker. Are you kidding me? Anyway, Locke's thoughts on this are, don't make jokes with Lousy. Do you think Lousy is making a joke with you? Just kidding. Such a thing is nothing at all. You can try it and see how strong Lousy is. And just when Locke was thinking, the figure of the Sphinx floated out from under his feet, and said with a smile, "Locke, don't you plan to fight? Look, if you don't join the battlefield, this battle it's going to be very stiff and stalemate." Locke shook his head and said, "Sphinx, you know me too, I'm really not interested in this kind of thing at all, besides. I don't need to participate in it, for children like Bell, let they have to hone it well, and Orc Geruruman and Warrior Beast need to absorb experience points to become stronger. In this battle, the strength of the opponent is very strong, and if Akoku, John, Silver Axe can be if such a guy is defeated, or even beheaded, Orc Geruruman may further evolve and complete the final evolution. 0. Seeking Flowers 00. Joke. No one really thinks that Locke is just here to watch a show, right? Impossible. Locke has already set his sights on the 3 guys Akoku, John, and Silver Axe. These 3 guys can escape, they can leave, but one difference is that these 3 guys, I absolutely cannot allow them to leave like this. This is absolutely impossible. Anyway, Locke will never allow such a thing to happen. Even if you can leave alive, you must contribute your experience points to the Orc Geruruman. Locke researched it, and the experience points that the Orc Geruruman lacks now, if these 3 guys are all defeated by making up swords, then there is absolutely no doubt, and it will definitely be able to further evolve, when the time comes. Lousy left-hand fight. Tyrannosaurus, right-handed Iron Geruruman, put their hands on their hips. Come on, come on. You are making trouble with Lousy. Lousy will directly attack you. Then, Battle Greymon has learned the power of courage. Steel Geruruman has learned the power of friendship. The soul of the knight that will be bred immediately will be used when the time comes, here it is. At least it can be compared to that of the dead Locke's Dzebek who looks like a god of war. Omegamon was born. At that point you're looking. What a concept. Only, just at this time, a pirate sneaked up to the Sphinx without knowing when. He raised his head, and looked at the huge giant of the Sphinx. With a big lion head, the corners of his mouth were grinning, and he said ferociously, "Finally let Lousy grope here. Edward Locke, you trash, is the biggest weakness of the Whitebeard pirates. Exclamation mark. As long as it can defeat you. He. Search." Accompanied by a ferocious smile, the corner of his mouth opened into a cruel smile, his voice was very strange, filled with a terrifying killing intent, all of a sudden. His whole body instantly soared into the sky, turned into an afterimage, and went straight to Locke in an instant. His speed was extremely fast, and almost in an instant, he had already rushed to the bow of the ship. Directly in front of Locke's eyes. Ha ha ha. Die. Following the ferocious roar, in an instant, he had already arrived in front of Locke's eyes, with terrifying killing intent bursting out from his eyes. He drew out his long knife, and directly slashed at Locke. It fell down. What? Appeared. As I guessed. Sure enough, someone did this, someone shot Locke, as long as someone shot Locke. Then, just kill Locke the entire Whitebeard pirate group. The pattern of the situation has become different. Wrong. Some people think, but some people have different ideas, shook their heads and said, I don't think so. In my opinion, you think Locke is very weak, but Look, is Locke really very weak? Is he really powerless? Everyone raised their heads at the same time, looking at the apex of the Sphinx. They seemed to be very curious about the next result. What will it be like? But the result! Exclamation mark. The next thing is getting more and more interesting. Snapped. In the astonished eyes of everyone, or in other words, in the astonished eyes of the vast majority of people, but a very small number of people showed a clear look, sure enough. Just like what they said. As I guessed, no one really thinks that Locke is really weak, right? Stop messing around. That is simply impossible. This guy Locke is absolutely impossible to be weak. No. Under everyone's gaze, Locke stomped the pirate under his feet, very calm. Locke rubbed his chin, looked at the half-dead pirate below him and said helplessly, I didn't say that. Are you really looking down on me? What do you think? No way. No one really thinks I'm a waste, right? Really. Lousy feels very helpless. Inexplicably, Lousy has become a waste, really. It's a headache. With helplessness all over his face, Locke also felt very helpless, and really didn't know what to say. Good guy. It's not true that the whole high thinks he's a waste, right? Please. Although Lousy doesn't like to fight, it doesn't mean that Lousy is weak and pathetic. What are you guys doing? Thinking. Or put it another way. You don't really think that Lousy is a waste, do you? For such a situation, Locke said that although he is a salty fish, he likes to stay a little bit, but he is really not a waste. Chapter 72. Warrior Beast Evolution. Night Beast. Orc Geruruman Evolution. Steel Geruruman. Advertise here. Okay. Labor and management really don't have time to care about you guy. Locke held the half-dead pirate under his feet, and kicked him out. At the same time, the gladiator jumped up, and the western sword in his hand directly harvested his life, and then continued to join the battlefield. The experience point supplement is completed. Clapping his hands, Locke sat down again, and complained helplessly, Sphinx. Look, these guys always feel like I'm a weak chicken. Really, I just fight and kill these guys I'm not interested in killing, but that doesn't mean I'm really weak and pitiful. Seriously, Locke just thinks it's outrageous. Why do everyone think they are weak? What do they think? I can't understand it more or less. It's really not about myself, but about this matter. It's really outrageous. As long as anyone has a little brain, or has no problem thinking, he can probably guess that if he is really weak and pitiful, it is impossible for him to sit here. Moreover, don't forget, Locke is the one who inherited the handle of World Tree Knight Wong Quan. What kind of strength is his own Digimon? Can't play it out, but the problem is, Battle Greymon plus Orc Geruruman plus Warrior Beast, this is the sum of my current strength. So, although Locke said that he does not train, do not exercise, and does not improve himself, but if someone really thinks that Locke's strength is really very weak, it is the weakness of the entire Whitebeard pirates. Locke can pry your skull open for you, and then crush your head. Is this the behavior of an idiot? Okay. Brother, as long as you know a little bit of brain, you can't think like this. Such an idea itself is 637. That is an extremely outrageous thing, and I really didn't complain about it. This thing, in a sense, It's really outrageous. He. Regarding Locke's complaints, the Sphinx chuckled, and said in a childish but gentle voice, Locke, isn't this normal? In the eyes of these people, you do nothing, and every day is like a salted fish is just like a rice bug, just lying on top of the Whitebeard pirates to suck blood. It's not surprising that they don't know your strength. Hey, listening to Sphinx's words, Locke couldn't help complaining again. Don't. Sphinx, aren't you just scolding me? Really, I can hear you. As for that. The Sphinx tilted his head cutely, and said as if he didn't expect it. Oh, let Locke hear it. This moment, Locke fell into a kind of silence. What should I say? I seem to be looked down upon by others. No, I seem to be regarded as an idiot by others, but. Looking at the Sphinx, I shook my head helplessly. Forget it. The Sphinx, who is like a mother, can say whatever she wants. Then I have no choice. Locke is very calm about this. Anyway, it's just a joke. Look, what did I say? Don't use your brains to imagine. That man's surname is Edward. Since he is Whitebeard's younger brother, how could he really be a weak person? That terrifying strength. He. But the pirates on the Golden Island began to discuss again in twos and threes, joking. Who do you think is an idiot? Edward Locke. If this man is weak, that would be the strangest thing. Even though this man has almost never made a move. It is even said that this man has been a very small number of people who participated in the battle, but even so, it does not mean that this man is weak, on the contrary. This man, the actual strength, the feeling is extremely strong. This is definitely not a joke. After all, this is the world of pirates. No matter how strong family and friendship are, if there is no strength, then it is nothing nonsense. This is the essence of the sea, at least. For many people, it is such a sea, and this is what the sea looks like. Of course, as for the internal situation of the Whitebeard pirates, outsiders don't know, so naturally, I won't say anything more. What is the real internal situation of a pirate group? That is something only you know. But the strength of Locke's shot is just a small episode, after all. Locke is not taking the initiative to make a shot at all, and there is no intention to continue to take the initiative to make a shot, naturally. The attention to Locke is not high, after all. Knowing that Locke has strength, that's okay, but Locke is still a salted fish. If that's the case, it must have nothing to do with me and others. The most important thing is to continue to watch this war. 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours. As time goes by, the war has gradually come from nightfall to dawn, and as time goes by, the people on the side of the Whitebeard pirates have gradually withdrawn from the battlefield, after all. No kidding, their age, after all, they are still young. In such a high intensity and terrifying battlefield, how can it be so easy to participate in it for a long time? They have already begun to withdraw gradually, and the only ones left are those few powerful children. They are gone. Abel, Rakio, Vista, Skuyard, Fosa, Whitey Bay. These 6 children are still active in the battlefield, and the people of the Pirate Alliance have reduced their injuries a lot, after all. In such a high-intensity war, how could there be no damage? Tick, tick. Drops of blood dripped into the seawater, which was dyed red by the blood of both sides. As for the corpses, most of them were the corpses of the Pirate Alliance. What can they do? They are really aggrieved. I want to kill all these little ghosts directly, but the result? The Orc Garuru can always emerge at the critical moment, but they just can't kill these little ghosts. For them, it is really too uncomfortable. More than that. This moment, Locke, who was sitting cross-legged on the deck of the World Tree, proved that he wants to defeat these little guys from Lousy's family. That's no problem. But, you want to cause any harm to these little guys from Lousy's family damage? Or kill Lousy's little guy? He. Stop joking with Lousy. Do you think Lousy can agree with you? So say. Locke is here, and they are really aggrieved. Under such circumstances, as time goes by, all people really understand that Locke is very terrifying. He is like a monster. The alliance formed by the 3 big pirate groups, although Akoku, John, and Silver Axe didn't bring everyone in for consideration, but the people brought here are not weak. As a result, these people are nothing worth mentioning in Locke's hands, as if in Locke's eyes, they are just a group of worthless brats, just because of this. Everyone it is a keen sense that Locke's strength is probably about the same as the 5 monsters fighting in full swing over there. In other words, they are monsters of the same strength. Even though no one has verified, yet, the odds are too high. And at this moment, brush, as the fighter beast beheaded the strong man in front of him, the next moment, a pure white light emerged from its body, which was the light of evolution. Locke said with a smile on his lips, sure enough. It's almost there. The fighter beast can evolve, it's really good. As the pure white light of evolution dissipated, the figure of the warrior beast disappeared without a trace, and it was replaced by a figure with a height of nearly 3.5 meters, which was taller than the battle Tyrannosaurus, which covered it. A Digimon in thick knight armor came out, carrying a huge knight épée on its back. The armor is completely made of Kron Digizoid and heavy metal. The owner is a knight made of Kron Digizoid. The sword, with its powerful strength, represents its huge body, and it also represents its astonishing power. Full body. Night Beast. Actually, the ultimate form of the Night Beast is not only the Night Lord Beast but also the Fragrant Beast and the Skull Beast. Basically all of them can be evolved from the Night Beast. But the ultimate body of the Night Beast is the Night Lord Beast, because when it is summoned, the core of its evolution has been determined. After it absorbs the soul of the Night in the future, it can evolve into a Night Lord Beast. What? Of course, if you have enough experience points, you can also evolve into a Night Lord, but it's just an ordinary Night Lord, not a Night Lord as a Royal Knight. There is still a big gap between the two, yes. If you convert it into strength to make an analogy, that is. Ordinary Night Lord beasts are probably equivalent to the level of battle tyrannosaurs, and in the future after absorbing the Knight's soul, they will become Royal Knights, Night Lord beasts. The strength gap between the two is quite obvious. This is absolutely beyond doubt. With the evolution of Night Beast, the combination of Night Beast and Orc Geruruman continues to push the entire battlefield outward, and seeing this scene, the people who watch it are already determined, no kidding. Really, Edward Locke, this guy's devil fruit can summon all kinds of strange creatures. And these creatures can evolve, but what is the reason for the evolution, and what is the standard for the evolution? This, no one knows. Rage Great Sword, Caesar's Claw. The two beasts have already started to clean up the battlefield, while Locke narrowed his eyes slightly, and said secretly in his heart, looking at the current situation. Basically, it's almost the same, if that's the case. A sharp cold light appeared in his eyes, and Locke went straight to the battlefield, where is the core of this battlefield. Newgate Battle Tyrannosaurus Akoku plus John Silver Buds. 3 people teamed up. Originally, the battle of these 5 people was to maintain a balance. The strength of the 3 alliances was already relatively weak, and the strength of Newgate and Battle Greymon was relatively strong. They were just maintaining a balance, but with Locke joining this battle, then in an instant, the entire battle situation began to collapse in an instant. Locke plus my old brother plus my fighting Tyrannosaur, the 3 of them teamed up are completely unmatched by them, let alone. They have already fought for 8 hours, and Locke has been recharging his energy. Lively, the current situation has become different in an instant. Snapped. Locke whipped his leg straight with a blow, and the épée in Akoku's hand was raised horizontally to block Locke's blow, but his face turned sideways for an instant. His strength is declining, there is no doubt about it. After all, it is time for him to descend. Well, Locke smiled and said, 8 hours, Akoku, can you continue? Be honest. I know I can't kill you today, I know they 2 crazy idiots, they must be unprepared, and you. When you shot, you were ready to retreat, right? Listening to Locke's calm words, Akoku was also very calm, as if he didn't say anything, but the calm eyes proved. Indeed. Wang Zhang prepared the back eye. Again, Akoku is a person who plays with his brain, he likes to think before he moves, and he likes to think about everything well, and Akoku's way of thinking is different from normal people. Think about what the result of success will be, but Akoku is different. He thought about the result of failure at the very beginning. This is the most important thing. Therefore, this is everything that Akoku has considered, and Locke is very clear that under no accidental circumstances, Akoku must have prepared a way to escape, and it is definitely the way to escape safely. This is absolutely beyond doubt things. He. The corner of Akoku's mouth curled up, and he said with a faint smile, sure enough. I was guessed. If that's the case. Let's stop here. Defeated. Akoku said very seriously. It is true that we lost, I never thought of it. You have such strength, it is undeniable. Locke, I already think highly of you. But your strength is indeed shocking, you are only 17 years old, right? And with such strength, you actually have such terrifying power. Locke said with a smile. Well, strength has little to do with age. Talking. Locke opened one hand, and countless data were drawn in the palm of his hand. Immediately afterwards, a variety of weapons were created. With the improvement of his own strength, his use of data it is even more astonishing, in terms of authority. What I have is the authority of the King of Knights, but my 1.7 use of data is absolutely beyond doubt. Data addition. King's treasure. Countless weapons were immediately materialized, and at the same time, entwined with armament hockey, he immediately roared and went straight to the 3 of them. I am really not good at Conqueror's entanglement, but this problem is not a big one, just a small problem. Small problem. As long as your strength is strong enough, even if you have never mastered Conqueror's winding, that is still top level. After all, among the top powerhouses, those who master the Conqueror's hockey are always a minority. Although it is said, the Conqueror's hockey among the pirates looks very huge, but in fact, this is not the core at all. It is not such a simple matter, this is the core of absolute strength. La. Come, you 3 arrogant fellows. Newgate let out a heroic laugh with a doggy appearance, while the battle Tyrannosaurus didn't have any nonsense, and it rushed up directly with its own dragon beast nemesis, at an extremely fast speed, fighting gradually suppressing the opponent, all of a sudden. The degree of suppressing the opponent has become more and more terrifying. Locke squinted his eyes. He knew very well, today. I am afraid, I am going to evolve here, after all. As long as I suppress the other 3 people, but even if I don't kill the opponent, as long as I defeat the opponent, then it is enough to represent their affairs. Experience points of Orc Geruruman. Definitely enough. Today, Locke said with a smile, this is really his lucky day. Chapter 73. 4 Admiral level combat forces. Shock and fear all over the world. Advertise here. In the pitch black hole, Akoku, John, and Silver Axe all have a lot of scars on their bodies. Although they cannot be said to be dying, they are already seriously injured. He rushed into the hole and left quickly. Paramesha whole fruit. Really? Locke said very calmly. This guy Akoku is really well prepared. Whole fruit. This is a rather special devil fruit, just like the door fruit, which can open the door anywhere, while the whole fruit can connect 2 points and 1 line at any place, and can be opened in advance on the other side of the sea. Leave a hole on one side, and if you open an opening here, you can leave immediately, and you can leave immediately through the hole. Through such devil fruit, no matter how strong their strength is, the final result is still the same. No solution. Because you don't have a one-shot kill method, and when there is no such one-shot kill method, then in fact, the result is already doomed. Even if the other party is in front of you, there is nothing you can do. There is absolutely no doubt about it, and it is also the most unhandy thing. There is no way. As long as the opponent cannot be killed here, then the opponent can escape, but the only advantage is ha, roar. The Orc Geruruman gasped heavily, and let out a wild roar. The next moment, a terrifying white light burst out from all over its body, which was the light of evolution, obviously. In the end, the Orc Geruruman was still harvested their experience points, although only 2 were harvested, but it is enough. Just 2 experience points, it is enough for Orc Geruruman to evolve to the ultimate body. In this war, the Orc Geruruman first dealt with a large number of opponents, followed closely behind. In the shortest time, it directly harvested 2 Admiral level experience points. Such experience points are enough. I got the evolution experience value in the shortest time. Gu la la la. Newgate looked at this scene, laughed and said, Locke, sure enough, you are going to let the Orc Geruruman evolve. It's really great, right? After the Orc Geruruman evolves this time, you should 07 you must have reached the ultimate body you mentioned, right? Locke nodded and said, infant stage, growth stage, mature stage, perfect body, ultimate body, and the ultimate body is the highest level that Digimon can theoretically reach. But this is only in theory, and there are still many possible changes. Quote. It doesn't matter. Gu la la la. Newgate still laughed and said, although, let these 3 guys run away, but it's not a big problem, as long as the Orc Geruruman can evolve. Then, everything is a small problem. Locke also nodded at this, and it is undeniable. According to the strength of the 3 people, if we want to besiege with all our strength, then it is definitely not a problem to deal with one of them. If the attack is fierce and fast enough, 2 people can even be dealt with, but the 2 brothers still gave up this idea. After all, such income is too low, and it requires a desperate fighting method. Normal fighting and the final fight for life, these are 2 concepts, as long as you are not an idiot. Then, you are very clear about how fierce the opponent will be in the battle, and if you fight for your life, then what will happen? This. Absolutely no doubt. And this kind of result is the best, defeating the opponent, and Orc Geruruman still gets its own experience points, can evolve into Steel Geruruman, and become the ultimate Digimon. Isn't that bad? Such a profit. Definitely maximized. Even if, in the future, when the other party comes to make trouble again, the 4 admirals in my family, who dares to make trouble? Lousy will kill you directly. Just kidding. It's just a small problem. Only naval headquarters can be compared to the Whitebeard pirates. Naval headquarters has 1 admiral and 3 admirals, and the Whitebeard pirates also have 4 admirals. They are definitely not weak at all. So, although it is true that the Whitebeard pirate group is much weaker than other pirate groups in terms of bottom and middle level combat power, but if you say that the Whitebeard pirate group is weak, then it is not so true. In the top level combat power on the one hand, the Whitebeard pirates are definitely strong enough, and at the same time, with the help of the battle Tyrannosaurus, assist these little guys and the knights to harvest all the experience points. After all, an admiral level, and a battle Tyrannosaurus with the help of an admiral with explosive combat power like Dragon Beast, everything is a small problem. Roar. At this moment, with the roar of wild beasts, but this time it has become different, completely full of mechanical sense. The Orc Geruruman who used to stand and walk disappeared, replaced by full of the Iron Geruruman with a mechanized style looks like a product of machinery. In fact, it is indeed the case. The birth of the Iron Geruruman was transformed during the research process of the Iron Empire. Ultimate body. Steel Geruruman. The ultimate body form of Geruruman, whose strength is upgraded through metallization of the whole body, has not lost its original sensitivity even if it is all metallized. There are countless weapons hidden all over the body, almost like a war fortress. The tip of the nose has a laser invisible to the naked eye, and it has the ability to analyze X-rays, infrared rays, etc. In addition, it is the loyalty of Steel Geruruman, which has absolute loyalty. Of course, for Locke, this is nothing to worry about. All Digimon are created by themselves, and they will have absolute loyalty. The evolution of Steel Geruruman on this side, on the other side, has already dealt with the battlefield. It's clean, so to speak. The entire battlefield has been cleaned. Therefore, Locke said with a smile on his face, let's go. We should go back to rest, the war has been won. Next, it will be the real feeling of the storm, but soldiers come to block, water comes to cover, no matter it's anyone, just deal with it slowly. He narrowed his eyes comfortably, and Locke smiled very comfortably, not bad. Not bad. No matter what it is, after the busy work this time is over, the next step is to relax a little. That's it. The members of the Whitebeard pirates returned to the voyage amidst laughter and laughter. However, immediately after that, the whole sea exploded in an instant, especially the people from the Golden Island who witnessed this war with their own eyes. It was completely shocking, and I couldn't even imagine it. Is this the strength of the Whitebeard pirates? It's simply too powerful. It's like a monster. It's something that I can't even imagine. Gudong. What is that? At last. That guy called ORC Geruruman. It's also evolved, right? And the rest of the pirates also fell into silence. They didn't know what to say. Was it too outrageous? No. This is completely unimaginable. This is like an invincible force. What does it mean? For pirates like them, they really see it very clearly, and they can see it very clearly. The opponent's strength is definitely not a joke. Edward Newgate, Edward Locke, fight Tyrannosaurus. And also, the Orc Geruruman evolved, what kind of Digimon it is. Although no one knows, but one thing is certain, it is really terrifying. This is not a level at all, and any comparison can be made. In other words, the 4 Admiral level powerhouses. Gudong. The pirates on the Golden Island, they really swallowed their saliva deeply, their eyes filled with endless disbelief. 4 Admirals, what kind of concept is that? As long as they are not idiots, they are very clear, what a terrifying power this is. Marine, as the overlord of the sea, the Admiral level combat power on the surface of each era is the iconic configuration of only 1 Marshal plus 3 Admirals, that is, 4 Admirals. The result. Now the Whitebeard pirates actually have 4 Admirals. They all know this situation, Luogia, Rayleigh, and Jabba of the Luogia pirates, these 3 Admiral level fighters, are almost called the number 1 pirates in the world. Now, the Whitebeard pirates actually took out 4. This scene. They basically understand what the concept is, the 4 Admiral level combat power. I'm afraid, after today's battle, the whole world. After this battle is over, the whole world will probably undergo earth-shaking changes. Yes, everyone's expression is full of emotion. Just the end of this battle already represents the next. What will be the result of this world, it represents that everything will change in the future. What will happen? This is absolutely beyond doubt. This sea, which has never been calm, will set off completely monstrous waves, and it will not be an exaggeration to sweep the entire world. Golden Island. Beard Pirates vs. Wufang Pirates plus John Pirates plus Silver Axe Pirates. The 3 pirates are in an alliance, and they rub each other on the ground. The most important thing is that the combat power of the Whitebeard pirates exposed in this war, the strength of Whitebeard is absolutely beyond doubt, and the appearance of the battle Greymon is shocking, but it seems to be it is a matter of course, other than that. It is Locke's display of strength, which is the most astonishing thing, Edward Locke, this guy who eats and drinks enough, eats and waits to die every day, actually has such a powerful strength. This is something that makes everyone feel the difference. This is the most weird thing. Other than that, what is it? With the end of the war, Akoku, John, and Silver Axe were defeated, and the result. After the war, the Beastman Geruruman also evolved, judging from its initial strength. Mechanical Tyrannosaurus equals Orc Geruruman, then. Now the form of Orc Geruruman after evolution, that is to say. This is equivalent to Battle Greymon. What is the concept? 4 Admiral level. These are the real 4 Admiral level powerhouses. For this, as far as the sea is concerned, no matter what kind of power it is, you have to admit that the strength of the 4 admirals is there, and that tells everyone, power. How terrifying it is, and their strength, in the end how amazing it is, just think about it, it is very clear. To put it bluntly, as long as you are not an idiot, you will understand how amazing this is. Human strength. Gia ha 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 ha. Arrogance, madness, this is like a lion-like laugh, and he sat on his throne, looking at the newspaper in his hand, he laughed ferociously, it's really interesting. Whitebeard, you have been silent for 2 years, and you did such a thing. Brother Edward. Battle Greymon, Beastman Geruruman. It's an evolutionary form. It's really a good power. However, it's a pity that you adopted a group of useless little ghosts, and these little ghosts' song will become your stumbling block. He He participated in the Valley of the Gods War, and after the disbandment of the Locke's pirates, he established his own pirate group. The former cadres of the Locke's pirates, and now the two legendary pirates. The captain of the Flying Sky Pirates, one of the thieves, known as the Golden Lion, Shiki's monster. Paramesha Lion Fruit Abilities, Bounty Offered. 4 billion Baileys. On the current sea, there are only 4 people whose bounty has reached 4 billion berries. 160 Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, Luogia, Gold Luogia, Golden Lion, Shiki, Scarlet Earl, Beloric Redfield. These 4, each of them has a bounty of 4 billion Baileys, which means that the 4 of them have reached the top of the sea, standing among all the pirates. True monster. But, among these 4 people, there are only 2 legendary pirates, Shiki and Luogia, the Flying Pirates and Luogia Pirates, also known as the Two Legends. One of the pirates, this is because the Whitebeard pirates gave people the impression of a group of cats and dogs before, but what about Beloric? He is a lone ranger. It is even said that he went to. Whether he is a pirate or not is 2 different things. Naturally, these 2 cannot be called legendary pirates. The result is good, and now they have reached such a level. After this battle, they are called gold. After the battle on the island, the strength of the Whitebeard pirates was fully revealed, and at this moment, everyone was silent, and they had a very strange feeling. I am afraid. Then something really happens. If nothing else. The original 2 legendary pirate groups, next. It will become the 3 legendary pirate groups, basically. This is almost the same thing, which also proves the strength of the Whitebeard pirate group. How amazing the power is. Jayahahaha. Shiki looked at the newspaper in his hand, but laughed boldly and said, My little ones. Do you think the Whitebeard pirates are strong? 27. Coincidentally, a pair of eyes raised their heads, their eyes shone with terrifying light, and they were members of the Flying Pirates, once. During the Battle of the Valley of Gods. The Locke's pirates, known as the Invincible Pirates, lost almost 50% of the pirates, and after the remaining 50% of the pirates left the Valley of the Gods, many people dispersed. Going out, they either formed their own pirates, or joined the Wufeng Pirates, John Pirates, and Silver Axe Pirates. And many more. These pirate groups have all joined it, and at the same time. There are other pirate groups, such as the Big Mom Pirate Group, and the Beasts Pirates have also subdued some people. But, if you want to say that the most conquered ones are the Flying Pirates have conquered 60% of the remaining people. Such a terrifying number is also proof. Now, how powerful is Shiki, how powerful is the Flying Pirates? It can be seen from the sea battle of Wall that the Flying Pirates are almost going to rub the Luogia Pirates on the ground. This is the incomparable and terrifying power of the Flying Pirates. Quantity. But, Shiki's luck is obviously questionable, and there are always accidents. Chapter 74. The most terrifying thing about the Whitebeard pirates is the new generation in the future. Little ones, what do you think of the strength of the Whitebeard pirates? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Listening to Shiki's question, the members of the Flying Pirates laughed mockingly, just joking. They were afraid of the Whitebeard pirates. What do they think of the Whitebeard pirates' strength? Not worth mentioning. Listening to their laughter, you already know what they think, that's right. For everyone in the Flying Pirates, it's not worth mentioning, this is their thinking, and it's their most real thinking. No jokes needed, just the truth. Actually, the strength of the Flying Pirates is enough to support them, they are so arrogant, their strength is too strong, so powerful. What people feel is only endlessly timid, and because of this is the incomparable terror of the Flying Pirates' strength. 4 admirals. What? It looks very strong, but to them, it is not worth mentioning at all, not to mention 4, even 5. How can it be possible? They can still defeat each other. This is their self-confidence, this is their arrogance, they are a group of such arrogant and crazy monsters, and such monsters, these crazy guys, don't feel afraid. Gia ha 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 ha. Seeing this scene, Shiki naturally knew what they were thinking, and laughed boldly, but it's really good. Little ones, I've prepared everything for Lousy, this see. But it's getting more and more interesting now, let Lousy see what the next result will be. Oh who, no problem, ha ha ha, all of them are laughing and joking. For these guys, they are all very arrogant, and the Whitebeard pirates are just not in their eyes. Actually, from here, we can see how powerful the former Locke's pirates were, to be honest. If the former Locke's pirates did not have a group of actors, then, according to the strength of the Locke's pirates, I am afraid. It is enough to overthrow the entire Valley of the Gods, but what a pity. Just like what Newgate said when he rejected Kazuki Odin in the original book, a pirate group like you who is full of hockey does not need to be second. And, in the previous Locke's pirates, almost everyone was like this, just from the 6 cadres, all of them are conquerors hockey, and the Grandmaster conquerors entanglement, it can be seen that each of them is a proud guy, and the gathering of such arrogant guys is the biggest problem. Therefore, the demise of the Locke's pirates is actually a very normal thing. There are not only external problems, but also many internal problems. This is the problem of the Locke's pirates. There are many problems inside and outside. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Gia ha 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 ha. Shiki laughed ferociously, raised his head, and said interestingly, Whitebeard. You old guy, it looks like you are planning to become arrogant. Just in time, let Lousy see how your future strength will be. Yes. However, Lousy is not in the mood to trouble you now, Luo Jia. You bastard, obediently become Lousy's right-hand man. Otherwise. With a terrifying cold light in his eyes, Shiki is a ruthless person. He wants to recruit Luo Jia to be his right-hand man, but if Luo Jia really doesn't want to be his right-hand man, then. But he will never show mercy. Quite the opposite. On the contrary, it is a black hand, and it is an extremely wolfish black hand. In the original, it can be seen from the sea battle of Wall that after the Luo Jia pirates rejected Shiki's invitation, Shiki really did the trick, but because of the rare storm in a century, the result will be the flying pirates flew directly, causing Shiki to have an extra rudder above his head. From this, it can be seen that this is purely a matter of luck. To be precise, Shiki's luck has always been unlucky, whether it's facing Luo Jia, whether it's attacking naval headquarters, whether it's doing things after breaking out of prison. In general, Shiki's situation is quite special, and his luck is really bad all the time. Because of this, Shiki will always have problems, but this is also very normal. The strength of the flying pirates is too terrifying, and such terrifying pirates if the group continues to grow, this is the strangest thing. After all, Shiki is not the protagonist. The other side. Oro Jackson. This is the pirate ship of the Luo Jia pirates. It comes from the hands of Tom the Murloc, the world's #1 shipbuilder. The pirate ship built with treasure tree atom as the main body is called. It has the ability to sail the entire sea for a week. The pirate ship, as it turns out, this pirate ship has indeed done it, because of this. This is the strength of the Luo Jia pirate group. But, compared with the Sphinx, the gap is too much. The precious materials consumed on the Sphinx are too terrifying. Among them, the treasure tree atom is only a part, although it is very precious. Newgate did not rob in the kingdom of Atom. But there are quite a few treasure tree atoms in the black market, and Newgate can be said to have plundered a considerable part of the black market. This is the most important thing. Under such circumstances, with the completion of the Sphinx, Murloc Tom couldn't help feeling that this ship is the #1 ship in the world, compared to himself. All of his products are basically not at the same level. It should be said that there is no comparison. This is really not a joke. Ha ha ha. Luo Jia laughed and said, Interesting. Interesting. I really didn't expect that the strength of the Whitebeard pirates would be so strong. That guy Locke has such a strong strength. It's really unexpected. Interesting. Interesting. Looking at all the information, Luo Jia is also careless, which is really interesting, and Rayleigh walked over from the side, took the newspaper in Luo Jia's hand and thought for a while. Golden Island War. It is indeed a very suitable title. It is known as the Golden Island, after all. Although the two sides are not considered huge in terms of numbers, they are very large in terms of powerhouses, and such a war, in a short time the time will sweep the whole world. Indeed. Jabba also nodded in agreement and said, It is undeniable. This war is enough to resound throughout the world, although it is not comparable to the Valley of the Gods War, but this Golden Island War is also terrifying enough, too. It proves the terrifying strength of the Whitebeard pirates, but the most unexpected thing among them is the man Locke. Edward Locke. Luo Jia sat down, looked at the figure of the man in the newspaper, and thought about it. It is undeniable. This man is very dangerous, and this is indeed something that has never been thought of. This point is absolutely beyond doubt. This man seems to have some problem. Rayleigh said. He ate an unknown devil fruit, and this devil fruit is from the summoning system. Moreover, it is not just an ordinary summoning system, but a summoning plus evolutionary one. The combination of two types of devil fruit, he can summon this special creature. And this creature will evolve, step by step with time, just. What I don't know is, what is the upper limit of his summoning, now? He has already summoned 3 of them. Battle Tyrannosaurus is the evolution of Mechanical Tyrannosaurus. The unknown one comes from the evolution of the Orc-Geruruman. This kind of existence that looks similar to a knight should be called a night beast, and the equivalent level is probably equivalent to Mechanical Greymon and Orc-Geruruman. 2 admirals, 1 vice admiral. This is the number that Locke can summon for the time being. However, I personally think that this is not the apex. Locke can still summon other existences. Definitely can summon. Rayleigh's analysis is still very accurate, just like Rayleigh's analysis, the strength of the Whitebeard pirates. In fact, other people are fine, but Locke is the most difficult to deal with. Edward Locke. If this man is given time, what kind of level can he achieve? No one knows. No one even knows. This is the most outrageous situation. His power is too terrifying. And such outrageous power, people really can't help feeling. The power of devil fruit is really ever changing. Ha ha ha. It's really interesting. Luo Jia laughed and shook his head. However, Lousy thinks the most interesting thing is how do these existences evolve? Is it because of enough time that they evolve? Or is there other reasons? This it is the most curious thing, after all. If you can master this, then Everything else seems to be much simpler. Do not know. Rayleigh shook his head and said. These still need follow-up analysis. This is the most important point, I can only say it. Things are very troublesome. This point is the most important core. If it is dealt with, then naturally everything is beyond doubt, but if it is not handled well, then. But it is really troublesome. Listening to Rayleigh's words, everyone nodded, but followed closely. This matter will not be considered for the time being, just kidding. They are pirates. Especially free guys like Luogia pirates, of course not I will think about so much, and each one of them is holding the idea of being drunk today, and the follow-up things, let's wait until the follow-up. And, after thinking about it for a while, Rayleigh put the matter aside temporarily. It is undeniable. Rayleigh is very clear that this matter is probably like this. Follow-up. It will not be his turn to have problems for a while, but it's Marine. Marine must be vigilant, after all. The strength shown by the Whitebeard pirates is too strong. The truth is exactly what Rayleigh thought. Naval headquarters. Marineford. This moment. Here, it is also very chaotic and very dignified. Sengoku sat in the office, thinking about the information of Dao just now, rubbed his brows, and said seriously, Crane, what do you think the overall strength of the Whitebeard pirates is? How? Crane said very calmly. 4 admirals, this is absolutely beyond doubt, and there is absolutely no need to doubt it, but the most fundamental core is not here, but in Locke. What is he doing? What is the standard for their evolution? It is absolutely impossible to evolve for no reason. This is absolutely impossible. After all, for any existence, as long as it exists, it has at the core, even devil fruit must abide by this point. Sengoku nodded seriously at this, indeed. He is also thinking about this issue. It is undeniable to say that this issue is very important. If it can be considered and understood, then it can be avoided and dealt with in advance, which is very important for the other party. The weakening of strength is very large, even if it is troublesome to deal with on your own side, anyway. As long as this news spreads to the whole world, other people will never show mercy. Naturally, this is the weakening of the Whitebeard pirates. But, besides, Crane said calmly about these things, I don't think this kind of power is what it is. In my opinion, the Whitebeard pirates have never been a huge threat. Compared with other pirates, the flying pirates, the group wants to become the king of the world, just like the former Locke's pirates. This is the core of the trouble, while the Luogia pirates seem to be full of freedom, and they are looking for the truth of the world. It's also fraught with danger. And the Whitebeard pirates are completely different. Whitebeard pirates are only looking for family. Whether it's Whitebeard or Locke, these two people, their purpose is only family, and building their own home. That's their purpose, and they themselves are the easiest to deal with. Compared with the Flying Sky Pirates and the Luogia Pirates, they have the least trouble. No matter how powerful they are, they will not make such crazy moves. His analysis is very clear, and because of this, he is very clear about what all this represents, and even more so, what these cores mean. It can be said that everything in the original work is based on he. According to the analysis, Luogia Pirates were dealt with first, and then the Flying Pirates. In the original book, the second master of the legendary pirates was dealt with. But the Whitebeard pirates have completely become one of the 4 emperors. Even the Summit War situation, the outbreak is quite unexpected. If there are not many problems, the money is good, then it is almost impossible. The possible outbreak of Summit War is not a good thing for Marine. The outbreak of Summit War is not a good thing. If, among the pirates, if the Flying Pirates belong to the Hawks, then the Luogia Pirates are the chaotic faction, and the Whitebeard Pirates are the real doves, and this dove will last until the future 4 Emperors era. 4 Emperors, the Beasts Pirates plus Big Mom Pirates of the era are the real Hawks, and the Red Hair Pirates. They belong to the chaos. This is the root of the Whitebeard Pirates. All I can say is, Teach's situation caused the Summit War, otherwise, the Summit War might not have exploded, after all. On the whole, peace and balance are maintained. If it is dealt with, it will cause even greater turmoil. But, Crane thought for a while, and said seriously, for me, I actually think that the Whitebeard pirate group is the most terrifying, and the most important core is the new generation of the entire Whitebeard pirate group, whether it is Whitebeard, Locke, their pair of Edward. How amazing is the brothers' strength. However, in essence, it is only a core foundation, but the real trouble is the new generation with amazing potential. A belle of the Lunaria family, he has the ability of Cat Fruit, Phantom Beast, and Griffin. Lacchio, eat the fruit of Paramesha. Beasta, on the other hand, has an amazing talent for swordsmanship. Widub, eat the Logia Snow fruit. Skayad also has an outstanding talent, although he has eaten devil fruit. Fosa, I ate the Paramesha Ran Nuo fruit. Little Ozzy of the Majin tribe, ate the Paramesha Mini fruit. They are the most troublesome core. Chapter 75. The dust settles. Set sail. Go to Drum Island. The kingdom of the drum. Abel, Lakoyo, Vista, Fosa, White Bay, Skuyard, Little Ozzy. Sengoku murmured these names one by one. There are 7 teenagers in total. They are all very young, even Little Ozzy. He looks big, but in fact, a little conversion, they are all only in their teens in Crane's eyes. It was these youngsters who, in Crane's eyes, were better than Locke's special ability or Newgate's terrifying strength, but they were the most important things to deal with. Sengoku thought for a while, and said, "Ah, Crane, do you think they will be the biggest trouble in the future?" Yes. Crane nodded slightly, and said very calmly, "It is undeniable that they are the biggest trouble. Locke can summon these special creatures, but as long as Locke is killed, everything will return to calm. Locke's strength is good, but his biggest problem is this, his biggest weakness is strength, because as a summoning demon fruit power, he doesn't particularly care about his own strength, and it's easy to deal with it. And Whitebeard naturally doesn't need to say much, just like Locke, he wants to deal with it. It's not any troublesome thing. Indeed, just like what Crane said, no matter how powerful Newgate or Locke is, they are still just one individual. Even a monster as powerful as Locke's Zebek back then will eventually what will be the result? They will still be defeated. They will still die. This is beyond doubt, because the world government and naval headquarters are the real overlords above the sea, possessing invincible power. So, even if it is a monster like Locke's Zebek, it is still very easy to deal with it. This is the real overlord of this sea. They can wipe out any so-called strong people, because it is the power of the overlord of the world. Over the years, in the thousands of years of history, many strong men on the sea have fallen one by one. They have many monsters like Locke's. Pity. It doesn't make any sense at all. Defeat is defeat. It is not a level of battle at all. This is the power of the world government. It can be called invincible power. Because of this, in Crane's eyes, a simple strong person is meaningless. Locke should be the greatest threat. After all, he can cultivate a strong person through summoning, but the biggest trouble is, Locke's own strength is too weak. Under such circumstances, as long as everything about Locke is disposed of, it will disappear. But these teenagers are different. They have the complete future of 810, and they have amazing aptitudes. Moreover, under the training of the Whitebeard pirates, they have the surname of Edward, and they have absolute loyalty. Under the circumstances, when they grow up, they will become the biggest trouble. Listening to Crane's analysis, Sengoku also nodded with a serious expression. It is undeniable that there is nothing wrong with what Crane said. Now, why can Marine become the overlord of the sea? Is it because naval headquarters has the support of the world government and has huge money behind it? No. This is just one aspect, and more importantly, Marine has a complete system. Under such a complete system, Marine can the new generation is continuously cultivated, and it is in this way that Marine grows at an extremely fast speed. Through this method, Marine can complete the succession of generations at a faster speed. And the current Whitebeard pirates is going to happen this kind of thing, if the Whitebeard pirates don't grow up in that crazy way or naturally, but in the Marine way, and grow from generation to generation words. Then, everything, in other words, the growth of the Whitebeard pirates is too amazing and too troublesome, and this is the most fundamental core. But Crane shook his head and said, although I have considered a lot, the growth of the Whitebeard pirates is beyond doubt. However, it is still the same sentence as the Dove Whitebeard pirates, whether they are the first to deal with it or target him. The most suitable thing, our most important thing is the Luogia pirates and the flying pirates, especially the Luogia pirates. Galdi Luogia, we hide his D and call him Gorda Luogia, but he is a member of the D family after all. What will happen in the future? Maybe he will really become a man like Locke's Zebek. Sengoku remained silent. He knew that Crane's analysis was the most correct, and he himself was called the resourceful general, but Crane is the chief of staff of the naval headquarters. In terms of position, he is even as important as for Admiral. Crane's ability in all aspects is beyond doubt, especially in terms of strategy. She is very clear, and the accuracy of analysis is absolutely beyond doubt. So, in terms of many important things, compared to Crane, Sengoku is still inferior. This point, it is still a Hodge undoubted, and there is no need to say anything else. Simply analyzing it here is enough to see come out. Crane's analysis is definitely very perfect, and Sengoku, you can consider it if you let him think a little bit, but in such a discussion, Crane analyzed everything in the shortest time. It is the ability that Sengoku does not have. A long time. Only Sengoku said slowly. Crane, you are right. There is nothing wrong with the discussion of the Whitebeard pirates, but a little follow-up and suppression is enough. Now the main goal is to put above the flying pirates and the Luogia pirates, and compared to the Luogia pirates, in my opinion, the most troublesome thing is the flying pirates, Golden Lion's ambition to conquer the entire world, but never give up. He is very calm about this. In her opinion, the ambition shown is nothing, and it is the easiest to deal with, but like Luogia, no one knows what he wants. The person who has to do something is the most troublesome thing. Only, no one knows about the discussion of naval headquarters, but for the entire sea, the Golden Island War, the power of the Whitebeard pirates, especially the mysterious existence that evolved from the mysterious battle Greymon and the Orc Garuruman, but everyone is discussing, of course. More people are discussing, and the strangest thing is, why does a salty fish like Locke have such strength? This is the most strange thing. All in all, as the Locke's pirates came to an end, the sea that had gradually become extremely chaotic was originally extremely chaotic, but with the emergence of the Whitebeard pirates, at this moment, it seems to be even more chaotic. And this chaos seems to have reached an unparalleled situation. For the Whitebeard pirates, they don't care about it at all. Since the war ended and they left the Golden Island, they have entered a stable state and worked hard during the day. Take a good rest at night. Every island you pass by is curious to see, to put it bluntly. It's like visiting the island. For pirates, this kind of life is simply a dream life, especially, in the impression of many people, this sea seems to be nothing. In fact, Locke can tell you that the islands above this sea are more. The blue star in the previous life was really much bigger, and because of this, in such a huge and chaotic environment, the entire sea will become completely different from before. There are many islands and various islands scattered in the sea. On the sea, it can be said, there are so many islands, with all kinds of unique scenery, naturally. This unique madness is what makes people feel the most different. As a pirate, if you don't travel, you simply don't deserve to be a pirate. Locke came out of the villa, stretched his muscles comfortably, and said lazily, it's almost time. It's time to go, we can't delay any longer, otherwise, it will be a waste of time. With the end of the war on the Golden Island, Locke did not immediately take Lilith to the Drum Kingdom, on the contrary. Instead, he continued to live on the Sphinx for half a month, and he did not look for the ship in this half month. Ling's granddaughter, the reason is very simple. Locke is very clear. Whether it is looking for the granddaughter of the ship spirit, or going to the Drum Kingdom to bring back Lilith's sister, it is necessary to separate humans and beasts, and now that the war has just ended, who knows if someone will continue to come to find her. In a troublesome situation, the best way. It is better to pause for a while, and after making sure there is no problem, choose to act, and now. It has been half a month, except for those little trash who come to the door every day to find trouble, if nothing else, there shouldn't be any problems. Next, take Lilith back to the Magnetic Drum Kingdom first, and then go to find the granddaughter of the ship spirit. It is best to go to Sky Island and bring Enel down. If you count the time, Enel should be 3 years old now, and he is not. I don't know whether to eat thunder fruit or not. It's best to bring Enel down, and then bring thunder fruit, and cultivate them together. At least I will be an admiral level powerhouse in the future. Thinking about this, Locke left the villa step by step. Recently, he finished 15 days in one breath. It was really enjoyable, mainly, Lilith really didn't have time to find her, after all. After passing through the Golden Island after the war, the little ones of the Whitebeard pirates were injured in all likelihood, and Lilith needed to treat them well. Exclamation mark. When you are young, these injuries are very important and must be treated properly. Otherwise, when you are old, it will be a very troublesome problem. If it is not handled well at that time, it may be a fatal problem. This is definitely an important question to think about. So, for the past half month, Lilith has been very busy to take off, and because she is very busy and tired, plus various other troublesome things, so Lilith has not thought about it in the past half month. Then he left, and Locke counted the time and estimated that half a month was about the same, and it was time for him to set off. Uncle, it seems to be just right. Lilith just came over, and even when she saw Locke coming out step by step, she was stunned. Her uncle actually went out on her own initiative. This is simply the sun coming out from the west, you know. According to her uncle's personality, unless it is imminent, it is absolutely impossible to go out, and now it is even more proactive. What is going on in this situation? Lilith. Locke looked at Lilith with a smile, especially the one that was very dazed, as if he couldn't believe the situation, and said with a smile, let's go. In the past half a month, you are almost busy with the things you should be busy with. Right, exactly. We are also ready to set sail. Okay, uncle. Exclamation mark quote. Lilith didn't ask too much, nor did she say too much, she just nodded with a smile, sure enough. Although, many times, uncle looks like a useless person, he always looks lazy, but, in fact, the uncle in my family is very gentle no matter what time it is, and always considers everything. A good person, he will consider everything, and will prepare and deal with all this in advance. Locke looked at Lilith's happy smile, and a smile appeared, sure enough. Sometimes, looking at the happy smiles of these children, as an elder, I am also very happy. At this time, I seem to be able to understand a little bit. What is the mentality of my elder brother who always goes around collecting sons and daughters? Maybe. Exclamation mark. This is the mentality of my brother. He. Locke chuckled and shook his head, throwing out all the messy thoughts in his mind. Forget it. Forget it. It's better not to think so much, otherwise. I always feel that it will be very wrong. The other side. Knowing the news, Newgate rushed over and asked, Locke, are you ready to take Lilith with you? Locke nodded and said, brother, it's almost time to set sail. I will leave this time for about a month or two. If it takes a long time, it will take about 3 months. Time, you pay a little attention. In the case of a shortage of people, there is no need to fight with anyone, it is just a meaningless thing, and we don't need to do this. Quote. Gu la 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 tilde operator tilde operator tilde operator. Newgate laughed and said, Locke. Don't worry, Lousy still can't understand this matter. Lousy won't take his family's life as a joke. Locke was silent, and Lilith was also silent. The two of them know what kind of character their elder brother, father really is. How did you say that? Question mark. My god, this is just like a joke, are you kidding me? Locke turned his head and said, Battle Tyrannosaurus, this time you leave with me, and the knight also follows me, by the way. Steel Garu Rumen, look at my brother, if you want to. It was my brother who made any radical actions, and immediately corrected them. Quote. Obey, Lord Locke. Steel Garu Rumen nodded its dog's head to show that it knew, while War Greymon walked up behind Locke step by step, quietly saying nothing, following the evolution of the ultimate body. Steel Garu Rumen is more affected by its own transformation, gradually becoming a cold machine, and because of this, for a cold machine. If you can comprehend the power of friendship, that is the most difficult thing. The Battle Tyrannosaurus is a perfectly qualified fighter, and a fighter does not lack courage, but what such a fighter possesses is not real courage. A fighter finds true courage with the same difficulty. This may be the fundamental reason why there are almost no wild Omega beasts, because of courage. Friendship. These two powers are almost impossible to comprehend. Even Locke is still a researcher. If it is true if you can't comprehend these two forces, then the follow-up core is the most important. If you can't comprehend it, then you still have to use other methods to get it. The easiest way is to continue to collect experience points, and it is estimated that you can almost comprehend courage. And the power of friendship, what a pity. That is really too difficult, and the experience points required are simply